At the crack of dawn, Orange naughtily looked around, then jumped onto Luo Chi Shi, teasing his sleepy face. In his sleep, he felt something heavy pressing down on him. Chi Shi slowly opened his eyes and saw Orange's drowsy face. Stop fooling around. A voice came from outside the door, calling towards Chi Shi's room. Luo, are you awake? You're going to be late. At that moment, Chi Shi woke up with a jolt, causing Orange, who was beside him, to fall off. Did I oversleep? Orange seemed to like him a lot, clinging tightly to Chi Shi. He immediately rushed downstairs. In the kitchen, Lin Rong looked over. Luo, did your alarm not go off today? He hurriedly replied, because there's no morning self-study before the school term officially starts. I forgot to set my alarm. Chi Shi quickly tied his shoelaces. Seeing this, Lin Rong said, yesterday's oxtail rice noodle soup was delicious. Cotton Candy, who was nearby, also came over to cling to him. Suddenly, Chi Shi remembered something. Oh, right, Annie Rong. He happily hugged Cotton Candy, then turned around and asked, where's Brother Song-yu? She walked over to where he was standing. Your brother left a long time ago. Isn't today the opening ceremony? I think he said he's on duty today. By the way, your junior high's opening ceremony shouldn't be at the same time as the high school's, right? Before she could finish her sentence, Chi Shi had already dashed out. She shouted from behind him, Luo, don't skip breakfast. Chi Shi replied, no time. I'll go buy some rice cakes to eat. Bye-bye, Annie Rong. He gave Cotton Candy a light kiss. Bye-bye, Cotton Candy. She reminded him, don't eat junk food. Luo Chi Shi ran toward school in high spirits. On the crowded street, Chi Shi arrived at Yang's rice cake stall. Is the rice cake lady not here today? Last time I heard her say her back was hurting. She probably needs to rest for a few days. Next time I see her, I'll definitely buy more. Suddenly, an uncle in the distance saw him and asked, is that Luo? School starts today, right? Chi Shi politely greeted him. Uncle Zhang. The people around also greeted him happily that, oh, it feels like it's only been a few days and you've grown taller again. Another person chimed in. You've gotten thinner. You need to eat more. You're in the 3rd year of junior high now. Studying is tough. Someone over there also asked, good kid, you're in the 3rd year of junior high now, right? Chi Shi enthusiastically replied, yes, I'm in the 3rd year of junior high now. The uncles and aunties were all very happy to see Luo Chi Shi. Luo, have you had breakfast? Come have a bowl of noodles. The aunties here all liked him a lot. Such a good kid. Uncle Zhang also nodded in agreement. So polite. He replied obediently. Uncle Chun, I'll just buy some bread to eat at school. I'll come for noodles tomorrow. Chi Shi quickly got on the bus, still saying politely, I'm going to be late for school, so I'll be leaving now. Everyone around turned to look at him. Why goodness, that kid looks like a doll. Is he of mixed heritage? Luo Chi Shi smiled brightly, bidding everyone farewell obediently. Everyone responded to him. Bye-bye. Be careful on your way, Luo. When he got to school, just as he was about to go in, a friend came up and patted him on the back. Luo. He was startled and turned to see Zhang Yufan. I scared you, didn't I? Why are you getting to school so late today? Chi Shi replied, I overslept. The school gate is so crowded. Yufan said, because there's no morning self-study, more people are arriving late, and the red armbands are checking uniforms for the opening ceremony. He held up his own name tag for Chi Shi to see. Yufan put his hand on his shoulder. Hey, wait, where's your school badge? Chi Shi subconsciously felt his shirt. Crap, Annie Rong took the badge off when she did the laundry, and I forgot it because I was in a hurry today. Yufan looked ahead. Oh, Compass is here too. Chi Shi was taken aback. The department head, the head of the junior high department, nicknamed Compass, was correcting students, helping them fix their collars. Hey you, what's with these pants? The student opposite him trembled timidly before the department head. Sir, my uniform pants weren't dry, so I wore a similar pair. The department head shouted, don't you have enough uniform pants to rotate? He kept scolding. The opening ceremony will be filmed and posted on the school's official website later. Your image is the face of Luo. Do you understand? Yufan hid behind Chi Shi in fear. What do we do now? Compass is notoriously picky, and today is the opening ceremony. If this goes wrong, we'll be put on his report list. Chi Shi got scared too, clutching his backpack strap and hiding behind him. Zhang Yufan, quick, help block me. Yufan enthusiastically helped. Okay, maybe we can get lucky and slip through. The two of them walked forward awkwardly. Suddenly, the department head yelled, the student without a school badge, stop. It startled them both into a jump. Chi Shi worriedly chanted in his head, not me, it's definitely not me. The department head repeated, I'm talking to you. Chi Shi squeezed his eyes shut nervously. He opened his eyes and looked forward, realizing he was talking to the girl in front of Yu Fan. Where's your school badge? Which class are you in? The female student said, scared and embarrassed. I'm sorry, sir, I forgot to bring it. Chi Shi finally breathed a sigh of relief. Oh, so he wasn't calling me. The department head corrected angrily. How many times have I said it? You must wear your school badge to school. Is that so hard? Who else isn't wearing one? Chi Shi looked up in fear. He said guiltily. Suddenly, a hand grabbed him. Chi Shi was so scared he squeezed his eyes shut, not daring to open them. I'm sorry, sir. The voice was very familiar. Chi Shi opened his eyes in surprise. While holding his hand, the person secretly pressed the Baya Luo high school badge into it, giving him his own. He glanced over. It was a familiar face. Chi Shi froze for a moment. Brother. The incident with the uniform check this morning. Song Yu had given his own school badge to Chi Shi. He was stunned for a long time by Song Yu's unexpected appearance. Brother Song Yu is on duty, so he came by the inspection area to check. Chi Shi blurted out, then quickly covered his mouth. Song Yu said nothing, gave him the badge, and left. Chi Shi adjusted the badge, and just as Yu Fan turned to look, he was caught by the department head, so he stared blankly at him. What are you looking at? You're already in line. What are you spacing out for? You two are next. Chi Shi was surprised. He greeted confidently. Hello, sir. The department head scrutinized him for a moment, then said, You're almost late. Get to class. Chi Shi said politely, Thank you, sir. Yu Fan ran ahead, thinking the department head was a bit humorous. Is this the advantage of being good-looking? The department head instructed, You must assemble in your classroom before the opening ceremony begins. Hurry up. Yu Fan ran close behind him. Don't get lost. Chi Shi rushed toward the classroom. We're late. Yu Fan chased after him, panting. Don't change the subject. Fess up. How did your school badge end up with Song Yu? What exactly is the relationship between you two? Luo Chi Shi froze. Song Yu and I. Chi Shi thought to himself, what is our relationship? The story goes back 11 years, to a torrential downpour and extremely bad weather. A man holding a baby stood in front of a house. Then, a little boy opened the door from the inside. Dad's back. That was Song Jin, Song Yu's father and Luo Chi Shi's adoptive father. He said, I'm sorry. Xiao Yu, he thoughtfully crouched down to face his son. Dad left in too much of a hurry this time and forgot his keys, waking you up. Song Yu saw the baby in his arms and asked, Who's that? He said, He's your younger brother. The two children looked at each other. At that time, Luo Chi Shi was 3 years old. From as far back as I can remember, the 6-year-old Song Yu was always there. That was the first time I saw Song Yu. A small Luo Chi Shi, still with tear stains on his face, was sleeping in bed. Song Jin took care of him and finally lulled him to sleep. At this time, Lin Rong, who was beside him, hurriedly asked about his parents, but he gestured for her to be quiet. After going downstairs, he spoke. Song Jin recounted. Luo, E, and Olivia went skiing in the Alps and encountered an avalanche. Both of them. Lin Rong handed water to Song Jin, worried about him. Now Luo is all alone. Lin Rong said, This time you brought Luo back from England. Before Song Jin could say what he wanted to, Lin Rong spoke first. I understand you and Luo E were best friends since childhood. She held Song Jin's hand, her gaze gentle. His child is our child too. Chi Shi recalled that he was too young then to know what life and death were, nor what it meant to be taken in. A loud clap of thunder startled the young Chi Shi awake. He cried and looked for someone everywhere. Wah. Chi Shi found Song Yu's room, climbed on his bed, and kept crying. Wah. Song Yu was a little surprised. What are you doing? Another clap of thunder, and Chi Shi was so scared he couldn't stop crying. He looked at him without a word. Song Yu looked at the small boy, seemed to understand something, then hugged him and comforted him. Don't be afraid. Chi Shi remembered that they held each other tightly then. It's just that from then on, I unconsciously grew to rely on this older brother. So Gidge became the first Chinese word I learned as a child. When he was little, Luo Chi Shi would follow Song Yu, shouting Gidge everywhere. Song Yu was also very attentive to him. Slow down. Although Song Yu wasn't very enthusiastic, he didn't push me away, letting me cling to him. In another memory, he remembered Song Yu studying while he sat on the floor playing. Brother Xiao Yu, look, the ants are moving house. Song Yu said, it's about to rain. Chi Shi began to realize that I gradually became a little tail that followed him to and from school. On the first bus, the two went to school together. Chi Shi was happy. I get to go to school with brother Xiaoyu, la la la. Songyu beside him covered his mouth. Should be quiet. Chi Shi also remembered, in my heart, Songyu was like a mirror, always ahead, and I had been following him since I was learning to talk. Until one day, he felt that he was a bit strange. Songyu called him Luo Chi Shi. He still asked naively, "Brother Xiaoyu, what's wrong?" Songyu slowly turned his head and looked at him with a blank expression. "From today on, we have 3 rules. First, you're not allowed to call me brother outside. Second, you're not allowed to go to and from school with me anymore. Third, you're not allowed to let anyone know you live in my house." Chi Shi asked in confusion, "Why? But why?" Songyu faced him. "Can you do it?" Chi Shi agreed sadly. "I can." He thought that compared to being ignored, it was better to keep a distance outside. So at school, no one knew that Songyu and I live in the same house. But there is no blood relation between us. Back in the present, Yu Fan insisted, "Tell me the truth." He made up an excuse. Maybe he picked it up. Yu Fan got excited. "Impossible, I don't believe it." "Just assume he picked it up." "Then how did he know you were Luo Chi Shi?" Chi Shi immediately showed off his looks. "Am I not easy to recognize?" Amber eyes, light brown hair, look. Yu Fan was momentarily stunned by Chi Shi's appearance and said affirmatively, "Well, that's true. A mixed-race person like you is indeed very eye-catching, too dazzling." Yu Fan turned away. "That was really scary just now. When I saw Songyu on duty, I thought you were done for. Breaking the rules on the first day of school and running into someone as strict as Songyu. Well, he grabbed your hand. I thought he was going to punish you on the spot." Chi Shi gave a wry smile. "Is it that exaggerated?" Chi Shi looked out the window and saw Songyu inspecting students. Senior Songyu. He smiled unconsciously upon seeing him. "I will definitely keep our secret." In Class 8 of the 3rd year, the teacher announced, "Come in. Being late after lunch counts as being late." Chi Shi and Yu Fan rushed to their seats, while the teacher was still on the podium. "The annual opening ceremony is extremely important to our school, and there can be no mistakes." After the two sat down, the teacher continued to urge, "You can be mischievous on normal days, but today you all better behave." Chi Shi noticed something in his desk and took it out to look. Yu Fan next to him kept exclaiming, "Who sent it this time? So lucky, receiving a gift on the first day of school. It's great to be handsome." Chi Shi said, "No, it's a gift box." Chi Shi opened it. Yu Fan marveled. "Which class is she from?" "This fountain pen doesn't look cheap." Chi Shi said, "After the opening ceremony, I want to go to class 11 of the 3rd year to return this to that friend." Yu Fan rested his chin in his hand, looking at Chi Shi in surprise. "Seriously, Luo, you're really going to return it? That girl will be heartbroken." Chi Shi unwrapped the bread he bought in the morning, covering it with a book, and said while eating, "If I don't return it, she'll think I've agreed, but that's not what I mean, and that's not right. Besides, I'm only in the 3rd year of junior high. I'm not allowed to date." Today, Chi Shi felt the bread tasted especially good, a look of satisfaction on his face. "I was a bit hungry. Why is today's bread so delicious?" Yu Fan praised and teased him. "My God, which family's good boy are you?" The guy in the next class already had 3 girlfriends last semester. "Forget it. You wouldn't understand the pain of unrequited love anyway." Before the gift, Chi Shi thought to himself, "I really don't understand unrequited love, but the consequences of being deceived are more serious than unrequited love. I still have to return it to her." Chi Shi smiled brightly and said, "I'll talk to her properly." The school broadcast sounded, "It's about time, students. Please hurry to the sports ground to assemble." Yu Fan quickly called him. "Let's go." Just as Chi Shi stood up to follow, something fell to the ground with a thud. "Wait a minute." Chi Shi awkwardly held the milk carton. He wanted to stuff in his pocket, but it wouldn't fit. He tried to tear it open, but he couldn't tear it. Yu Fan urged, "Let's go." Chi Shi, with the bread in his mouth, mumbled, "Oh, okay." He looked at it, put it back on the desk, and then ran after Yu Fan. Down on the sports ground, students swarmed to attend the opening ceremony. The high school students entered first, sitting in their designated class areas. From class 6 to class 11 of the 3rd year sat in the middle of the sports ground. Chi Shi and his friends all gathered around to say hello. "Are we sitting on the ground again? Why is the green class sitting in the middle?" The green class is the junior high. The uniform colors of Luo Junior High and the 4th middle school are green and white, so people often use the uniform colors to distinguish between the 2 grades. Chi Shi looked around. There were no trash cans. "I have to stuff it in my pocket. I'll just put it in my pocket for now." He overheard a conversation between 2 female students next to him. Someone confessed to Senior Songyu online again last night. Wrote a whole lot, saying they've had a crush on him for a year. Her friend next to her was extremely envious. Wow, the campus heartthrob. So brave. I've never seen Songyu with any female student, let alone in junior high. It's the same in high school. At this moment, Chi Shi only cared about Songyu. Senior Songyu is giving a speech on stage today. The girls next to him chatted excitedly. But some people say Senior Songyu always has a cold face and ignores people. Not as good as our junior high's Luo Chi Shi. What do you mean not as good? Our Luo is very handsome, okay? Chi Shi stood there, looking everywhere. Where is he? The female students decided to determine who is the most handsome. When the two of them are compared side by side, just getting them in the same frame is enough. I've never seen them interact at all. A female student next to him asked Chi Shi, Luo, what do you think of Senior Songyu? Besides his personality, Chi Shi looked at them blankly. Me? He thought, since starting junior high, this is the first time someone has asked me about Senior Songyu, so I should answer from a stranger's perspective. Senior Songyu is very handsome, and his grades are very good. He unconsciously defended Songyu, and I don't think there's anything wrong with his personality. He just doesn't like to talk, and not liking to talk doesn't mean his personality is bad. Although he looks a bit intimidating, he's actually a very good person. Everyone quickly cut Chi Shi off. Wait, next episode. How do you know he's very good? Kishipanted, exhausted. Everyone exclaimed, Luo. Songyu was also startled and looked towards Chi Shi in the center of the sports ground. At the opening ceremony, Yu Fan, sitting next to Chi Shi, said, speaking of which, Songyu is really better than I thought today. He found Luo's school badge while on duty, didn't report him, and even helped him avoid Compass. The girls then surrounded Yu Fan, full of praise for Songyu. That's a life-saving grace. No wonder he's the famous campus heartthrob. Chi Shi felt he was saved. He had almost been exposed. If they found out about my relationship with Songyu, it would never end. He lowered his head. I've already said to keep it a secret. If it really gets out, Brother Songyu will definitely not talk to me anymore. The official opening ceremony began. The content of the opening speech was the same every year, sounding like a monotonous drone. Chi Shi clutched his stomach. Did I eat the bread too fast? Why does my stomach hurt so much? His eyes stared at the black ink, the thick nose like a blurry image. His legs began to tremble, and then his whole body trembled from the pain, unable to breathe. Chi Shi wanted to loosen his tie because he was suffocating. Suddenly, a loud noise came from the speakers. The speech was over. Chi Shi was startled. At this moment, Songyu on the stage began the opening ceremony. Excuse me. Good morning, everyone. I am Songyu from the 12th grade. Today is the opening day of the new semester, bringing a new beginning. The people around saw Songyu and directly praised him. Senior Songyu is so handsome, and his voice is so nice. But Chi Shi's condition was not good at all. His face was pale, and he was sweating constantly. Brother Songyu's voice is not clear. Chi Shi hurriedly grabbed the bread wrapper. I just checked it, it's spoiled. The packaging for regular bread and rice bread only differs in the logo on the bottom right corner. Otherwise, it's exactly the same. That I really bought the wrong one. Chi Shi's breathing became more rapid. He loosened his tie, but it was no use because Chi Shi is severely allergic to wheat. In addition to common reactions like rashes and an itchy throat, allergic asthma is the most unbearable. Such a violent reaction only occurs when exposed to a large amount of the allergen. At this moment, Chi Shi could only clutch his tie, struggling to breathe. Because of the suffocation, he could no longer hear what Songyu was saying clearly. This will be a turning point, and an extremely important one. In front of him was the blurry figure of Songyu. I shouldn't have left my medicine in the classroom. Songyu's speech was still loud. The accumulation of the past needs to be brought into play. Chi Shi tapped Yu Fan on the shoulder, and as he turned his head, Chi Shi collapsed on the ground, gasping for air. Yu Fan screamed in terror. Luo. This made Songyu on the stage stop. Everyone started to panic. The teacher pointed at Chi Shi below. Hey, what are the students over there doing? Yu Fan said anxiously, Teacher, a student is not feeling well. Then he turned back to Chi Shi, who was struggling to breathe. Luo, are you okay? Chi Shi could only gasp weakly. Then he passed out. Songyu's speech script fell to the ground with a thud, and he anxiously ran straight towards Chi Shi. The teacher tried to shout, Hey, Songyu. At this moment, he only knew to rush towards him regardless of anything. The director said angrily, "It's all a mess." The student representative actually ran off. The homeroom teacher, Class 8, Teacher Wong, helped Chi Shi up. "Luo Chi Shi, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? Can you speak? Take a slow, deep breath." Song Yu shouted. Everyone spread out. Don't crowd around him. This made everyone turn to stare at him. Song Yu took out an oxygen inhaler and walked towards Chi Shi. The homeroom teacher, Teacher Wong, asked, "Song Yu, can your medicine be used? The school's medical staff will be here soon." He said anxiously, "There's no time. This is his medicine." Everyone spread out a bit more. Song Yu skillfully loosened his tie, supported him to lean back, and put the medicine in his mouth. Luo Chi Shi, Luo Chi Shi. In his field of vision, he saw a blurry, "Song Yu, is that you? Song Yu." He put the inhaler in his mouth and instructed, "Take a puff." Chi Shi took a light puff. "Huh?" Song Yu said with concern. "Take another puff." Chi Shi did as he was told. Huh? Slowly, he felt his heartbeat stabilize again. His heartbeat returned to normal. Song Yu finally looked at him intently, breathing a sigh of relief. Director Wong Kong, who was observing the situation, asked, "Are you better? Should we send him to the infirmary to rest?" Song Yu was still not at ease about Chi Shi's condition. "We should go to the hospital for a checkup. He might get a rash on his body." In Chi Shi's eyes, there was only him, Brother Song Yu. Chi Shi called out to him in a daze. Song Yu's face was expressionless, and at this moment, he just remained silent. But everyone present looked at the two of them in surprise. Luo Chi Shi called Song Yu brother. Yu Fan was the most surprised. "Brother? Brother? Because he's your friend." Chi Shi was oblivious. In the infirmary, Chi Shi was much more lucid, but the thing he worried about most had happened. "I don't want to be the center of attention like this." As a child, because he looked different from everyone else, he remembered being made fun of by those around him at school, and even being openly ostracized. Little half-breed. He was often surrounded like an animal in a circus, and even bullied by older kids. Growing up, the one who was bullied somehow became the one who was sought after. Luo is so pretty, has good grades, and a good personality. Now, because of an allergic reaction, he became the focus of the entire school. The highly responsible director Wong Kong quickly took him to the hospital. People were all talking about Chi Shi. It's Luo Chi Shi. Turns out he has such a severe allergy. In the infirmary, Chi Shi had his hand on his forehead, looking extremely embarrassed. Luckily, Brother Song Yu was there. Otherwise, I would have been done for. Did I say anything I shouldn't have when I was dizzy? Of course not. Just then, Yu Fan appeared, interrupting his thoughts. Luo. He handed Chi Shi what he had dropped in the morning. "You didn't have a full-body allergic reaction, did you? I think it's normal. You drink this often." Chi Shi immediately sat up and said thanks. "Is the ceremony over?" "So fast." Yu Fan said, "Yeah. The teacher said you don't have to go back to check in. Just rest well and go straight home. I brought your school bag." Chi Shi took it. Did Teacher Wong call my parents?" Yu Fan replied, "I don't know anyway. The teacher called Song Yu back to talk for a while. I'm telling you, it's not such a coincidence." Chi Shi asked while drinking, "What?" Yu Fan said, "He recognized you immediately after picking up the name tag, ran down from the stage halfway through his speech to save you, and he even had your medicine." Yu Fan sat next to him and said smugly, "If you hadn't called him brother, I would have suspected you two were hiding something." Hearing this, Chi Shi choked and sprayed out all the water. No. How could that be? Suddenly, he remembered what Yu Fan had said. "Wait," he said, "if you hadn't called a brother, I would have suspected something." Chi Shi covered his mouth in shock. "I really called him brother." At this moment, Chi Shi tried hard to recall. He vaguely remembered calling him brother then. Sickness comes like a landslide, crushing the last bit of will, making one completely forget agreements and disguises. The secret he had guarded for 2 years was now known to the whole school. Chi Shi was terrified. "What should I do?" "Brother Song, you will definitely be very angry." Chi Shi told Yu Fan everything. Yu Fan went from one shock to another. "You mean foster care?" After listening to Luo Chi Shi's explanation, Yu Fan understood the whole story. That's how it is. "You and Song, you don't seem like siblings with no blood relation at all." Yu Fan scratched his head in confusion. "But then why not just adopt you directly?" Chi Shi said, "Oh, I asked Uncle Song about that before. He said my parents were amazing people, and they're my only parents in the world. No one can replace them. He hopes I can remember that." Yu Fan thought Song Yu's father was great, giving 2 thumbs up to show that Uncle Song's approach was good. That's how it is. "It seems your Uncle Song and Annie Rong are very nice people, and so is Song Yu." You probably didn't see it, but the way Song Yu ran down from the stands was so cool. Hearing Yu Fan's words, Chi Shi was very surprised. For a moment, I really didn't see it, what a pity. But I can imagine it, the way Song Yu rushed over, probably like a beam of light, piercing through the fog that imprisoned me, and found me. Just thinking about it made Chi Shi blush with happiness, and even the yogurt tasted sweeter. He finished it and threw the yogurt carton into the trash. Thought, let's go, home for dinner. The two had just walked out of the infirmary when Yu Fan asked curiously, "By the way, how did you know you were allergic? If it's this severe, it must have been very dangerous the first time you found out, right?" He said, "I don't remember. I was only 3 years old then. I think I was hospitalized." Suddenly, a girl walked over, Luo Chi Shi. The girl was very pretty and seemed to be looking for Chi Shi. Are you okay?" the girl asked shyly. "Are you okay?" Luo Chi Shi replied calmly. "I'm fine. All better, thank you." Then he turned to Zhang Yu Fan in embarrassment and asked, "Who is this?" Yu Fan whispered in his ear, "This is the girl who gave you the gift. I put it in your bag." "Oh," Chi Shi replied. "I came to your class this morning to find you, but you hadn't come to school yet," the girl said suddenly. After speaking, the girl shyly tucked her hair behind her ear and said hesitantly, "So I just put the thing in your desk." "I hope you like it," the girl said. Chi Shi could only respond awkwardly, "Thank you." Meanwhile, downstairs, Song Yu, who was holding his bicycle, saw this shy moment between him and the girl. He just stood there watching quietly, but Chi Shi took out the gift box. "My family taught me, since I was young, not to casually accept gifts from others, especially from girls." He explained that it would be like taking someone's kindness for granted, so I have to return this to you. "I'm sorry." The girl wanted to say something more, but this must be expensive, right? Chi Shi asked with a smile. "You must have spent a long time choosing this, right? Your handwriting is very nice." He praised the girl warmly. "You're more suited to use this pen than I am." Chi Shi tactfully rejected the gift. The girl took the pen, her gaze lowering with a hint of sadness. "Do you already have someone you like?" The girl's question startled Chi Shi slightly. Song Yu's image immediately appeared in his mind. "There are many people I like, but if you add qualifiers, the scope for the top spot becomes much smaller, but it doesn't seem to be that kind of like he thought." Chi Shi replied with a smile, "that I don't want to be in a relationship right now. The entrance exams are coming up, and if my grades drop, my parents will be called in. But we can still be friends." Chi Shi held up 3 fingers. "Really?" The girl immediately brightened up. "I'm not lying," Chi Shi said firmly. Downstairs, Song Yu saw everything. He stared at the sight of him holding up 3 fingers, an indescribable feeling welling up inside him. He continued to watch in silence. "It's so hot. Isn't there a vending machine downstairs?" Chi Shi asked. "Let me treat you guys to a drink." Luo, look downstairs," Zhang Yu Fan said, putting an arm around him and pointing. "What is it, Luo?" Chi Shi asked. Upon seeing who it was, he immediately grew excited. "Quick, tell him to come up. Song Yu is downstairs with his bike." Chi Shi shouted, "Wait a moment. I'll go buy you guys water first. I'll leave it at the vending machine. You can go get it yourselves." Chi Shi quickly found an excuse and ran off. He ran over at top speed, shouting with a smile, "Song Yu Ji, huff." He caught up to him, panting. Song Yu turned to look at him and asked, "Why are you running?" "Afraid I'd run off." Chi Shi retorted playfully, "Afraid you'd never speak to me again." The allergy was one thing, but I also exposed our relationship in front of so many people, ruined the speech. Everything is ruined, he thought sadly. "Song Yu Ji, have you been waiting long?" Chi Shi asked. "Here, I just bought this for you." "Just got here." Song Yu replied coldly that "I'm fine now. I took my medicine earlier." He said. Hearing this, Song Yu turned around and said, "I can see that you're fine now." Chi Shi was confused. He was silent for a moment, then made a sound. "Yeah, it's a good thing you were here, or I would have been done for. You saved me twice today." Chi Shi said happily, "My bike is at the school gate. Can I ride on your back seat for a bit?" He quickly hopped onto the back seat. Seeing this, Song Yu said nothing and just silently started pedaling. Sitting behind him, Chi Shi felt that his attitude was very different today. Although Song Yu Ji isn't usually very talkative, he thought, I can sense his unusual mood. He's not happy. He confirmed in his mind that Luo in a puppy love? If he's mad at me, why did he still come to see me? Chi Shi thought, maybe it was to make sure I was okay. He answered his own question, otherwise, he wouldn't know how to explain it to Annie Rong when he got home. Song Yu Ji, he called out, taking off his headphones. Can you not tell Annie Rong about this? She'll definitely scold me, he pleaded. Which thing? Song Yu asked, Chi Shi was surprised. You mean? The traffic light turned green. The fact that you ate the wrong thing, didn't bring your medicine, and almost had an accident at the opening ceremony, Song Yu said coldly, then started pedaling, causing Chi Shi to lurch. He panicked, his body instinctively lunging towards Song Yu's back. Or the puppy love thing. Song Yu said, the puppy love. Chi Shi felt as if he had been struck by lightning, and oh, I'm not in a puppy love, he denied hastily. Were you standing downstairs just now? You misunderstood, he asked. Sonya remained silent that I returned the gift to her and bought her a drink because I was afraid she'd be sad after being rejected. Chi Shi explained. Besides, I bought her a Coke, and I bought Jiang Yufan a Coke, but I also bought a bottle for you. He suddenly stopped, clutching the soda can in his hand. Song Yu, didn't you also get confessed to, and it was even posted on the school website? What does my situation even count as? Chi Shi threatened irritably. The girls in my class were all talking about you this morning. I wouldn't be surprised if the whole school knows. Song Yu suddenly stopped the bike. Chi Shi bumped his head into his back as a result. Song Yu turned and said, the confession isn't the only thing the whole school knows about. Hearing this, Chi Shi was surprised. Get off. We're at Yang. He said, I didn't do it on purpose. I was really uncomfortable and it just slipped out. Chi Shi explained with his head down. What should I do? Everyone knows. He asked awkwardly that I've explained so much, but he still seems unhappy, he thought. Could it be because of that incident? Uncle Zhang saw the two of them from inside the house. He joked happily. Xiao Yu, your handsome pair of brothers are back. Hello, Uncle Zhang, Chi Shi said politely. Luo has gotten taller again, but still a bit shorter than your brother. Uncle Zhang teased him. Chi Shi replied with a smile. I'm 176 centimeters now. There's a 3-year age gap, after all. Luo is growing up fast, Auntie Rong said, handing something to Uncle Zhang and instructing, remember to eat it while it's hot. Thank you for your trouble. My wife especially loves this dish. She's been talking about it nonstop. I'll be right back, said Uncle Zhang. Inside, Auntie Rong called out, Xiao Yu Luo, time to eat. Lotus root and meatball soup is truly the most delicious dish in the world. Chi Shi praised enthusiastically. Auntie Rong said happily, we also have honey-glazed lotus root. Was the opening ceremony fun today? How was Song Yu's speech? Did he forget his lines? She asked. Chi Shi jumped, turning to Song Yu with a pleading look. Don't bring it up. Oh my, did you really forget your lines? Auntie Rong asked, and oh, there was just a small accident, Song Yu replied. What happened? Auntie Rong asked curiously that it was him. Song Yu glanced at Chi Shi, making him freeze instantly. Luo? What happened to Luo? Auntie Rong asked worriedly that it was him. Song Yu said, glancing at Chi Shi again, making him freeze instantly. Luo? What happened to Luo? Auntie Rong asked worriedly that I didn't. Chi Shi explained awkwardly. He wasn't wearing a school badge and was almost late for school, Song Yu calmly recounted. Auntie Rong suddenly remembered the badges. It was me. I took them off when I did the laundry. Your school badges are in your brother's room. It's all my fault. Boss, there's a customer. Someone shouted. Auntie Rong immediately said loudly, I'll go attend to the customer. You two eat, Auntie Rong said with a smile. Phew. Chi Shi breathed a sigh of relief. Song Yu looked at the spoon in his hand, not saying a word. Having narrowly escaped, Chi Shi looked at the still silent Song Yu. It's all my fault for ruining your speech. I'm sorry. I'll never carelessly eat things again, he said sincerely. Song Yu placed the spoon in his hand into the soup bowl. He turned his head to question him. Is the only problem that you interrupted the speech? Where was your medicine? He asked angrily. Medicine. Chi Shi was surprised that I finished my old medicine. I brought a new bottle today, but I didn't have time to take it out when I got to the stadium, so I left it in the classroom, Chi Shi recounted. I didn't expect to have an attack either, he said, rubbing his hands awkwardly. Have you ever thought about what would have happened if I wasn't there today? Song Yu asked sternly. If Song Yuji wasn't here today, I would have definitely been in danger with that many allergens. Chi Shi thought sadly, but said nothing. Seeing this, Song Yu fell silent. I can't be by your side forever, he said. Chi Shi was terrified to hear him say that. He said loudly, why? Song Yu faced the question in silence. Compared to the dangerous consequences of the allergy, Song Yuji's words scare me more, he thought. When I was little, I didn't realize the severity of it. I was seriously ill a few times, and Song Yu saved me every time. Today, Song Yu saved me again. He recalled, I don't know how many times he saved my life. I can't imagine a day when Song Yu is no longer by my side. He pictured him leaving, with himself standing there all alone, his eyes filled with sadness. From now on, I'll bring my medicine every day, This won't happen again, he said firmly. Song-yu remained silent. I've really learned my lesson, Chi Shi said remorsefully. Song-yu's expression finally softened. He ladled a bowl of soup, picked out the beans, and handed it to him, saying eat. Chi Shi looked at the bowl in surprise, but he immediately cheered up and replied obediently. Okay, if Song-yu says that, it means he's letting this go, right? He thought, you have this. Chi Shi happily picked up some food for Song-yu. Lotus root, your favorite. It would be great if we could eat this all year round, Chi Shi said, putting food on his plate. If you see it every day, it won't be as delicious. Song-yu said suddenly. It won't, Chi Shi replied. The things I like, I'm willing to have every day. It's best if they're in front of me every day, he said affirmatively, if it were changed to something I don't like. What's the point? Song-yu brought the lotus root to his lips. Won't you get tired of it? Song-yu asked. Won't you get tired of it? Song-yu asked. Chi Shi put his chopsticks in his mouth, pondering for a moment. Song-yu gazed at him intently. Chi Shi smiled and replied, if it's my favorite thing, I won't get tired of it. Song-yu was surprised by his answer and also put his chopsticks in his mouth, thinking, haha, Chi Shi said with a laugh that I'm giving you my favorite lotus root, Song-yu. Be good and eat your lotus root. You two are like kittens. Hurry up and eat so you can go to sleep, Song-yu said. Okay. Chi Shi replied politely, is the third year of high school hard? I heard you guys can use up a pen refill in 3 days. Chi Shi asked curiously. I just started my third year too. Song-yu said that you're so smart. It probably won't be too hard, right? Chi Shi judged. I have so much homework I can't finish it. I'm going to die when I get to high school. He complained. Asthma and allergies won't kill me. Dying from homework is too embarrassing, he rambled on. Song-yu then threw a pillow at his face. He yanked the pillow off. Song-yu looked at him and put his book aside. He lay down beside him, watching him sleep. Song-yu, he suddenly called out, opening his eyes. He turned over, and their eyes met. He smiled at him. Why aren't you asleep yet? He asked. He didn't answer. Instead, he asked curiously, do you still remember my first allergic reaction? Song-yu was surprised. He thought, of course I remember Luo Chi Shi. He burst into my life unexpectedly, like a storm, he recalled. When I was 6, I gained a younger brother overnight. He remembered the scene of their first meeting. Faced with a strange child who would take away a portion of my parents' affection, I didn't like him at first, but I didn't dislike him either. Most of the time, I just observed him quietly. Luo, call him Gidge, Annie Rong said to a young Chi Shi. Why is it so hard for this little guy to talk? Song-yu thought, looking at the 3-year-old Chi Shi who was just learning to speak. He looks a bit silly. Was I this silly when I was little? He wondered. Gidge. Chi Shi smiled brightly and walked over to him. Be favorite. He would share his favorite things with me, whether it was lotus root or a toy train. Song-yu picked up the toy train. That light brown curly hair was soft and beautiful. He looked at the still smiling Chi Shi, who was like a little angel from a fairy tale who could only speak in baby talk. He thought, it's undeniable that this little brother is really cute, much cuter than the puppy I've always wanted to buy, he thought. But there were also times when he wasn't so cute, he thought, then recalled. It was the 3rd day after Luo Chi Shi came to the Song family. He was crying loudly. Mom, he cried and called for his mom. Stop crying. You're giving me a headache, Song-yu said in a fluster. Be good. Luo. How about I tell you a story? You don't want a story? Then how about Annie Rong plays with your favorite toy train with you? The two tried to coax him, but Chi Shi only cried harder. He hugged Song-yu and shouted, Mommy, Daddy. Song-yu said, exasperated, Mom, can you take him back to his parents? Let him go home to his mom and dad. Song-yu was left speechless. The heavy rain had been falling for days, seemingly without stopping since the day Luo Chi Shi arrived. Song-yu sat alone in his room, hugging his knees, remembering what his father had said. Xiaoyu, your little brother doesn't have parents anymore. Your little brother's parents have both passed away. Your little brother has no home to go back to. Not anymore. Will he leave in the future then? Song-yu asked his father. He won't leave. This will be his home from now on. Song-yu looked at the toy train in his hand, his heart filled with mixed feelings. The door was pushed open gently. He looked toward it, and Chi Shi peeked his head in, his eyes filled with tears. Song-yu looked at him confused. What are you doing hiding there? Song-yu asked Chi Shi. Come in, he called out. Chi Shi sat curled up on the bed. Why aren't you sleeping? Song-yu asked. What are you doing in my room? A clap of thunder sounded, and Chi Shi was immediately terrified. He threw himself into Song-yu's arms and started crying. I almost forgot. He's afraid of thunder, Song-yu remembered. He looked at the small boy trembling in his arms. Adults subconsciously tend to judge children, thinking they don't understand anything. But in reality, a child's capacity for empathy is much deeper than an adult's. They will hold an umbrella for a stray dog on the way home. But no matter how pitiful that dog is, it's still a stray dog. When it rains, they have nowhere to go but to hide under an overpass, shivering from cold and hunger. Sonyu thought as he held Chi Shi. The thunderstorm wouldn't let up easily. Just when Luo Chi Shi's fear had subsided a little, another bolt of lightning would strike. All the previous coaxing was in vain. Look, a toy train? Sonyu tried his best to comfort his crying little brother. I have to find a way to distract this poor little guy, he thought. Even his favorite toy train isn't working. What should I do? As he thought, Sonyu saw a box of cakes on the table. The Madeleine's dad brought back from his business trip abroad. I couldn't bear to open them, he thought. But looking at his crying brother beside him, he felt helpless. All right, you win. Want some cake? Sonyu offered. Chi Shi looked at the cake, confused, then stared at it excitedly, and finally stopped crying. Sonyu breathed a sigh of relief. Yummy. Chi Shi ate happily. Hick. Another clap of thunder sounded, and Sonyu immediately covered his ears. Chi Shi stopped crying and continued to eat. The delicious food had conquered his fear. What a little foodie, Sonyu thought with a smile. With the sweet cake and his ears covered, he didn't seem so scared anymore. Sonyu thought. The entire box of cakes was soon gone. Seeing this, Sonyu said with a smile, You're so small, yet you eat so much. Huh, this is the last one, Sonyu said, handing the box to Chi Shi. After you finish this, go back to your room and sleep, okay? Sonyu wiped his mouth. Hey, he finally quieted down, but this kid won't leave, Sonyu thought as he lay in bed with Chi Shi. Good night. Chi Shi said, clinging to him desperately. He had to lean against him even in his sleep, but it wasn't annoying. Sonyu thought, I suddenly feel that having a little brother is quite nice. I can take him to Jongbin Park to see the reeds and fly kites, or take him to my Olympiad math class, though this kid probably wouldn't understand a word. My mind is filled with images of Luo Chi Shi clinging to me, Sonyu thought happily. I feel like a real older brother. But that very night, I understood for the first time that being an older brother isn't easy. Chi Shi's coughing cough woke Sonyu up. But what's wrong? Sonyu asked worriedly, looking at the constantly coughing Chi Shi. His face was flushed red. Luo Chi Shi. Sonyu shouted his name in fear. Both of them were sent to the hospital, where Chi Shi lay on a hospital bed with an oxygen mask. Our preliminary diagnosis is asthma induced by food allergy. The allergen test shows he's severely allergic to wheat. In theory, he can't eat anything containing wheat. Mild clinical reactions might include diarrhea and hives, while more severe ones will cause suffocation, like this time. How could you as parents not know? The doctor questioned angrily the wheat allergy. Both parents were extremely surprised. Sonyu, standing behind them, was even more shocked. Uncle Luo passed away suddenly, so his parents basically didn't know about Luo Chi Shi's condition, Sonyu thought. Allergies can be mild or severe. He's only 3 years old. This is no joke. Did he eat something he shouldn't have today? The doctor asked. I don't think so. He's been eating vegetables, fruits, and grains these past few days, Auntie Rome replied. How could he have an allergic reaction? Listening to this, Sonyu felt extremely remorseful. Sonyu lowered his head and said sheepishly, he ate cake. I gave it to him. The parents and the doctor all looked at him in surprise. This situation is common with children, the doctor comforted. Isn't there a story about feeding a goldfish until it bursts? It wasn't intentional. Judging from the onset of symptoms, he must have eaten quite a lot. You must love your little brother very much to feed him so much. Hearing the doctor's words, Sonyu felt a little better, but he lowered his head again when the doctor reminded him. Just don't ever do it again. For the first time, I understood that even love can cause harm, but I thought I was holding an umbrella for a poor stray dog in the rain. Sonyu thought, but in reality, I was the one overfeeding the fish without restraint. I was happy, but I forgot that what I might get in return is a dead fish floating belly up. The image of Chi Shi breathing on the hospital bed flashed in his mind. Xiaoyu, don't worry too much. Luo is out of danger now. His parents comforted Sonyu. Don't blame yourself. It's not your fault, understand? His father said. But he remained silent. Even though my parents didn't blame me From that day on, I deliberately kept a distance from this little brother. Song Yu recalled. Back home, Chi Shi stood at Song Yu's door, hugging a pillow. You need to practice sleeping alone now, Song Yu said. Chi Shi was surprised. Perhaps it was because the self-blame and fear from that night couldn't be quelled, or perhaps it was because I understood the meaning of restraining my own thoughts. An image of the grown-up Song Yu appeared that I often feel that I was born to maintain this distance. To keep a distance from the world, tightly holding onto the few threads that connect me to the few indispensable people in my life, he thought. Only Luo Chi Shi was an unexpected appearance outside of fate. The image of Chi Shi pushing open the door with a bright smile, like a sudden downpour. He reached out to Song Yu, his face unable to hide his joy. He reached out and took his hand, a red thread connecting them. And so, I had an extra, special connection in my hands. A fragile red thread that feels like it could be blown away with a single breath. Song Yu held the thread in his hand tightly and said in his heart, it doesn't belong to me, after all. So not only must I hold it tightly, but I must also work hard to maintain it, just by choosing the clumsiest yet safest way. Back in the present, Chi Shi spoke up. Song Yu Ji, you don't remember my first allergic reaction, do you? You've been thinking for so long. You must have forgotten. Song Yu recounted, you were very scared when you were little and always cried. To coax you, I gave you cake, which led to an acute asthma attack, and you were rushed to the hospital. That's when the family found out you were allergic to wheat. Ah, so that's how it was, Chi Shi replied, enlightened. Both of them fell silent. Is he unhappy now? Song Yu glanced at Chi Shi, wondering, is it because he can't accept the fact that I almost killed him? Song Yu thought to himself. Meanwhile, Chi Shi had a different thought. No wonder Song Yu Ji never lets me eat delicious things anymore. I can't say it. Well, I sound very childish if I do. In the afternoon, at school, Luo is here. Great. Luo is fine, the classmate chattered. Luo, be honest. What's your relationship with Senior Song Yu? We were all stunned when Senior Song Yu rushed down from the stage to save you. The girls all asked, and then you called him Song Yu Ji. Is he really your brother? No way. No way. You two don't look alike at all, although you're both very handsome. Thank you for your concern. Chi Shi scratched his head shyly. My dad and Senior Song Yu's dad are good friends, so I'm temporarily staying at his house. He explained, this doesn't count as a lie, right? I'm not ashamed of not having parents, but I don't want others to pity me. He thought, what kind of family has two handsome boys living together? I want to live at Senior Song Yu's house too. Is he this cold at home too? Are you two that close? I've never heard you mention Senior Song Yu before. The girls kept asking questions. Chi Shi stammered, not knowing how to answer. This everyone, please don't crowd around him. Luo has just recovered and needs more rest. Thankfully, Jiang Yufan came to the rescue. Chi Shi was very moved and held his hand. Good brother. Yufan touched his chin smugly. It's nothing. Luo, there's a senior girl from the 3rd year looking for you outside. Yufan said. Chi Shi walked out of the classroom, confused. Sorry to bother you. Student Luo Chi Shi. Huh? Are you really Song Yu's younger brother? The 3rd year senior asked. May I ask what's the matter? You're asking me? Can your big sister get your QQ? I'm begging you. The senior said, there's no other way. Song Yu's contact info is too well protected. Yeah, only a few people in his class know his contact info, her 2 friends added. Chi Shi was in a difficult position. Luo is back? Why do you look so pale? Are you tired? Auntie Rong asked with concern. A little. He replied obediently, but sighed in his heart. That senior was too enthusiastic. I didn't know how to answer. Don't study too hard. Your health is the most important thing. Annie made soup. Come and have some to replenish your energy. Auntie Rong comforted him, laying out various delicious dishes. Thank you, Auntie Rong. Chi Shi replied happily. Where's Uncle? He asked. He went abroad for business. He probably won't be back until next week. He said he'll bring you a gift when he returns, Auntie Rong said, stroking Chi Shi's head with a kind smile. Really? Chi Shi immediately got excited. He drank the bowl of soup in one go. Ah, so hot, so hot. Chi Shi exclaimed, sticking his tongue out. Auntie Rong looked worried. It's already 10:30 and your brother isn't home yet. Auntie Rong said uneasily. Hearing this, Chi Shi said, he's probably almost home. His 3rd year class studies like a rocket launch. It must be tough. In junior high, evening self-study ended at 9:30. But in high school, it doesn't end until 9:50 p.m. I would slowly finish my homework, slowly pack my books, so slow that I became the last one to leave the classroom. Between my building and my brother's building, there's a sky bridge connecting the third floors of the two buildings, the only connection. I'd wait until 9:50 when the high school bell had already rung. After waiting for a long time, there was no movement from the third-year classrooms. Chi Shi recalled. Then he thought sadly, it's like this every day. In the end, I always go home alone. He sat at the dining table with a sad expression. Suddenly, the sound of a door opening was heard. Chi Shi said happily, "Gidge is back." He shouted excitedly, "He's back. Come quickly." Annie Rong was equally happy. Song Yu walked into the house, looking exhausted. "Gee, I have something to tell you," Chi Shi said, following obediently behind. "You have no idea. I've practically become a tool at school." He stuck to Song Yu, complaining, "So many senior girls added my QQ. And the first thing they always say is, 'Can you tell me Song Yu's QQ?' What's the answer to his friend request?" "I said I don't know," Song Yu said. "How could you not know?" "Isn't that a lie?" Chi Shi was puzzled. "The way they talk is like a sniper, firing off questions one after another without even a greeting," Chi Shi complained cutely. Hearing this, Song Yu turned his head and asked, "You even know what a greeting is?" "Of course I do. Such an advanced word." "Don't look down on me," Chi Shi retorted fiercely. "Our Luo has grown up." "I remember when you didn't even know what Saozi meant," Annie Rong said with a laugh, making Chi Shi blush. "Annie Rong, that Saozi incident is my dark history." Luo Chi recalled when he was still very young, learning how to address people. Auntie, uncle, second aunt, younger aunt, uncle, nephew. Brother Xiao Yu is my brother, and uncle is Song Shushu's brother. So who is Annie Rong's brother? Back then, I couldn't make sense of the complex family relationships in the countryside. One day, I heard a classmate say he had a beautiful sister-in-law at home. I was very curious. Luo Chi recalled, "Brother, what's a sister-in-law?" He asked Song Yu innocently that his sister-in-law is your older brother's wife. Song Yu answered gently. "If you get married, you'll have to move out," Andy Rong said, stroking his head. What? Luo Chi was utterly shocked. Those words left a huge impact on my young mind. Luo Chi thought, if brother Xiao Yu gets a wife and I get a sister-in-law, then we'll have to separate. He'll have his own family then and won't live in the same house with me anymore. He thought sadly. No way. Luo Chi shook his head vigorously. Brother Xiao Yu, I don't want a sister-in-law, he said, hugging Song Yu's arm. How can that be? Just because you don't want a sister-in-law, your brother can't get married? Father asked with a smile. Then I'll be your sister-in-law. Luo Chi affirmed with determination. And, oh no, can't I just be the sister-in-law? Luo Chi quickly corrected himself. The whole family fell silent at his words. The whole family burst out laughing. Everyone heard that. Our Luo wants to be his sister-in-law. Auntie Rong laughed so hard her eyes narrowed into slits. It's a pity our Luo isn't a girl, Father said. Silly child, Song Yu thought. From then on, that embarrassing story from my ignorant childhood was always brought up to tease me, Luo Chi thought. Every time I think about it, it still feels funny. Annie Rong was laughing so hard she couldn't breathe. Humph, I was only 5 back then, you guys are too mean. Luo Chi's face turned red, and he turned away in embarrassment. Of course, that age is old enough to be raised as a child bride, Annie Rong teased. Song, you just smiled and said nothing upon hearing that. Just as he was about to drink his soup, Song Yu heard a scream. He quickly put down the soup bowl. Luo, what's wrong? Annie Rong asked worriedly. Song Yu rushed out. Luo, cotton candy, he yelled as the food bowl fell. Luo, he shouted, cotton candy. How did you end up looking like this? Who let you sneak eat dragon fruit? He questioned, picking up the little dog. Are you trying to become a rainbow? You're not allowed to sneak food like this again. What if you eat something you're not supposed to? He scolded sternly. Cotton candy. Do you want to go to the hospital? You make such a fuss every time we go. You really worry everyone. Luo Chi stood up and immediately bumped into Song Yu. The two locked eyes. Watch where you're going, Song Yu said coldly, though. Luo Chi answered blankly. Brother, Song Yu was clearly in the kitchen. When did he teleport out? He wondered. Second brother, I'm taking cotton candy for a bath first. You should rest early too. Good night. Song, you just grunted him. He breathed a sigh of relief. When I was scolding cotton candy, my words were so clear and logical. I wonder who I learned that from, he thought with a smile. Meanwhile, in the bathroom, he was slipping and sliding while giving the bath. He scrubbed cotton candy vigorously, then collapsed onto the bed. Finally done. I'm so sleepy. Luo Chi flopped onto the bed and reached out to turn off the light. Suddenly, his phone vibrated. Should I reply? Luo Chi thought, holding his phone. The screen showed the other person's message. Can you tell me Song Yu's QQ number? Luo Chi replied. Smiley face. To be honest, I'm sorry. He doesn't let me give out his QQ. I'd be in big trouble if I did it on my own. The other person replied. Then what's the answer to Song Yu's friend request question? Luo Chi replied. Smiley face. To be honest, I'm sorry. I don't know that either. After replying, he thought with a sigh of relief, finally done replying. Phew. A few days later, at school, step-brothers, blended family, living under someone else's roof, discord between brothers. These were the whispers and discussions among Luo Chi's classmates. I had just steeled my resolve to mercilessly fend off Song Yu's admirers, only for such dramatic news to spread today, he thought with a sigh. I feel like a rat scurrying across the street, falling from one pit into another, with endless trouble, he thought. Luo Chi was doing his homework, but he got the arc length wrong again. He was chewing on his pen. Finally, it was the first PE class of the semester. Let's go, let's go. Wu Fan excitedly pulled Luo Chi's hand while he was chewing on the pen tip. The ink leaked out. Luo Chi covered his mouth and panicked. Oh no, I swallowed it all. During PE class, the teacher kept shouting, jog to warm up, pay attention to your breathing. Wu Fan turned his head and asked with concern. Luo, what's wrong? You should breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth when you run, or you'll get a side stitch. Why aren't you talking? Luo Chi bit his lip tightly. Dismissed. Free activity. The teacher announced. Luo, let's go play basketball, Wu Fan suggested. But Luo Chi said, I'm going to the restroom first. Again? Does he have diarrhea? Wu Fan wondered. Although I washed it once in the restroom just now, it didn't come off completely. Should I think of an excuse to go home and wash it off? But I need a reason for that. Luo Chi covered his mouth, anxiously trying to think of a solution. Or I could go to the cafeteria restroom to wash it again and check in the mirror. I can't let anyone see this. It's too embarrassing, too embarrassing. While thinking, his head bumped into someone's shoulder. I'm sorry, he said, bowing his head in a fluster. Isn't this Luo? Someone said. He then looked up. Are your eyes just for decoration? It was Song Yu's friend, Chin Yin. That it's not like you use them anyway. He continued to tease from a distance. I saw you walking step by step this way, and finally bumping into your brother. Chin Yin continued to tease like a little magnet. Good thing you didn't bump into my frail body. Otherwise, I would have fallen to the ground and put on a show for you. Go get a checkup. Song Yu glanced at him. In no way. No matter how sick I am, I have to be the most loyal cheerleader for our awesome team. Chin Yin replied excitedly that I'm sorry. I bumped into you by accident. We have to go goodbye, Luo Chi said, covering his mouth. He said his goodbyes and walked past Song Yu. Song Yu sensed something was wrong and immediately grabbed Luo Chi's hand. Luo Chi turned back in surprise. Song Yu looked at him, but said nothing. Chin Yin, standing next to him, didn't understand what was happening either. Luo Chi was dragged away by his brother. Luo Chi was blankly dragged away by his brother. Hey, he pulled at the person, refusing to go. Song Yu was silent. He let go of his hand, causing Luo Chi to fall to the ground, landing on his butt. He reached out and lifted his chin. I knew it, Song Yu said. Luo Chi blushed in embarrassment. Punto so embarrassing. He covered his mouth tightly and backed away. What are you hiding from? She could only follow obediently, saying, Can you slow down? My butt hurts from the fall. Song Yu remained expressionless, but slowed his pace. In the nurse's office, Luo Chi sat on the bed. Song Yu turned to him and said, Wait for me here. I'm going next door to find the doctor. The resident doctor is gossiping again. Are you okay? Luo Chi said in a small voice. A bottle of medicine and a rectangular box were placed on the table. Luo Chi asked, What's this? Open your mouth, Song Yu ordered. He dipped a cotton swab in the medicine and used it to wipe Luo Chi's mouth. This scene, it suddenly reminds me of cotton candy, sneak-eating dragon fruit. He was lost in his thoughts, like owner, like dog indeed. Song Yu raised a hand to cover his mouth and smiled slightly. You're always so much trouble, Song Yu teased. Second brother actually repeated what I said to Cotton Candy. Luo Chi's face turned red at the thought. Is he making fun of me? He's laughing at me. I'm sorry, he said timidly. Don't move. He lifted his chin and continued to wipe his mouth for him. His body didn't move, but his mind began to drift, thinking back to his time at school. Even when I won first place in the speech competition, past images surfaced. Luo being congratulated by his classmates. Luo is amazing. First place, congratulations, Luo. Or when I fell while playing basketball. Even if Songyu was there, he never took the initiative to help me, he recalled. We really treated each other like strangers. So now, I'm actually a little grateful for that sudden asthma attack on the first day of school. It forced us to make this complicated relationship public, he thought nonstop. Walking together has also gradually become more open and above board. Yes, it done, he asked. Luo Chi was stunned. Now, I'm completely sure he's making fun of me. He fumed internally. I accidentally fed it too deep, he said in embarrassment. What does it taste like? He continued to ask. Tea tastes like melon, sweet at first, then a bit nauseating like fever-reducing syrup. So he narrated truthfully. Maybe the person who made the ink anticipated someone would suck on it, so they deliberately made it sweet, he asked with a smile. If I had known ink was sweet, would I not have needed to see a dentist? You won't get cavities if you don't eat it like candy, he replied jokingly. Did you go to the dentist as a child? Luo Chi misunderstood and asked naively, why childhood memories are really fuzzy, he said. How could you forget crying like that? Shouldn't that be something you remember for a lifetime? Oh, Songyu suddenly fell silent. What's wrong? Luo Chi asked curiously. Since you don't remember anyway, my childhood is also your childhood, he said with a smile, holding his hand. Songyu's heart blossomed with joy upon hearing these words. That moment suddenly became so beautiful. Luo Chi, unaware of the nonsense he had just spoken, swung his legs, unwilling to sit still. Songyu placed a hand on his thigh, telling him to stay still. Luo Chi's gaze fell on his wrist. Aren't you wearing your watch? He asked. Why aren't you wearing it? A hint of sadness flashed in his eyes, his eager look asking you like this over and over. It suddenly reminds me of the time Luo Chi first gave me this watch, Songyu thought. Back then, a 5-year-old Luo Chi happily handed him the watch. Brother Xiaoyu, I have a gift for you. I earned some money by being a little model for Annie Rong's photographer friend. Annie Rong said I could buy something I like, so I want to buy you a birthday present. Luo Chi narrated happily. Happy birthday. Before he could finish, he was cut off. I don't want it, Songyu said coldly. Why not? He asked sadly. Doesn't Brother Xiaoyu like it? But I think it looks nice. Luo Chi said, isn't it nice? I had the sales lady help me pick it out, and she even guaranteed you'd like it. Luo Chi pressed on. Song, you, who was 13 at the time, looked at his little brother beside him. He went to that watch shop and said, hello, I'd like to return this watch. I haven't used it, and the packaging and receipt are all here. According to the mall's policy, it should be returnable, right? He said to the person at the counter. Meanwhile, Luo Chi followed, just silently lowering his head, tears glistening in his eyes. When the sales lady said it was possible, please take it, Luo Chi shouted, don't. Then 2 streams of tears flowed down. Don't return it. It's my birthday present for you. I'm begging you, Brother Xiaoyu. Luo Chi collapsed to the ground, crying miserably while hugging his leg. Why don't you talk to your little brother first? The receptionist said in a fluster. Wah, Brother Xiaoyu. Luo Chi cried even louder. What are you crying for? Song. You sat down and asked him that I don't need your gift. Luo Chi sobbed aggrievedly. I hadn't even finished saying happy birthday, and you already. The more Luo Chi spoke, the more aggrieved he felt. Crying even louder. It's not that I don't need your gift, Songyu said, causing his little brother to freeze. It's just that this is too expensive. It's not good to spend money so frivolously. Songyu lectured his little brother. It's not that I don't like it, but I know that for an elementary school student, this is too much money. He could have used it to buy many things for himself. There's no need to spend it on a watch for someone else. Maybe one day he'll look back and regret spending such a large sum of money for the first time in his life, Songyu thought. But I spent so long choosing it. Luo Chi cried nonstop. Everyone thinks I don't understand anything, but I actually understand everything. Actually, on the first day this little boy came, I thought he was just joking, but he came for 3 consecutive days. The receptionist narrated that on the first day, he chose for a long time and only paid on the last day, determined to pick the best-looking one. Luo Chi said excitedly on the second day. He chose this one. On the third day, when he took the money out of his backpack, he carefully counted it 3 times. The receptionist said happily that he was very careful, the receptionist said. Hearing this, Songyu turned to look at his little brother, sitting next to him. In the end, I couldn't let him keep crying and making a scene while also doing what I thought was right. That night, Songyu opened the box containing the watch. I'll go return it myself tomorrow, Songyu thought with a sigh. He took a glass of water and went downstairs, standing on the stairs, looking down. The watch on TV isn't as pretty as the one you gave your brother, right? Huh? Luo Chi asked happily, of course. The one you bought is the prettiest. Even this smile can't compare. Auntie Rong chimed in to praise him. Luo. Auntie Rong gently rubbed his head and asked, why did you buy your brother a watch? Song Yu, who was walking, stopped upon hearing the question and listened intently. Auntie Rong affectionately rubbed Luo Chi's head and asked, Luo, why did you buy your brother a watch? The little boy took the lollipop out of his mouth, thinking for a moment. The little boy said thoughtfully like a real adult, before we could be together every day, I just had to go downstairs to play with him. Now that he's in middle school, he goes to a different school. The little boy's eyes were filled with sadness, and his speech slowed down that I miss him a lot. But those eyes soon lit up again, a lovely smile, with rosy cheeks. Oh, I want the watch to accompany him, the little boy said with an excited smile. Every time Brother Song Yu looks at the time, he will think of me. Song Yu, who had been standing on the stairs for a while, heard his words clearly. Auntie Rong smiled and praised. Our Luo is so smart. Song Yu was moved by his little brother's innocent yet profound and emotional words. He returned to his room, found the watch his brother had given him, opened it, and looked at it for a long time. He treasured it like a precious gem, for it contained so much emotion. From his little brother, his gaze deepened slightly. I never thought that the image of little Luo Chi, with teary eyes, begging and pleading, but I spent so long choosing it. Everyone thinks I don't understand anything, but I actually understand everything. At this moment, perhaps Song Yu realized that behind that outburst was such a sincere intention. He put the watch on his wrist and looked at it carefully. He recalled the time his little brother was critically ill and had to be rushed to the emergency room. Apparently, I'm not a person who cares much about things, but I have carefully kept every little thing about him from childhood to now in my heart, like the moment Luo Chi cried during the doctor's examination, or the bright eyes and shining smile when he asked about it. These things that only I remember. He was lost in thought as he wiped the ink from Luo Chi's lips. I have long been unable to see the boundary between Luo Chi and me, who needs the other's company more. In a moment of hazy confusion, he accidentally touched Luo Chi's gum, causing him to flinch in pain with a cry of ah. Song Yu immediately snapped back to his senses. He asked carefully, why aren't you wearing it? You still haven't answered me. Song Yu didn't answer, but continued to busy himself with cleaning him up. Answer me. He asked so many questions. He continued, if you had answered right away, I wouldn't have to ask so much. Looking so closely, Luo Chi suddenly felt that his current appearance strangely reminded him of a horror movie he had seen before. He kept his mouth open for Song Yu to clean with a cotton swab, his mind wandering aimlessly, imagining himself as a demon's meal. A little drama played out in his mind of Song Yu, a demon calmly and elegantly eating a person. Suddenly, he was startled and chided himself for making such an inappropriate comparison as so weird. He tried to close his eyes and stop looking at him. Close your eyes and stop thinking about weird things. Closing your eyes enhances other senses. When you can't see, the sensitivity of your other senses increases, which is what Luo Chi was feeling at this moment. The cotton swab gently touched his mouth, sometimes a little itchy, and the alcohol on his teeth evaporated, leaving a hint of coolness. He took a deep, greedy breath, so deep that he could even smell the lemon scent coming from Song Yu. It's very similar to my own scent, which makes me feel very at ease. He secretly lamented that such a nice smell was being ruined, but the smell of alcohol is really unpleasant. So annoying. Suddenly, Song Yu stopped his movements, his gaze darting in another direction. Luo Chi was puzzled. He opened his eyes and called out, brother. Song Yu pointed in the direction he had been looking and said, there's a mirror over there. Go clean it yourself. Luo Chi replied softly, okay. He scratched his head and walked over. This is indeed a very troublesome matter. I should do it myself. Looking at himself in the mirror, Luo Chi found that he had actually cleaned it up quite well. He exclaimed in amazement, so amazing. It turns out even something as stubborn as ink can be cleaned off. He praised in his heart, Brother Song Yu is so amazing. He turned around excitedly to ask Song Yu, my school uniform often gets stained with ink too. Can I also use alcohol to clean it? He nodded in response, Then he turned and said, I'm leaving. Luo Chi said blankly, "Hey, wait for me." He wanted to chase after him immediately, but suddenly realized he couldn't. He hadn't cleaned up yet. He looked back at the room, quickly put it back to its original state, then hurriedly ran out the door, chasing after Song-yu, shouting, "Brother." But he suddenly stopped in his tracks. Song-yu was already down on the basketball court, leaving Luo Chi watching him with a look of longing and a hint of sadness. Luo Chi walked listlessly onto the basketball court. He complained while drinking yogurt, "The alcohol smells too bad. I need to drink something sweet." Suddenly, Zhang Yufan rushed over in a panic. Luo, I've been looking for you everywhere. Are you okay?" Luo Chi asked blankly. Puzzled, "I'm fine. Why do you ask?" Zhang Yufan put his arm around Luo Chi's shoulder and whispered, "Just now, a few girls in our class said they saw you being pulled aside by Song-yu. And then he hit you. It sounded so real." Luo Chi was taken aback. "Hit me?" Zhang Yufan continued. "They said you were beaten until you bled. Let me see." He lifted Luo Chi's face and looked it over. "Are any of your teeth broken?" "Let me see." Luo Chi grunted softly. He pushed Zhang Yufan away. "Mind your own business. Don't make a fuss," he explained. "He didn't hit me." He thought to himself, what is all this nonsense, bleeding? He suddenly remembered, could it be that when he and Song-yu were on the field just now, Song-yu lifted Luo Chi's chin to look at the ink stain, and from other people's perspective, maybe they misunderstood that Song-yu was hitting Luo Chi. He lowered his eyes and thought, so it was misunderstood that he hit me, and they mistook the red ink in my mouth for blood. People's imaginations are really rich. He threw the milk carton into the trash can and said, "I'm fine. Why will my brother hit me? They just saw it wrong." Zhang Yufan immediately smiled happily again. "That's good. I thought it was impossible. So just now, you and brother Song-yu." Before Zhang Yufan could finish asking, Luo Chi quickly changed the subject. "Still want to play ball? Let's go play." He thought, if we talk any longer, I won't be able to hide the embarrassing ink stain on my mouth. Hearing this, Zhang Yufan got so excited he forgot what he was going to ask. "Play ball?" "Okay." Zhang Yufan waved to the other classmates, asking if they wanted to play ball. One of them replied, "Sure, let's play 3-on-3. Another classmate shouted, Luo, come over here." Zhang Yufan eagerly pulled Luo Chi's hand and ran over. Luo Chi said worriedly, "I'll just drag you down." Zhang Yufan said, "No, you won't. Not at all." One of the classmates said, "Let's form teams. I'll be on a team with Luo." The classmates were very enthusiastic. Luo, I'll teach you." Suddenly, Qin Yin sneezed. He turned around and saw the classmates surrounding Luo Chi, their faces full of excitement. He smiled and said to Song-yu, "Your Luo is really popular." Song-yu was still focused on playing ball. A ball went straight into the basket. It was a shot. His feet stopped on the ground. He wiped away the few drops of sweat still on his face and replied coldly to Qin Yin, "You talk too much." Qin Yin put his arm around Song-yu's shoulder and asked, "Yo, who pissed you off? It wasn't Luo, was it?" But he ignored him and held out his hand. "Give me the watch." Qin Yin was still joking. "Didn't you ask me to hold it for you?" But he still said coldly, "Give it." Qin Yin took it out and handed it to Song-yu, asking curiously, "I've always wondered, why do you always take it off when you play ball? I thought it was some famous brand, but it's not. Who gave it to you? So precious." He caressed the watch he had always cherished and treasured in his hand. He put it on his wrist and replied, "A treasure gave it to me." Qin Yin burst out laughing. "Haha, little Song. You're so funny." A few days later, in Luo's classroom, he sat at his desk. He was intently drawing himself on a piece of paper when other classmates called out, Luo. The girls approached and asked, "We heard that you were beaten by Senior Song-yu until your teeth bled. The whole school is talking about it. No wonder you were so evasive when we asked you about Brother Song-yu on the first day of school. You only dared to say he was nice. It turns out you're so afraid of him." Luo Chi waved his hands repeatedly in denial. "No, he's really nice, not like you think. I've said it many times. He really didn't hit me. It's all rumors. He's very good to me." He was genuinely angry. "Usually I have a good temper, so people think I have no bottom line, but the one bottom line no one can touch is Song-yu. Besides, it's wrong to talk bad about people behind their backs." He thought, "I will absolutely not allow anyone to say a bad word about Song-yu in front of me. Not a single word." The classmates all stared at Luo Chi. They said, "We're not gossiping behind your back. What's the relationship between you two? Telling you is no different from telling him." Their words were as sharp as daggers, leaving him unable to retort. They continued their verbal assault on Luo Chi. "If he's as good as you say, then why doesn't he treat you like a brother at all? Another classmate chimed in. Yeah, he looks so fierce. Another added, brothers are usually very doting on their younger siblings. He irritably scribbled over the drawing he had just made in his notebook with a pencil that's just not drawn right. Then he sighed tiredly to himself. Forget it. Brother Song, you once told me that meaningless arguments will make you dumber. Suddenly, Zhang Yufan came in and shouted, Luo, Luo, someone's looking for you. Seeing the figure of a boy half hidden behind the door, only his shoulder was visible. It was unclear who it was. He thought, brother. Luo Chi's eyes were glued to that direction. Luo Chi immediately stood up and walked to the classroom door. Meanwhile, Zhang Yufan walked disgustedly toward the classmates who had just spoken harshly to Luo Chi. Boring. If you put the energy you use for gossiping into studying, you would have easily gotten into Paya High School. Luo Chi ran out the door excitedly, his face beaming with a bright and happy expression. But suddenly his expression turned to shock and surprise, and then he forced a strange smile at the person in front of him, It turned out to be the head of the broadcasting club who was looking for Luo Chi. He said with a smile, your disappointment is a bit too obvious. Luo Chi said, hello, senior. His eyes darted around, looking for Song Yu. Seeing him like this, he said, stop looking, it's just me. Luo Chi asked naively, senior, you're not here to ask me to pass a love letter to my brother too, are you? The head of the broadcasting club was speechless. Then suddenly he burst out laughing. You two brothers are really interesting. He patted Luo Chi's shoulder and led him aside, saying, all right, I'll stop teasing you. I'm here to talk to you about something serious. There are too many people here. Let's go over there to talk. Luo Chi complained in his heart. What serious business could a frivolous person like you have? The senior then explained the reason he was looking for Luo Chi. After the graduating seniors left, the broadcasting club is short of an English announcer. Your spoken English is very good, and your pronunciation in the last English poetry recitation competition was excellent. Many people in the broadcasting club recommended you. As the current head of the broadcasting station, he earnestly asked Luo Chi Shi, how about it? Want to give it a try? He replied, Song Ye's pronunciation is also very good. The head of the broadcasting station stammered, you think I can get that big shot to come? You're overestimating me. He earnestly persuaded Luo Chi Shi. Besides, the broadcasting station needs more participation from the middle school division. It's just on Fridays. It might take up a bit of your lunchtime, just half an hour. He said with a smile, how about it? English is practically your native language anyway. Luo Chi Shi sighed. I only spoke it before I was 4. Does that even count as a native language? Luo Chi Shi's gaze wavered, and he replied, I'll think about it. He thought to himself, Senior Chin, Yen has been Song Ye's best friend since middle school and often comes to our house for dinner. From this, one can draw a conclusion. Isn't helping him the same as helping Song Yi? He answered eagerly, I'll give it a try then. Back at home, Luo Chi Shi told Annie Rong, who was terribly distressed. Luo, you have to go to the broadcasting station every Friday afternoon, she said. Then you won't have time for dinner. How about I bring you food, just like when you were in elementary school? She completely missed the point. When Luo Chi Shi was in elementary school, the huge, luxurious lunchbox of his had been the envy of all his classmates. He hesitated for a moment. That's too much trouble. There's no need. I can squeeze in time to eat on my own. You petted the cat's head, right, Juzzy? Auntie Rong pretended to cry, clutching her heart in mock pain. Luo's all grown up. He doesn't need me anymore. She had no choice but to hug Juzzy and lament all this motherly love of mine with nowhere to go. Beside her, Uncle Song could only offer an apologetic smile at her antics. She continued, why don't you ask Xiao Yi if you want a packed lunch too? Just then, Song Yi came out of the bathroom after a shower, flopped onto the sofa, and said, too much trouble. Don't make one for him. Let him eat on his own. Uncle Song laughed heartily. As expected, Luo is the real son. Hearing this, Song Yi let out a soft laugh and muttered as he walked upstairs. So dramatic. It was as if it would be the end of the world if he didn't go to the broadcasting station on Friday. Seeing Luo Chi Shi come in, the senior immediately stood up and said, Luo Chi Shi, you're early. Luo Chi Shi greeted her politely. Senior, I rushed over right after school. She handed Luo Chi Shi a piece of paper. Chin, you already told me. Considering you're in a transitional period for high school entrance, I'll be in charge of writing the scripts. You just need to look it over and prepare a little. Luo Chi Shi quickly took it. Thank you, senior. He seemed a bit nervous looking at the script, so the senior comforted him. Relax, we'll read the opening together later, and then you can just briefly introduce the song before it plays. He smiled and replied, okay, I got it. Qin Yin and Song, you were walking down the hallway. Qin Yin said, Song Yi, let's take a shortcut through that upper corridor. It'll be faster to get to the cafeteria. Qin Yin asked, why did Teacher Wang call you over just now? What took so long? Teacher Wang's full name was Wang Xian, and he was the homeroom teacher of Class 9 in the 3rd year of middle school. Song Yi replied, he wanted my help with something. Qin Yin curiously slung an arm around Song Yi's shoulder and asked, he's a middle school homeroom teacher now. What could he possibly need your help with? It's not like he's paying you. Song Yi pushed his hand away, but he still replied cheerfully, I'm starving. I hope the cafeteria has bubble tea tonight. Just then, the voice from the broadcasting room came on, and Luo Chi Shi began to speak. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Joy. Hearing the familiar voice, Song Yi froze. He listened intently to the voice coming from the school's broadcast. Welcome to this Friday's Voice of English program. Luo Chi Shi was very serious about his work. To start the show, I'd like to introduce a very nice English song to everyone. Seeing Song Yi frozen for a long time, Qin Yin waved his hand and called out, hey, what's wrong? Did you crash? Song Yi then asked him, you got him into the broadcasting room. Qin Yin replied, yeah, Lolawa's voice is so nice. I said it before, I had to pull him in my team before I graduate and hand things over. He asked proudly, how about it? Not bad, right? Song Yi continued, he's only in class 7. He didn't want Luo Chi Shi to be distracted while busy with the high school entrance exams. Qin Yin went on, it's just for 1 semester. Look at you, so worried. Everyone outside says you bully him, so why are you playing the part of a loving brother in front of me? You should let everyone know. The music from the broadcasting room had already started. Miris Miris. Immersed in the melody, Luo Chi Shi unconsciously closed his eyes and started humming along with the lyrics. He sang along with the lyrics, Miss Use's Rose, Miss Use's Rose, my youth is ultimately you, my childhood is also you. His mind was filled with images of himself and Song Yi laughing together. Song Yi recognized his singing voice and felt a strange stirring in his heart. The senior sitting next to him made a shush gesture, reminding Luo Chi Shi not to sing along with the lyrics. And only then did he suddenly realize he had been singing out loud. Just now, 15 minutes later, the song ended. The senior turned around, took off her headphones, and said to Luo Chi Shi, all right, now we just need to play one more song, and we can take a break. With a hint of sadness on his face, he said, Senior, I'm sorry. I'll never make a mistake like that again. She took out her lunchbox to eat and said with a smile, not many people noticed. Luo Chi Shi accidentally saw the lunchbox, making the senior cover her mouth shyly and say, oh, I forgot to remind you to bring a lunchbox. Do you want to eat with me? Her lunchbox was filled with a variety of dishes that looked very tempting. Luo Chi Shi's eyes widened with longing. It all looks so delicious. Then he sighed softly, but there's nothing I can eat. He could only smile and wave his hand. You go ahead and eat, senior. I've already asked a classmate to bring me food. She was still friendly and pushed the lunchbox towards him. Don't be polite. Take this fork and eat. Luo Chi Shi had to stammer. Actually, I'm allergic to a lot of things in there. He didn't directly say what he was allergic to, because Song Yi had once emphasized it to him. He had taught him sternly, don't casually tell others what you're allergic to, especially things that cause severe reactions and could be life-threatening, understand? He had also responded to him, MHM. At this, the senior finally reacted, oh, now that you mention it, I saw it on the day of the opening ceremony too. It was so scary, I'm glad you're okay. He replied, MHM. He silently thanked Song Yi in his heart. Thank goodness you were there. Then the senior took out an apple and handed it to him. Then have this apple. Luo Chi Shi quickly took it. Thank you. It's so big. In Luo Chi Shi's classroom, the class monitor was reminding the whole class. There are 10 minutes left before evening self-study. Everyone hurry up. Seeing him return from the broadcasting room, Zhang Yubai asked, Luo, you're back. He smiled and let out a sigh of relief. So tired. His classmate Hu Xuan said to him with a smile, we heard your broadcast today, Luo. Not bad. He slumped onto his desk, looking dejected and tired. But I made so many mistakes today. Hu Xuan comforted him gently. Hey, I didn't hear anything wrong. Suddenly a voice startled them. Who said they didn't hear anything? I heard everything. Zhang Xin turned around and said smugly, Luo Chi Shi, don't think you can deliberately copy me just because you're a good singer?" he asked, while Luo Jishu looked completely confused. Jiang Yubai patted his shoulder to comfort him. "Ignore Zhang Chun. He's crazy. The girl he likes you, so he's deliberately provoking you." Luo Jishu asked in surprise. "That girl from class, one of the third year," Jiang Yubai replied. "Yeah, I don't know how Zhang Chun found out. He said he used to run to that class every day, so happy to be fawning over her, but then the goddess confessed to you. Of course he's mad." Luo Jishu asked innocently. "Why is he mad?" Zhang Chun got even angrier. "He's actually asking me why." Luo Jishu was so naive that he even asked him, "Are you hurt?" He was genuinely curious when he asked this, while Jiang Yubai found it hilarious, and Zhang Chun was speechless, not knowing what to say. "Hu Xuan Ti Zhang Chun, I can smell the lemons on you. So sour." He cursed nonsense. Suddenly, a hand slammed heavily on a desk, making the whole class look up. The class monitor scolded. "What are you all doing? Sit down. Class is about to start." Zhang Chun sat down reluctantly. Luo Jishu was still worried about him. "He's so angry. He must really like that girl. I should find a chance to tell him I'm not with her, so he can keep pursuing her." Not only that, Luo Jishu thought naively, and added, "If this person doesn't work out, he could just like someone else." He scratched his head. "It's so complicated." Jiang Yubai comforted Luo Jishu. "Just ignore him." He took out a lunchbox and handed it to Luo Jishu, saying, "Luo, the rice ball you told me you couldn't buy, I ran over as soon as class was over, but the owner said they were out today. But I bought you this." He placed a strange-looking box on the desk. Luo Jishu asked blankly, "What's this?" Jiang Yubai replied, "Self-heating rice." Luo Jishu took it, a little worried. "Will Teacher Wang kick us out of the classroom for eating this?" Jiang Yubai said nonchalantly, "Don't worry. According to reliable intel, Teacher Wang is definitely not coming to self-study tonight. His car is no longer at school, and he even took his thermos from the office home." Luo Jishu was puzzled, but he said yesterday he was going to go over problems tonight. Jiang Yubai whispered, "Looks like Teacher Wang has something important today. See, the class monitor is already back in his seat, so he's definitely not coming. Besides, I've already bribed the monitor for you to pretend nothing happened later." Jiang Yubai asked proudly, "How about it? Isn't your bro Yubai awesome?" Luo Jishu's eyes sparkled as he gave him a thumbs up. "So awesome." Luo Jishu turned it over and over curiously, not knowing how to eat it. "I've never had this before." Jiang Yubai was also curious. "I haven't either, but it's probably similar to a self-heating hot pot." He looked at the instructions and quickly followed them, adding some cold water, and then it started heating up on its own. Luo Jishu exclaimed, "It's so magical." He was excited. "I'll go out to eat later," using the excuse of going to the bathroom. Jiang Yubai replied, "No need. They all eat in the classroom." But Luo Jishu said, "Eating is not allowed in the classroom." He was full of anticipation, looking forward to that stir-fried pork flavor. "It shouldn't taste too bad, right?" The class monitor walked to the podium and announced, "Teacher Wang has something on tonight and won't be coming." The whole class got excited. "Teacher Wang's not here, we're free." Luo Jishu was no exception. Everything is going according to plan, so happy. Jiang Yubai turned to him and said, "Let me have a bite later. I want to know what it tastes like." Luo Jishu made an okay sign and replied, "Sure, later we'll." Suddenly, something made him look up. Both of them were startled, their eyes wide with surprise at the person walking into the classroom. Luo Jishu was stunned. Song Yi. He was already standing at the podium. Everyone was surprised. "Wow, it's really Song Yi." Jiang Yubai exclaimed in confusion, "My God, why is your brother here?" Song Yi began to speak. "Teacher Wang has something on and can't make it to class. Since you're all about to face the high school entrance exams, he asked me to come over and share some experience on how to review effectively." He appeared extremely serious, exuding an unapproachable top student aura. The girls were all screaming, "Oh my God, Senior Song Yi is supervising our self-study. This is a dream come true." A student asked, "Senior Song Yi, how did Teacher Wang get you to come?" He replied, "He used to be my homeroom teacher. He had a thing for cleanliness and was a bit of a perfectionist, unconsciously pushing the chalk box aside." Luo Jishu thought naively like a little deer. "We had the same homeroom teacher. Wow, that's amazing. We have a direct connection now." Does that mean Teacher Wang was Senior Song Ye's homeroom teacher when he graduated from middle school, and then he became my homeroom teacher? Every time the school had a parent-teacher conference, Annie Rome would attend for me, while Uncle Song would attend for Senior Song Yi. They never told me, and Senior Song Yi never mentioned it. So how would I know? Song Yi stood at the podium and said, "For today's self-study session, the first period will be for sharing test-taking strategies, and the second period you'll do your homework. You can ask me if you have any questions." Jiang Yubai hit his face with a notebook, hunched over, and coughed lightly, trying to get Luo Chi Shi's attention. He looked over in confusion. Jiang Yubai took out his phone from behind the notebook. It was flooded with messages from the class group chat, dozens of them pouring in. A student said, "Is today our class's peak visual day? Senior Song Yi is so handsome. He's always on the school's confession wall." The boys were already getting jealous. "You girls are so boy crazy. All you do is look at handsome guys," speechless. The girls immediately retorted, "What do you mean we only look at handsome guys? We're even more enthusiastic about pretty girls than you are." A student at Joy, Luo, "I still think you're more handsome, bro. We support you." They were all waiting for the drama to unfold. Another student at Joy asked, Luo, "Did you already know he was coming?" He explained awkwardly, "How could I possibly know?" Jiang Yubai immediately sent him a message. "I can vouch for him. Luo really didn't know anything. We thought the class monitor was supervising today." The other students were confused, vague. "He didn't tell you he was coming to sub?" "Will Song Yi give Luo a hard time? If you didn't do anything wrong, what's there to be guilty about?" Luo Chi Shi didn't want to look anymore, finding it annoying. His gaze shifted to Song Yi. He was also looking at him. Being stared at by him like that made him feel a little guilty. He took a book out of his desk. Song Yi said as he wrote on the blackboard, "There's only 1 year left until the high school entrance exam. The study plans for these 2 semesters will likely change your rankings. So you must first clarify your goals and create a plan that suits you." He was diligently writing on the blackboard when a noise from the back of the classroom drew everyone's attention. They began to whisper, "What's that sound? It's so loud." Luo Chi Shi was sweating with worry. The students had already realized the sound was coming from Luo Chi Shi's direction. On the blackboard, Song Yi was writing down the experience he was going to share with the students. Luo Chi Shi nervously turned to Jiang Yubai and asked about the self-heating rice they were cooking under the desk. "Why? Is it still making noise?" He was also panicking. "How would I know?" The aroma of the rice kept wafting up from below. Luo Chi Shi scratched his head in fear. He just wanted to sneak a bite of rice, and now it was all over. The whole class, and even Senior Song Yi, knew he was cooking rice, and stir-fried pork rice at that. He imagined himself huddled outside the door eating, and sighed, "I'm going to be kicked out of the classroom, rice box and all. It's so embarrassing." Luo Chi Shi wished the rice would cook faster, but 10 minutes passed by so slowly. Song Yi had already finished writing all the necessary content on the blackboard. He turned to the class and said, "This is what I'm going to cover." The students were all watching him intently, listening. Only the boy in the last row, Luo Chi Shi, had his head down in worry. His friend Jiang Yubai was also pretending to read, hiding his face, not daring to look at Song Yi. He deliberately walked towards the back of the classroom, saying as he went, "First, find your weakest link." Everyone understands the bucket effect, right? The other students realized he was walking towards Luo Chi Shi's seat and started sweating for him. It's over, Luo is done for. Last time Luo was beaten until he bled. If he gets caught eating in class this time, he's definitely going to get a lecture. Luo is so unlucky. Hang in there, Luo, I'm with you in spirit. Song Yi was still talking as he walked. Organizing your mistakes into a system is an effective method. Making mistakes isn't scary. Everyone makes them. What's scary is having too many repeated mistakes that lead to losing points. Song Ye's words struck Luo Chi Shi's heart, scaring him to death, but he still tried to act calm, holding his book and listening. Suddenly, Song Yi placed his hand on Luo Chi Shi's desk and said, "So what you need to do is reduce the frequency of making the same mistakes." Luo Chi Shi could only remain silent, not daring to speak. Song Yi continued to stand there and say, "The second point is a technique for getting high scores on math multiple choice questions. There are tricks like the graphical synthesis method and the substitution method." Luo Chi Shi sat there trembling, not daring to move. Song Yi just stood there giving his lecture, not going anywhere, torturing him. He was terrified, his eyes shut tight, sweat beading on his forehead, able to hear nothing but his own heartbeat. He was screaming internally, "Help." Song Yi continued his lecture seriously. "That's for the multiple choice section. Now everyone pick up the practice sheet next to you and try the techniques I just taught. I'll give you 10 minutes. Luo Jishu gripped the practice sheet tightly, staring at it. Song Yi looked at him, and he didn't dare to move, screaming on the inside. Playing dead. Song Yi tapped the desk a few times, startling Luo Jishu. His eyes filled with fear and remorse. He took out the self-heating rice box and placed it on the desk, his eyes moist, as if begging Song Yi, "I really know I was wrong." Song Yi asked him calmly, "Does it smell good?" The other students burst out laughing. "We can all smell it. It's very fragrant." Stir-fried pork. Luo Jishu's face turned red as he said in a small voice, "It's okay." In truth, he thought it smelled quite good. Suddenly, Jiang Yubai raised his hand and said to Song Yi, "Senior, I bought this. I bought the wrong thing. It's my fault, all my fault. I'll write a self-criticism." Luo Jishu waved his hands in denial, taking the blame. "No, I was the one who wanted to eat it." Another student raised his hand and said, "Senior, I can testify it was Luo Jishu who was eating it." The two of them were secretly planning it for a long time, just planning to eat self-heating rice during self-study. Jiang Yubai turned to him angrily. "Zhang Chun, is it your place to talk? Have you never snuck food during self-study?" Besides, he wasn't planning to eat it in the classroom. Another student deliberately nitpicked. "Stop making excuses. You guys just did it because Teacher Wang wasn't here." The other students started murmuring, "What's Zhang Chun doing? Does he have a grudge?" Now that he's making a scene, this is getting interesting. It's not a huge deal, but it's not a small one either. Let's see how the senior handles it. Song Yi glanced at the embarrassed, head-bowed Luo Jishu. He quickly took the opportunity to speak. "Let me explain the operating principle of this self-heating rice." Luo Jishu was stunned. How'd he come up with that? Song Yi glanced at Luo Jishu and picked up the self-heating rice box, saying, "Look here, the bottom of this self-heating rice box has a heating pack, which contains a magic powder made of a mixture of salt and iron powder." Luo Jishu and Jiang Yubai looked at each other blankly. Wait, how did our embarrassing situation suddenly turn into a chemistry lesson? Jiang Yubai thought to himself, how come this didn't escalate to getting written up, being made a stand, or being reported like I thought it would? Song Yu was explaining the principle of the self-heating rice to the whole class. Quicklime, or calcium oxide, reacts with water to produce calcium hydroxide, releasing a large amount of heat at the same time. The students murmured, "We've learned about calcium hydroxide, but we never connected it to a practical application. It's so amazing." Song Yi continued, "Here, sodium carbonate acts as an auxiliary agent, and aluminum powder and magnesium can also release heat through oxidation reactions." He glanced specifically at Luo Jishu and said, "But this kind of self-heating fast food also has the potential to cause fires and explosions, and the food isn't very fresh, so I don't recommend everyone eat it often." Luo Jishu was sweating with embarrassment. I've written the reaction equation on the board. Interested students can take a look. Luo Jishu marveled inwardly. So Senior Song Yi knew what was happening from the start and calmly wrote it all out. Song Yi calmly turned to everyone and asked, following up on that real-life example, I trust no one will forget that adding water to calcium oxide is an exothermic reaction, right? The class roared with laughter. We won't forget. Zhang Chun raised his hand and called out to Song Yi, Senior, then why does it make a sound? It sounds so funny. Other students whispered, isn't he obviously trying to drag the attention back to the initial incident? Exactly. He just wants to embarrass Song Yi and make Luo Jishu look bad. Song Yi replied calmly, I'm sure you've all done chemistry experiments, right? Who can tell me which experiments you've done that made a special sound? A student quickly answered, sodium and water. He nodded, MHM, that's a classic example. Many chemical reactions produce sound. He explained, it's nothing strange. Zhang Chun was furious that he couldn't put him in a difficult position. Song Yi continued to explain, besides the reaction itself, the water vapor produced during the heating process also creates sound when it collides. This process involves many reactions similar to those in a battery, but you haven't learned about them yet. Jiang Yubai turned to Luo Jishu and gave him a thumbs up. Your brother is a genius. Song Yi deliberately glanced at Luo Jishu and said, I believe that if classmate Luo Jishu had known the working principle from the beginning, he wouldn't have chosen to use it in such a quiet classroom. He called me classmate Luo Jishu. The title sounded strange, but for some reason, I was a little happy. Although Song Ye's expression was still cold, he didn't seem to blame me at all. Suddenly, Luo Chi Shi felt like spring had arrived. Even though every word was explaining chemistry, everyone understood that he was suddenly protecting me. Suddenly, Song Yi raised a hand and reached over to ruffle his hair. Luo Chi Shi finished his meal as fast as he could and returned to the classroom. He ran quickly into the lecture hall. Song Yi turned to look at him. Luo Chi Shi quickly ran back to his seat. Song Yi continued the lesson. Next is the English review plan. He was so fast that Luo Chi Shi couldn't keep up as soon as he entered the classroom. The other students kept marveling. The senior created a clear and logical mind map in just 10 minutes, and he didn't even need a textbook. He's so proficient. I think the senior is even better than the teacher. Song Yi glanced at his watch and said, "Time is limited, so that's all for today." He called out, "Luo Chi Shi." He said coldly, "Go erase the blackboard." Ever since we were little, my biggest fear was Song Yi ignoring me, especially after I did something wrong. But if he showed any behavior that resembled punishment, he would happily stand up and answer, "Okay." He thought happily to himself, "This proves he's not angry at all." He quickly went up to erase the blackboard, but another student said, "Don't erase it. I'm not done copying." Another student chimed in, "I'm not done either." Song Yi then said to them, "If your phones can be used to send messages, they can probably be used to take pictures, right?" The other students lowered their heads in embarrassment, realizing the senior knew everything. He continued, "Everyone go take a break." Jiang Yubai quickly ran to Luo Chi Shi's side. "Luo, I'll help you erase the board. By the way, Luo, was that rice box tasty?" Luo Chi Shi said, "It was okay. I waited for you for 5 minutes, but I didn't see you come out." He replied with a laugh, "So you waited for me that long. I was wondering why it took so long. I completely forgot about it." Jiang Yubai rolled up his sleeves, pretending to be angry that idiot Zhang Chun was tattling. He even said he was too embarrassed to come back. So annoying. Blaming others just because he can't get the girl. Luo Chi Shi was calmer, saying he'll just be mad for a few days. If the person I liked someone else, I wouldn't be happy either. Then Luo Chi Shi focused on erasing the blackboard again. Luo Chi Shi suddenly remembered and asked, "Do you have your phone?" Jiang Yubai took out his phone and said, "You're only thinking of taking a picture now? It's almost all erased." But Luo Chi Shi took the phone and only took a picture of that calcium hydroxide equation. His expression became much happier. "Thanks. Can you send this picture to me?" Luo Chi Shi was washing his hands in the bathroom. As soon as he reached the doorway, he saw Song Yi waiting for him in the corridor. He stammered, "Bro." He handed him a carton of yogurt. It made him freeze. Luo Chi Shi took it, his face immediately lighting up with a smile as he asked, "Is this for me?" He clearly cared about him, but pretended not to, turning his back and saying, "Qin Yan asked me to give it to you." Luo Chi Shi quickly chased after him and asked, "Then did you know about Qin Yan asking me to join the broadcasting room?" Suddenly, Song Yi stopped in his tracks, causing him to bump right into his shoulder. Song Yi remembered the sweet voice he used when mentioning his best friend, Qin Yan. He kept his back to him and continued to ask, "And then?" Luo Chi Shi replied blankly, "Huh? Nothing. Can I go home with you tonight?" It seems Song Yi was angry. He told him coldly, "Go home by yourself." After saying that, he walked away, leaving Luo Chi Shi frozen in place, not understanding what had just happened. The second period of evening self-study. In Luo Zisher's classroom, other students were taking the opportunity to ask Song Yu for help with their homework. Song Yu fan nudged Luo Zisher and asked, "Why don't you go up and ask something? It's almost your turn." He continued to focus on his notes and replied, "I can ask any time. I'm not going to fight with everyone for it." Song Yu fan enthusiastically praised him. Right. You have the air of an empress." Song Yu asked the student who came up with the question, "Your glasses are so thick. What's your prescription?" He adjusted his glasses and replied, 600 degrees. He returned the book to him and kindly reminded the student to pay attention to his study posture. All of this was witnessed by Luo Zisher, making him seem a little angry. After the tutoring session, Song Yu stood up, said class was dismissed, and quickly walked out of the classroom. Luo Zisher was sullen. He didn't say a single word to me, he thought, sitting sadly with his chin in his hand. That's right. After all, we're not going home together. A passing classmate saw him sitting there blankly and asked, Luo, school's been out for a while. Why aren't you home yet?" He replied, "I'll go home after I finish my chemistry homework." Another classmate then looked out the window and said, "It looks like it's raining." He was startled, but I didn't bring an umbrella. She said, "Let's close the windows first, or the classrooms in the 4th row will be flooded tomorrow." Huxuan closed the windows with him. She asked, Luo, did you bring an umbrella? I can lend you mine. I'm a boarding student anyway. He shyly refused. How could I? You need an umbrella to get back to your dorm too. I'll be fine. The rain should stop soon. Then Huxuan called for the other students to go back together. Let's go back to the dorms early. They were very excited. I have an umbrella. Let's go together. Luo Chi Shi just stood there blankly, watching the rain outside, still not knowing how to get home. He wondered how late Song Yu would stay in the classroom today. In Song Yu's classroom, Chin Yin was holding a pile of test papers and complaining, "I really can't figure out this pile of papers." "Song Yu, can you help me with this question?" he asked, seeing that Song Yu had already packed his bag. "Oh, why are you leaving so early today?" He slung his bag over his shoulder and replied, "It's raining." He walked to the classroom door. Chin Yin, still puzzled, asked, "Isn't it rare for it to rain here?" Song Yu didn't answer and left straight away. It was raining heavily outside. Luo Chi Shi was sitting in a corner, about to eat the yogurt Song Yu had given him earlier. He happily licked the lid. So sweet. His face was beaming with childlike happiness. As expected, the yogurt stuck to the lid is the best part. He was enjoying the delicious yogurt when a person holding an umbrella came to his side. He looked up and saw it was Song Yu, who had come to bring him an umbrella. He asked, "What are you doing here?" He panicked, breaking into a nervous sweat with his mouth still full of yogurt. "I can't just say I sit here for a while every night, can I?" He thought. He had to lie, waiting for the rain to stop and memorizing some words while I'm at it. Song Yu asked again, "What if it doesn't stop?" He mumbled in reply, "It probably will." Luo Chi Shi stood up and asked, "Why did you come over? Didn't you say you wouldn't walk home with me? What's this all about?" Song Yu got angry. He said that for Chin Yin's sake. What a huge pot of jealousy. Song Yu and Luo Chi Shi stood in the corridor, watching the heavy rain outside. Song Yu said, "I dropped my pen in your classroom." Luo Chi Shi turned his head and asked, "Then let's go get it." But he said, "No need. The rain's too heavy. Let's go home first." After saying that, he walked away. Luo Chi Shi hurried to catch up. "Then I'll look for it in the classroom tomorrow and bring it to you, okay?" But he said no need. Luo Chi Shi insisted, "Yes, you do. I'll definitely find it for you. I'll go to the classroom early tomorrow to look." Song Yu, getting a bit impatient, said, "I said no need, so it's no need." Luo Chi Shi stood there blankly, watching him walk towards the main road with a puzzled look. Song Yu said, "The rain's too heavy. We can't ride our bikes. Let's take a taxi home." The two shared an umbrella in the rain, watching the passing vehicles. Luo Chi Shi said, "It's so hard to get a taxi on a rainy day." He suddenly thought, after waiting for so long, even though I just had yogurt, I'm still a bit hungry. Suddenly remembering, he turned to Song Yu and said, "Oh, right, thank you. The yogurt you bought that Chin Yin brought me was really delicious." Then he rubbed his stomach and said shyly, "It's just that there was a little too little." Song Yu then threw an arm over his shoulder and said, "Come closer." As he was pulled along, he asked in surprise, "Are we going home?" He said, "I'm hungry. Let's get something to eat before we go back." Luo Chi Shi immediately lit up with excitement. "I'm a little hungry too. That bento box for lunch was not good at all. I only had a few bites." Song Yu walked into a shop and ordered 2 servings of fried tofu and 1 skewer of each of the remaining seaweed. The kind shop owner reminded them, "It's raining so hard. Eat quickly and go home." He also replied politely, "Thank you." Luo Chi Shi eagerly took the food. Fried tofu is my favorite. He felt very satisfied. The tofu was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, with a rich sauce. Eating this at night feels so blissful. It's so delicious. But then he cried out, "Because I put the food in my mouth too quickly, it's too hot." He was so focused on eating that he forgot, only now looking at Song Yu. He had only eaten 1 skewer. He thought, "Oh no, I accidentally ate it all. There's 1 last skewer left." He handed it to him, "Song Yu for you." But he didn't eat it, saying, "I'm full." Luo Chi Shi certainly didn't mind finishing the last skewer. Okay then. Then he started eating happily, looking very pleased. Song Yu watched him eat with enjoyment, while it still poured rain outside. The two of them huddled under the shop's eaves to eat. After they finished, their luck got much better. Just as they went to throw away the paper box, they immediately hailed a taxi. The two got in a taxi to go home. The radio was playing, "In this city, we have never seen such a transitional period. started, with the rain falling so heavily and so suddenly. Luo Zisher was a bit surprised. Is a radio on? Then the voice continued. Next, we will play a very famous song for everyone. At this moment, Luo Zisher hesitated for a moment and said to Song Yu, actually, today was my first time as a broadcaster. He said curtly, I know. Luo Zisher asked in surprise, what? He said, I heard it. He became very excited again, pouncing on Song Yu and repeatedly asking, really? You heard my voice? He pushed him away and said, sit properly. Luo Zisher thought, I thought he didn't know, but it turns out he heard it, and he even recognized my voice. The song from the car radio began to play. The most beautiful thing isn't the rainy day, but the eaves under which I once took shelter from the rain with you. He asked curiously, what song is this? Song Yu was sitting properly, looking out the car window, the image of the two of them standing under the eaves, eating together, flashing through his mind. Luo Zisher tugged at his sleeve and called out, Guh. He only replied quietly, I don't know. The car sped through the rain, accompanied by the melodious tune that was still playing. Memories swayed back and forth. Dreams are no longer sweet. You said to let go. So love could go further. Why bother changing the time that has already passed? A week later, during a break between classes on campus, Luo Zisher suddenly sneezed. Jiang Yufan patted his shoulder and said, You've become delicate, buddy. Luo Zisher felt a chill and crossed his arms, saying, I didn't expect the temperature to drop so suddenly. I should have worn more. Jiang Yufan continued, It's so cold. Why don't you go home and get a jacket during the lunch break? But Luo Zisher couldn't get away today. The senior has something on today, so Anyubai and I are filling in temporarily. We need to go to the broadcasting room early to review the script. Jiang Yufan looked at him sympathetically. That's rough. How about I bring my jacket for you in the afternoon? Luo Zisher replied, No need, it's fine. As long as I don't leave the classroom, it's okay. Besides, we have a holiday tomorrow. I can get through one day. Shan Yufan put his arm around his shoulder and said, By the way, Zhang Ameng just said it's her birthday tomorrow, and she's inviting the whole class to sing karaoke. Technician, are you going? Luo Zisher was a bit surprised. Huh? Zhang Ameng is the most popular girl in our class. Many classmates have tried to pair us up. Zhang Ameng seems to enjoy it too. Once or twice was fine, but after being teased so much, I started avoiding her unconsciously. Luo Zisher hesitated slightly. Before he could finish, he sneezed again. As he was rubbing his nose, Zhang Ameng ran over and called out, Luo Zisher. She was incredibly enthusiastic. You have to come tomorrow. I've booked a super delicious restaurant. Everyone else has agreed. Our class can't be without you. She excitedly talked about her preparations. We'll go sing karaoke first, then take a walk by the river, and finally go for a late-night snack. Seeing her so happy, Luo Zisher felt a bit awkward. She asked with her bright eyes. You'll come, right? Speaking of delicious food, fried tofu, a famous Wuhan snack, crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, with a rich and fragrant sauce. The sauce is full-bodied, and one bite gives you a burst of flavor. Luo Zisher was busy in the kitchen, cutting the dried tofu into pieces, then making a few slits, frying them until golden brown, and then simmering them on low heat until soft. Remember to use low heat. Don't rush it, Luo Zisher mused. Be careful not to burn your mouth with the sauce, Luo Zisher mused. Refusing her directly would make her lose a lot of face, especially since she invited the whole class. I'll use the excuse of being sick tomorrow and text her that I can't make it. On the sports ground, the students had already assembled, ready to do the 10th set of the National Middle School Broadcast Calisthenics. Luo Zisher stood at the back, watching Song Yu doing the exercises in front of him. He thought, thank goodness, at least he's wearing the autumn school uniform. Everyone always complains that this uniform is baggy, but it looks so good on Song Yu. The exercises ended. As Song Yu was about to enter the classroom, Qin Yin chased after him, calling out, Hey, wait. Seeing Luo Zisher running towards them, he whispered to Song Yu, Oh, your Luo is here. Luo Zisher ran over and said, Senior, I forgot to tell you, I changed my broadcasting partner today. Luo Zisher was slightly taken aback by the way Song Yu was staring intently at him. He was completely calm, expressionless, just watching. Qin Yin answered for Luo Zisher, Okay, I got it. He also casually pulled a candy from Luo Zisher's bag and asked, What's this? Luo Zisher replied, Rainbow candy. I bought it at the convenience store. Do you want some? Here, Qin Yin, I'll give it to you as a thank you for the yogurt last time. Before he could finish, a cold wind blew past. fast, making him sneeze. Xinyan happily took the candy box and said, "That's great then. Can I have some?" But before he could eat it, a hand snatched the candy box from him. Song Yu quickly threw the candy box back to Luo Chi Shi. "Here you go." To their shock and Xinyan's surprise, he pulled Xinyan away, scolding him. "What's there to eat? Let's go to class." Xinyan said angrily, "Wow, really you just can't stand seeing someone be nice to me, can you?" Luo Chi Shi was dumbfounded, looking completely bewildered. "Wow, really?" Suddenly Xinyan realized, wait, what yogurt did he mention just now? Song Yu cursed at him. "Are you nuts?" Luo Chi Shi stood in the middle of the sports ground, feeling extremely cold. Suddenly, someone called him Luo Chi Shi. Song Yu was taking off his jacket. He flung it open and draped it directly over Luo Chi Shi's head. "I told you to wear it." Passing classmates saw Luo Chi Shi and couldn't help but exclaim with envy, "Wow, Luo, is that your brother's jacket? It seems Senior Song Yu is really good to you." His friend's words made him blush with embarrassment. He jumped up and down happily, surprising his classmates. He sat down, giggling to himself. "We clearly use the same laundry detergent, but I always feel it's a bit different. Song Yu is always different." That night at school, Luo Chi Shi was still coughing. Cough, cough. Zhang Ameng walked over to him with concern. "Are you not feeling well? You're still riding your bike. The wind on the way home will definitely make you sicker. My driver is waiting outside. How about I give you a ride home?" Luo Chi Shi quickly refused. "We don't live in the same direction, and my home is very close, just a short walk away." Zhang Ameng grabbed his hand and said, "You don't have to be so polite with me. If it's close, it'll be even faster by car." He continued to cough, cough, cough. He paused, thought for a moment, then turned to her and said, "I heard it's going to rain this weekend. I don't want to leave my bike at school to get rained on for 2 days. Maybe next time." Zhang Ameng was full of regret, but could only say, "All right then." Luo Chi Shi got home and excitedly called out to Uncle Song, "Uncle." His uncle asked him carefully, "What's wrong with your voice? Do you have a cold?" His uncle immediately noticed Luo Chi Shi was wearing Song Yu's jacket. He said proudly, "Song Yu is quite the big brother." He pointed to the kitchen and said, "Go have some hot congee. Your Auntie Rong made a pot of tangerine peel and red bean congee, and there's roasted pork too." Luo Chi Shi's eyes lit up with excitement. Okay, he began to eat heartily. Uncle Song asked, "Any plans for this weekend?" "Want to go fishing with me at Liangzi Lake. Your Auntie Rong is going too." He then asked, "Is he going?" Auntie Rong came downstairs and said, "Your brother isn't free tomorrow. He has to participate in the speech competition for the city-level Merit Student Award." Uncle Song didn't know much about his studies and asked, "Is the process for selecting merit students so complicated now?" Auntie Rong chided him, "You don't even know this? I heard last year's winner got it through connections, so the review is especially strict this year, and they've added a competition." Luo Chi Shi was very confident in his brother. Song Yu will definitely be selected. Auntie Rong was also very confident in her son. Of course, but she also added, "But it doesn't matter if he wins or not. Caring too much about winning and losing only adds pressure." Uncle Song also said, "You're not going fishing tomorrow, are you?" But Auntie Rong stopped him. "Don't. Your son already said he doesn't want us to follow, so let's not get too involved." Auntie Rong asked Luo Chi Shi, Luo, what are you doing tomorrow?" He was holding a bowl of hot congee and replied, I don't know yet." Uncle Song, wanting to gossip, said, "It seems this little guy is quite busy too, huh?" Auntie Rong, equally eager to gossip, asked curiously, "What's making our little handsome boy so troubled?" He just stammered, "It's nothing, just a classmate asked me out tomorrow." Suddenly, Song Yu came home. Auntie Rong immediately called him, "Song Yu, come have some congee." Turning her head, she had already forgotten what they were talking about. The date tomorrow, right? The whole family was sitting at the dining table. Song Yu had just returned. Luo Chi Shi, sitting in the middle of the table, awkwardly waved his hands in denial. "It's not a date. A classmate invited our whole class to his birthday party." Song Yu calmly walked into the kitchen and poured a glass of water. The lively conversation reached his ears. "Boy or girl?" The light eating song. You leaned against the counter, holding a glass of water in one hand, looking relaxed. Suddenly, his father's voice caught Song Yu's attention. "Zhang Iming's family's daughter. You must know her." Song Yu's gaze flickered slightly towards the dining table. Not far away, Luo Chi Shi also looked over at this moment, thinking Song Yu doesn't like sweets. Beside him, the Song parents continued, "Ah, the daughter of Zhang Pengyuan from the Chamber of Commerce. I've met her. Go ahead, you should relax on the weekend too." Luo Chi Shi wasn't paying much attention, his eyes fixed on the beef jerky behind Song Yu. On the other side, Song Yu casually picked up a piece of jerky and ate it. The Song parents continue to chatter. Is Zhang Pingyuan's daughter pretty? A very pretty girl. Suddenly, Lin Rong teased, oh really? Is she interested in our Luo? She then nudged Luo Zishur, who was startled by the push. Seeing his reaction, Song Yu gave a mysterious little smile. Immediately after, Luo Zishur denied it, of course not. Lin Rong laughed and said, look, he's getting shy. Song Jin, sitting opposite him, said dotingly, Luo is still young. Don't tease him. Luo Zishur walked into the kitchen, went up to Song Yu, glanced at him, and said, Song Yu, your jacket. Song Yu replied expressionlessly, just throw it in the washing machine. I'm going upstairs. At this moment, Song Jin turned his head and said helplessly, Luo, don't be like your brother. He's just sullen and doesn't like to talk. He'll be at a disadvantage when he meets someone he likes in the future. However, he didn't forget to tease Luo Zishur. You still have to learn from your uncle when it comes to chasing girls. Hearing this, Lin Rong burst out laughing. Oh please, don't listen to him brag. Song Jin quickly retorted, hey, how is it bragging? I put in a lot of effort to chase you back then. Luo Zishur came before the two, smiled awkwardly, and then added, I'm full. Walking out of there, Luo Zishur glanced at Song Yu's school bag not far away and thought, big brother forgot his bag. The next second, Luo Zishur was jogging, holding Song Yu's bag, and hurriedly ran upstairs. He knocked on Song Yu's door. After a while, seeing that Song Yu didn't come to open it, Luo Zishur muttered to himself, can't big brother hear me? Luo Zishur pressed his ear against the door, trying to hear any movement inside. There was the sound of water. It seems to have stopped again. Could be that big brother. Suddenly, the door opened, interrupting his thoughts. Because it was so sudden, Luo Zishur lost his balance and stumbled forward, straight into Song Yu's firm chest. At this moment, he was only wrapped in a simple bath towel, revealing his very alluring upper body. Luo Zishur was startled. He gently looked up at Song Yu. His eyes met Song Yu's, seeing Song Yu with his arms open, looking so handsome. Luo Zishur's face unconsciously turned red. His eyes were fixed on Song Yu. Suddenly, a drop of water dripped from Song Yu's hair onto Luo Zishur's forehead, startling him back to his senses. Luo Zishur stepped back, blushing. He awkwardly averted his gaze, held up the school bag, and said, Xiao Yu Ji, your bag. Song Yu replied softly, thanks. Luo Zishur's mind went blank. All the words he wanted to say suddenly vanished. Luo Zishur felt confused in his heart. They used to bathe together often when they were kids. Although it was a long time ago, seeing Song Yu like this, Luo Zishur couldn't help but feel embarrassed. He turned around and hastily made an excuse to run away. Good night, I'm going back to my room. Suddenly, Song Yu reached out and grabbed Luo Zishur by the collar, pulling him back, leaving Luo Zishur confused. Song Yu said, wait a minute. Only then did Song Yu speak up to remind him, my clothes. Luo Zishur stood opposite Song Yu and asked in confusion, didn't you tell me to throw it in the washing machine? Hearing this, Song Yu immediately replied, since you're already at the door, just take it off directly. Luo Zishur obediently said, okay. Luo Zishur slowly took off the jacket he was wearing. Song Yu watched him intently, his gaze as if contemplating something unpredictable. Luo Zishur obediently took off the jacket and handed it to Song Yu with sparkling eyes. Seeing this, Song Yu said in confusion, what are you doing? Luo Zishur smiled brightly and answered innocently, I'm afraid you'll catch a cold. Hearing this, Song Yu looked at him silently, not answering. I'm leaving. Song Yu opened the door and walked out of the house. Today the sky is so clear, with fluffy clouds drifting with the gentle breeze. The trees swayed as if dancing to welcome the new day. He hastily straightened his sleeves. At this moment, Luo Zishur immediately stood up and left the dining table, a small piece of bread still in his mouth. Annie Rong, I'm leaving too. Annie Rong asked worriedly, aren't you going to eat a little more? Or are you guys going to a party at noon? He grabbed the black jacket from the chair, put it on hastily, and put on a black mask. Seeing him like this, Annie Rong was sweating with anxiety. Honey, are you going to a birthday celebration or to cause trouble? No time to talk. I'm going to be late. This city is so bustling, with people coming and going, while he was busy following behind his brother. You didn't want to go to the birthday party in the first place, and what's more, he was going to give a speech, so it was even more impossible for you to go. But he had already refused the company of Uncle Song and Annie Rong, so it was even less your turn. So you could only resort to this, secretly following him. You thought there would be a lot of people in the hall, so you wouldn't be discovered hiding inside. So you quietly followed behind him, sometimes hiding behind an old man, sometimes behind a passerby looking at their phone. Song Yu, dressed in black, stood in the pink train car, giving off a very disharmonious and strange feeling, like a natural barrier separating everything, like a stark black dot in a pink bubble. At this moment, you didn't even realize that you were also very conspicuous. Dressed in all black like this, all eyes in the car were staring at your strange behavior. Arriving at Station 20. Doors will open on the left. You got off the car and walked up the steps. There were too many people here, making it a bit difficult for you to keep up with him. The air was too stuffy, so you had to take off your mask. Just then, you noticed a mother with a large suitcase leading her child. She was being complained about by a man behind her. Hey, honestly, please make way. It's too crowded. The lady awkwardly moved aside to make way. You went up and offered to help her with the suitcase. You carried the suitcase step by step. You could just put it here. Thank you so much. The lady thanked you repeatedly and quietly praised you for being handsome and kind. It's nothing, just a small gesture. Next time you can take your child directly to the elevator. It's safer. After the conversation, they said goodbye. Goodbye, big brother. The child waved goodbye politely. You also waved goodbye, smiling brightly, a happy smile after doing a good deed. You suddenly realized you were tailing him. Looking around for that tall figure, you had lost him. You walked into a milk tea shop dejectedly, treating this trip as a morning walk. Green milk tea, half sugar, with coconut jelly. You feel that sweets can always cheer you up. Reaching into your pocket for your phone to pay, you realized you had left it on the sofa. You froze for a moment. You tried to see if you had any spare change, but couldn't find a single coin. Just as you were about to cancel the milk tea, the staff handed you the cup. Then there was a moment of silence. The server just asked, payment method? As you were getting anxious about forgetting your wallet, as you were panicking about not having money to pay, a familiar voice came from behind. Song Yu stood behind you, holding his phone to scan the QR code for payment with a cold expression. You stared at him blankly and said, "Guh." After getting the milk tea, Song Yu inserted the straw and started drinking. You said blankly from behind, "Hey, that's my milk tea." He didn't answer you, saying, "It's too sweet." "Is it still sweet with that much sugar?" You replied. He handed the milk tea to you. You continue to ask, "How did you end up here?" He replied, "Came to pick up something that was dropped." He pointed at you and asked, "Why are you following me?" You stammered, not knowing how to answer. I just wanted to see. I didn't plan to disturb you. I was going to go back on my own after watching. You didn't let Uncle and Annie come, so you definitely wouldn't let me come, so I had to follow you secretly." You continued, "Besides, you didn't even tell me." He turned his head and asked, "Tell you what?" You replied, "About you participating in the city-level merit student speech competition, of course." "I almost didn't even know." Hearing you say that, he replied, "Because someone with a date is not on my list of people to notify." Hearing this, he shouted, "I don't have a date. I didn't agree to go." Song Yu, you always misunderstand me, just like last time in the school infirmary. As he was speaking, he noticed someone on a bike speeding past and quickly pulled him in, replying, "I know. Watch the road, social butterfly," he said, while holding him tightly. Hearing him say that, he thought angrily, "Social butterfly? Is he mocking me? He must be." Then he continued, "Next time you follow me secretly, remember to bring your phone. Otherwise, if you get lost again, I'm not sure if I can find you again." He froze when he heard the word again. The scene switched to his childhood. He had gotten lost once as a child. At that time, Song Yu was 8 and he was 5. He pulled on Song Yu's hand and said, "Song Yu, I want ice cream." The two went to an ice cream shop. Song Yu said, "I want a sweet one, please." While he was waiting for him to buy the ice cream, he was attracted by a bunch of balloons. Song Yu, just after buying the ice cream, found that he was gone. He looked around anxiously, frantically calling his name, Luo Chi Shi. The amusement park's broadcast came on. "Little friend Luo Chi Shi. Little friend Luo Chi Shi. If you hear this broadcast, we ask all visitors to please look out for a lost little boy with curly hair." The amusement park staff led him back to his side, saying, "Don't be scared, little one. It's okay now. Your big brother's waiting for you." He recalled that memory. He had always thought that incident made him afraid of getting lost, afraid of being left behind, but he didn't know what kind of memory that incident had left for Song Yu. He only remembered that when the staff led him to see Song Yu, The tears on his face hadn't dried yet. At that time, Song Yu's eyes were also filled with tears, and he was holding a nearly melted ice cream as he looked at him. He continued to think, that was the first and last time I saw Song Yu cry. Back in the present, at the city's 20th Youth Federation Hall, an administrator was asking, "What is your relationship with the student?" The person in front of him answered, "Family." "Yes, we are his parents." When it was Song Yu and Luo Chi Shi's turn, Song Yu said, "Paya High School, Song Yu." The staff member said cheerfully, "This must be his older brother." He replied softly, "Family." The staff member was puzzled, thinking, "Brothers? They don't look alike at all." Thinking this, he said out loud, "Here is your audience pass. After entering, please follow the volunteer's instructions to your seat." "Thank you." Luo Chi Shi happily took the pass. Inside the hall, a volunteer led the two to their seats. "You can sit here." He replied, "Okay, thank you." Suddenly, a boy walked over and said, "Song Yu, long time no see." Song Yu looked at the unfamiliar boy before him, his expression surprised and curious. Xia Shishu and Shu Yisun came forward, and Xia Shishu smiled and waved at Song Yu. Song Yu turned and said, "Xia Shishu, you and Shu Yisun both came? Does Jingtian High have 2 competition slots?" Hearing this, Xia Shishu replied with a smile, "You can't pin this all on me. Yisun and I were put in different classes in our second year. He's in liberal arts, and I'm in science. I don't think that's enough." Xia Shishu pouted and said, "If word what you said got out, people would think Jingtian High is up to some shady business." Xia Shishu then naturally draped his arm over Shu Yisun's shoulder and said happily, "But the inter-school basketball tournament was back in our first year, so it's normal you didn't know we were in different classes." Suddenly, Xia Shishu's gaze shifted to Luo Chi Shi beside them and asked, "And this is?" Seeing Luo Chi Shi's slight surprise, he quickly greeted the senior, "I'm family." Hearing this, Xia Shishu burst out laughing. Seeing his friend's embarrassment, Shu Yisun quickly nudged Xia Shishu's shoulder. Xia Shishu said with a laugh, "Sorry about that. I misunderstood just now. It's mainly because you two don't look alike at all." The next second, Xia Shishu was chattering endlessly around Luo Chi Shi. "This little brother must be mixed race, right? His skin is so fair, and his eyes are so beautiful. Is he a cousin? Don't tell me you're the neighbor's kid." Seeing this, Luo Chi Shi answered frankly, "I'm not his younger brother. I live at his house. What did you misunderstand?" Song Yu looked at him with a profound, inscrutable gaze. Noticing his stare, Xia Shishu froze slightly. Seeing this, Song Yu immediately shot Xia Shishu a warning glance that "You're sweating. What's wrong?" A second later, Xia Shishu awkwardly turned to Shu Yisun and said, "I wish I had such a cute little brother too. I've always wanted one." Shu Yisun replied with a smile, "I'd like one too." Hearing this, Luo Chi Shi thought helplessly, "I already said I'm not his little brother." Shu Yisun glanced at him, then extended a hand and said with a smile, "I'm Shu Yisun. You haven't told me your name yet." Seeing this, Luo Chi Shi quickly shook Shu Yisun's hand and replied, "My name is Luo Chi Shi." He thought to himself. His eyes seemed to be veiled in a layer of mist, making him look like a melancholic, tragic character from a manga. Hearing this, Shu Yisun smiled. "The Jisher from A Good Rain knows its season." Xia Shishu chimed in, "I like that poem too, but I wasn't born on a rainy day." Suddenly, Xia Shishu interrupted, "You really can't break that habit of analyzing people's names. Let me tell you they are." As he spoke, Xia Shishu pointed to the two of them. "The Shur from the stone from another mountain, and the Yu from can be used to polish jade." Hearing this, Luo Chi Shi's eyes immediately lit up. He turned to look at Song Yu innocently, thinking, "So my name and Song Yu's name are connected. I never even noticed." Seeing this, Song Yu quickly cut Xia Shishu off. "What nonsense are you spouting? The speeches are about to start. Let's go." Hearing this, the three of them turned to leave. Before leaving, Song Yu didn't forget to remind Luo Chi Shi, "You stay here and don't run off, okay?" Luo Chi Shi obediently replied, "Okay." Watching the departing backs of Xia Shishu and Shu Yisun, Luo Chi Shi couldn't help but think, those two seniors are like that twin-stick popsicle I used to eat as a kid. You have to break it to separate them. Looking at Song Yu, he thought, Senior Song Yu is like the one stick that's left after it's been broken off, all alone. The speeches went very smoothly. The participants were all outstanding students, and Xia Shishu and Shu Yisun were no exception. But in Luo Chi Shi's eyes, Song Yu was different from everyone else. When he was on stage, he was more dazzling than anyone, making Luo Chi Shi watch him without blinking. He didn't know what was different, only feeling that even the spotlight was gathered on Song Yu. After the speeches, the four of them walked back side by side. With his hands in his pockets, Xia Shishu said with a smile, "The results will be announced in 2 weeks. How are you feeling, Songyu?" "Confident." Songyu replied casually, "It's all right." Suddenly, it started to pour. Seeing this, Luo Chi Shi immediately panicked. Why did it suddenly start raining? None of the four had brought an umbrella. The rain poured down, and the four of them, without umbrellas, just stood there blankly in the rain. Xia Shishu spoke up. "There's a Japanese restaurant across the street." He pointed ahead as he spoke, then continued with a smile, "Let's go get something to eat. Maybe the rain will stop by the time we're done." As he spoke, he took off his jacket and draped it over Shu Isin. The two of them ran towards a restaurant, saying, "We'll go on ahead," leaving Songyu and Luo Chi Shi standing there blankly. Seeing what they did, Luo Chi Shi took off his jacket, turned to Songyu, and said, "For you." Songyu asked, "What for?" Luo Chi Shi smiled innocently and said, "To copy them." As he spoke, he handed the jacket to Songyu and continued, "I still have another jacket. This can help shield you from the rain." Songyu looked at him thoughtfully for a moment and then spoke. "We're not the same as them." Luo Chi Shi asked, puzzled why. "Because they're friends, and we're brothers." Then Songyu took off his jacket and gave it back to him, saying, "They're not friends, and we're not brothers." As he spoke, he took the jacket and put it back on him. A thought flashed through his mind. Ever since we were little, I've found that Songyu always says things I don't understand. I always have to ponder what he really means. The scene changes to the restaurant. He rested his chin on his hand, lost in thought for a long time. Seeing him like this, Xia Shishu said, "What are you thinking about, Lele?" Luo Chi Shi was startled, turned to look at him, and replied, "Huh." Xia Shishu continued, "Do you want something to drink?" "No, thank you. I just had bubble tea." Luo Chi Shi replied happily. Xia Shishu responded, "Really?" He looked at the menu and quickly ordered 2 lemon cokes. "This daifuka looks good. 1 order of that. And also a castella cake dorayaki with red bean paste and matcha." Seeing this, Songyu asked, "Are you here for Japanese food or dessert?" Xia Shishu smiled and replied, my bad. Shu Isin has hypoglycemia, so he especially loves sweets. I've gotten used to ordering like this when I eat with him." He glanced at Shu Isin as he spoke, then continued, "Lele, see what you want to eat. The ramen here is pretty good." Songyu quickly snatched the menu and said, "He's allergic to wheat. He can't eat noodles." Looking at the menu in Songyu's hand, Luo Chi Shi thought, this are all things I like to eat. Xia Shishu continued, "Poor Lele can't even drink beer, can he?" Shu Isin then handed him a cup of tea and said, "You're not old enough to drink beer yet. The daifuku isn't made with wheat flour. The skin is made of glutinous rice flour, and it's filled with fruit and fresh cream. Maybe you'll like it." Lele replied happily, "I like to eat glutinous rice." He thought to himself, I really like these 2 seniors too. A male waiter came out with 2 drinks and said, "Your lemon cokes." Xia Shishu replied, "Thank you." Seeing this, he thought, they're very friendly, not the least bit curious or prying, which makes one feel very comfortable. Xia Shishu took the drink from the waiter, used a spoon to scoop an ice cube from Shu Isin's cup into his own, and said, "I'm just taking one, okay?" Shu Isin watched his action with a reluctant look on his face. Seeing this, Xia Shishu said, "You should drink less ice stuff. You're going to eat spicy food later. It'll be bad if you get a stomachache." Watching this scene, Luo Chi Shi thought, I have friends too like Jiang Yufan, but the way Jiang Yufan and I are together seems different from these two. It's like there's an invisible string connecting them, from fingertip to fingertip, from the corner of the mouth to the corner of the mouth, from the brow to the brow. Strings are tangled everywhere. If one person moves, it pulls the other along too. It's so strange. He picked up his teacup and continued to think. Compared to such a magical relationship, it seems even stranger that I'm able to notice it. By this time, the food had all arrived, and the 4 of them were talking and laughing. "You did really well on your midterms. I heard them say your score was frighteningly high." "It was all right. Have you decided what you want to do in college?" He listened to the 3 seniors chat as he ate. Suddenly someone asked, "Lele is eating very happily, isn't he?" "Because of my allergies, there are very few things I can eat, so I have to eat with extra concentration to taste the flavors, and I have to eat a bit more so I don't lose out compared to others," Luo Chi Shi said happily. As soon as Luo Chi Shi finished speaking, Songyu turned to him with a serious face, a hint of concern in his voice. "You're just making excuses for being gluttonous. I told you to eat slower. Have some tea. You won't be able to eat without drinking something. After he spoke, Luo Chi Shi said, "Oh," and reached out to take the cup of water he was handing him. Seeing this, the two sitting opposite him were filled with affection that you're being too fierce as an older brother. Xia Shishu gently chided him, then used his chopsticks to give him a piece of sushi, saying comfortingly, "Don't mind him. Eat this foie gras sushi. It has a slice of apple on top. It's delicious." Luo Chi Shi happily accepted it. "Thank you, senior." Faced with this gesture, Song Yu could only watch helplessly, unable to say a word. "By the way, I heard everyone mentioning college plans just now. Xia Shishu, what are your plans?" "I quite like studying information technology." "As for where to study it," Xia Shishu paused mid-sentence, then unexpectedly rested his head on Shu Isen's shoulder and continued, "I'll study wherever Shu Isen studies. We've already discussed it. We'll probably go to school in Beijing." After he finished, Shu Isen used his fingers to push Xia Shishu's head off his shoulder. "Who discussed it with you?" The interaction between the two made Luo Chi Shi inadvertently notice that Senior Xia's ears seemed to have turned red. He thought to himself. After hearing Xia Shishu and Shu Isen's answers, he turned to Song Yu. "Senior Song Yu, what about you?" "I haven't decided yet. Doesn't a third of the students at your Paya go abroad for university every year without taking the college entrance exam?" Xia Shishu said. He replied while picking up some food, "Not that many. That's an exaggeration. Are you going abroad? Aren't you preparing for the exam now?" "No." As soon as Xia Shishu finished speaking, Luo Chi Shi looked at him with a very surprised and stunned expression. "Going abroad? It's not certain yet," he said it, as so it's possible that Song Yu will go to university abroad. He muttered to himself. Hearing their stories, a series of questions popped into Luo Chi Shi's mind, and he had an internal struggle. How many years does it take to attend university abroad? Can you only come home during holidays? How many vacation days are there in a year? He thought, then sighed in disappointment. Seeing Luo Chi Shi spacing out and not eating, Song Yu reminded him, "What are you spacing out for?" "Not eating anymore." Luo Chi Shi was startled. I'm eating. Then he gave Song Yu a fried shrimp. "This fried shrimp looks delicious. It's a pity it's coated in flour. I can't eat it." Suddenly, Xia Shishu unexpectedly asked him, "Lele will go straight to high school, right? Come to Jingtian with us. My family is great at Jingtian." Shu Isen added, "At Paya, you don't need extra studies, and there are many extracurricular activities." He said excitedly, "That's right. He doesn't want to study extra either. No matter which high school I go to, and no matter where Song Yu goes to university, we will eventually be separated. If he really goes abroad for a few years, I don't know when we'll see each other again." He silently lowered his head and looked at the sushi in his bowl. He thought sadly. After a heavy downpour, the rain stopped, and it was time for the four of them to pay the bill and leave. "I said I'd pay. I have to make you owe me a meal, so I have an excuse to cash it in later," Xia Shishu said jokingly to Song Yu. "All right." Then Xia Shishu hurried to pay the bill. "Table 81, check please." "Please wait a moment." While waiting to pay, Xia Shishu and Shu Isen's hands accidentally brushed against each other. Both were startled and pulled their hands back, then blushed shyly. Over here, Song Yu noticed the sadness on Luo Chi Shi's face. He thought to himself, didn't he always used to be so happy and satisfied when he ate something delicious? Why does he look so sad and unhappy today? Is he still thinking about that fried shrimp? Then he comforted him. Today's fried shrimp was just average. We still have some of that rice flour left. We can fry some ourselves at home tomorrow. Then the two fell into silence, neither speaking to the other. After paying the bill, the four of them parted ways to go home. We're not going the same way, so we can't take the same subway. We'll be leaving first. Let's get together again when we have time. Then the two said goodbye to Luo Chi Shi and Song Yu. Leaving? Okay. Luo Chi Shi also enthusiastically said goodbye to the two. Goodbye, Brother Xia. Goodbye, Brother Shu. Little Lele is so likable, not like that Song Jiayo, who's always moping around with the weight of the world on his shoulders. Even when saying goodbye to Luo Chi Shi, Xia Shishu had to throw in a complaint about Song Yu. Only then was he satisfied. On the bus ride home, don't they say that mixed-race people are usually tall? Why haven't I grown taller than Song Yu yet? Is the age gap causing the height gap? He thought with a sigh. Seeing his strange behavior, Song Yu asked, what are you spacing out for? With that worried look, do you think my speech was bad and I don't have a chance of being selected? Of course not, he said, then thought for a moment, turned his head and asked him, Brother Song Yu, are you really going abroad? He looked in his eyes and thought, so that's what this is about. He said, I haven't decided yet. He said loudly and anxiously, "Can you just not consider it?" He replied, "What do you think?" He replied, "I don't think so." He thought, but since Brother Songyu said that, he must not have decided to go abroad yet. Otherwise, he would have just announced it to everyone directly. He forced a smile, thinking this, and felt a little better. Then he looked at a couple next to them, looking at each other happily. He silently recalled the earlier memory that aren't they friends? What did he mean when he said they weren't friends? He replied casually, "Not just ordinary friends." You said, "I can tell they have a really good relationship." A scene from my memory is you sharing your hat with me in the rain. We're not brothers either. So if we're not real brothers, being friends is good too. You took his hand, looked at him, and said, "Let's be not so ordinary friends too." He looked at you, and he said, "I don't make friends with little kids." You tugged on his sleeve and said, "Then when I grow up, will Brother Songyu be friends with me?" You looked at him, then at the reflection in the glass, and thought, "I want to grow up quickly." You said, "Brother, there's a seat. Let's sit down." After sitting down, he started texting Xia Shishu. You thought to yourself, "I'm so sleepy." You started to doze off, not knowing if it was from being too full or a side effect of the cold medicine you took this morning, making you so sleepy. Thinking this, you dozed off and almost fell onto the old lady next to you. Then a hand grabbed your collar and placed your head on his shoulder. He watched you sleep. Suddenly, a girl standing opposite them, holding her phone, thought, "It's rare to see handsome guys on the subway, and two at once. Should I post it with the tag #handsome guys on the subway?" Just as she was about to post, he glanced at her, startling her into thinking, "Oh no, I've been found out." He looked at her thoughtfully, then pulled up the hood of your jacket to cover your head. He looked at you and thought, "You always fall asleep on vehicles. You still haven't changed this bad habit, just like when you were little. And your tracking skills are still at a kindergarten level." Then he glanced at the couple hiding behind him. He smiled and took out his phone to take a picture, making them panic. He pressed send and looked at his phone, thinking I was going to send a candid photo to scare her, but who knew this kid forgot to even bring his phone? His reaction is too slow. It's too late to unsend it now. Smelling the scent of osmanthus that filled every corner of the street, in that small alley, grew two large osmanthus trees. One was a clear, golden yellow osmanthus, and the other was an osmanthus tree with deep red patterns and color. Annie Roan called out to Luo Chi Shi and Songyu under the tree to come pick the osmanthus flowers. Every month during the long holiday, she would call you and him to pick flowers, and the two of you would be woken up early in the morning. Coincidentally, both of you were wearing matching sweaters that Annie Roan bought last year. Songyu in black and Luo Chi Shi in white. Lin Rong spoke up, "Call a little ukulele, come out and knock down the osmanthus flowers." Around the osmanthus tree in the yard, Lin Rong spread a large, clean cloth on the ground. The two of you used a thin bamboo pole to hit the branches, and the yellow flowers fell down along with their fragrance. Since he was little, Luo Chi Shi had loved this activity. Although other flowers were also fragrant, osmanthus was different. Its scent also carried a sweetness, as if it were connected to the sense of taste. Annie Rong smiled and wrapped up the cloth full of osmanthus flowers, saying, "That's enough, that's enough. There's not much left. Let's leave some to enjoy the fragrance." And he ran to her side, and you exclaimed, "So many flowers are enough to make osmanthus cake and osmanthus sugar, and then soak it in sugar." Songyu stood by without a word. He put down the bamboo pole. He tilted his head and saw that Luo Chi Shi's messy hair was covered with golden osmanthus flowers, like the caramel on a sakuma. So he used the bamboo pole to tap you on the head. You were startled, clutched the back of your head, and quickly turned around, sending osmanthus flowers scattering to the ground. But you still saw Songyu hiding the bamboo pole. "Did you hit me?" Songyu showed no intention of admitting it, holding the bamboo pole behind his back with both hands, not saying a word. You ran to Lin Rong to complain. "Annie Rong, brother hit my head." She saw you running over, smiled gently, and reminded you, "Oh my, be careful not to step on the flowers." But you still accidentally stepped on the cloth. You slipped and pitched forward. Luckily, he caught you, so you didn't fall. He said to him gently, "Don't be naughty." He retorted, "But you teased me first." He held his elbow to help him stand steady and replied gently, "I was just reminding you, you have a lot of flowers in your hair." He looked back at him and pointed at his own head. You do too. The two of them bowed their heads together, brushing the osmanthus flowers off themselves. They had picked about 2 large basins of flowers, mixed with many dried flowers and stems. The three of them began to sort them while sitting at the kitchen table. Mama Rome told them to pick out all the withered flowers, stems, and receptacles. Come on, you 2 little helpers, he said as he sorted. The petals are smaller than grains of rice. My eyes are going blurry from sorting. Suddenly, he seemed to realize something that I know now, why this is so delicious. It's not the flowers that are delicious, it's the time. Mama Rome exclaimed, Lele, you're so right. The time we put in makes the food more delicious. It's the same with everything we do. Suddenly, Sonya recalled a memory from their childhood, how he would read him a bedtime story every night. He probably doesn't remember it anymore, but those things were still as clear as if they were carved in his mind. He recalled what she had said. It is the time you have wasted for your rose that makes your rose so important. Sometimes he would wonder if their relationship was the same. The time spent together, was it now the price for creating this irreplaceable relationship? The golden osmanthus flowers had been sorted and were glistening in the basin. After being washed and dried, they were both beautiful and clean. The processed flowers were divided in half. One half for making osmanthus sugar, the other for osmanthus syrup. The method for making osmanthus sugar was simple. A thick layer of osmanthus flowers was alternated with a layer of white sugar. Then a little white wine was poured in, the lid was sealed, and finally, it was refrigerated. Sigh, he said, staring at the glass jar. That's too much sugar. Mama Rome saw this and said, You study so hard at school. You should eat more sweets. The remaining flours were used to make osmanthus cake, she said as she made the pastries. He turned to Songyu and held up a glass jar, saying, Brother Songyu, I want to give a jar to Shu Isan. Mama Wong said from the side, Yes, those 2 kids deserve a reward, don't they? The last time he mentioned it, I also felt that little Shu is a pitiful child. I didn't expect something like that to happen before high school. If it were any other child, I'm afraid they wouldn't even be able to attend school. Songyu fell silent. His first reaction was to look at Lin Rome. Lin Rome realized something and changed the subject. But this child is smart. He's definitely Tsinghua or Peking University material in the future. But even so, it didn't escape Luo Chi Shi's notice. Just as Songyu expected, he asked directly what happened. Nothing. Songyu helped his mother pour the osmanthus syrup, his tone calm. He was in a car accident after his middle school entrance exam, and he was seriously injured. He was a little surprised, really. He thought to himself, when the accident happened, he was the same age as me. But he couldn't bring himself to say the 3 words, how pitiful, because he didn't like to say them, nor did he want to hear them. After thinking about it, he remembered his calm demeanor. He thought to himself, I must choose the best jar to bring to him. Finally, the results of the city's middle school entrance exam were announced. He looked at the list of the city's 3 good students and showed off to Jiang Yufan, See, I told you I'd win an award. Then he remembered Yufan took a few pictures and sent them to him. The brown-haired girl asked, I'm going on a business trip with your Uncle Song for a few days. Will you and your brother be okay at home? Lele replied, Don't worry, I'm the most well-behaved. Then he went into the study. Walking along the school corridor, he was thinking about bringing a jar of osmanthus sugar to Jiang Yufan. He's always on time for morning self-study. He must not be here yet. Yufan approached Jishir and spoke to him. What's this? It looks delicious. Jishir replied, It's... Then someone whistled loudly at his backpack. He swayed and almost dropped the pan in his hand. Luckily, he held on to the bottle tightly. That was close. The group of people walked away laughing, saying, Behave yourself. Then Yufan went to comfort him. Ignore them. He continued, That's Wang Ji from the class next door, a total hooligan. That short one is a student who skipped a grade. I think they're called Chung Mingming. They're always being bullied. He turned his head and asked why. Yufan whispered, I heard their family is rich, but they were raised by their grandparents. I don't know how those hooligans in their class found out, but they're always extorting money from them. He continued, If you've got guts, go pick a fight with someone big. What's so great about bullying a kid who doesn't have parents to look after them? Jishir threw his backpack and the jar of sugar in his hand to Yufan. He said, Exactly. He shouted, Hey, isn't that you? And Jishir, no matter how he shouted, he kept walking. He walked up to the people standing at the door, and someone stopped him, asking, What do you want? He replied, To wash my hands. The person leaned against someone and said, Wash them later. Can't you see we're busy here? He feigned cluelessness. Busy with what? Which left the person speechless. He pushed the person aside. The person shouted, You can't come in. What are you doing? We're extorting money here. The leader spoke up, Is this all you have? The guy said, behave, hand over all your money, or we'll beat you up. Ming spoke up. This is really all I have. He came up from behind and shouted, classmate Wang Ji. Wang Ji turned around and answered casually, what? He said, there are 15 minutes until morning self-study starts. Wang Ji replied impatiently, damn it, do I need you to remind me? You model students should mind your own business. He sighed, his gaze firm. Don't bully my classmate. The atmosphere grew tense. The guy sneered, aren't you Luo Chi Shi from class A8? With your 2 lackeys. Do you think you're in some school drama? Just because a few girls like you think you're all that? Who the hell do you think you are? He kicked Ming, who was curled up on the ground. Getting so close. Are you trying to help him be the center of attention? Huh. He looked at Ming, his eyes filled with pity. He placed his hands on the shoulders of the 2 big guys and pushed them apart, surprising them. The 2 thought to themselves, this kid is surprisingly strong. After separating them, he walked over and helped Ming up. Classmate, get up. After helping the classmate up, he said, give him back his money. Wang Ji was furious. Who the hell do you think you are, meddling in my business? Ben, push him hard. His shoulder slammed heavily against the glass of the door. With a bang, he clutched his shoulder in pain. Luo Chi Shi, grabbing his shoulder, looked up at the menacing people in front of him. He didn't want to fight, and he certainly didn't want to cause trouble. Besides, they had the numbers. If a fight broke out, he would definitely get hurt. Glancing at the trembling classmate behind him, Luo Chi Shi thought to himself that he had never done anything out of line in his life. So he was a stranger to this kind of situation and didn't know what to do. Luo Chi Shi habitually imitated, thinking, if it were Brother Songyu, how would he handle this? Then, with a calm face and a firm gaze, Luo Chi Shi said, classmate Wang Ji, if you just hit someone, it's nothing. You can tell the teacher it was just a small conflict between classmates. But if you don't return the money, then this is robbery. It's a criminal act you can report to the police. Songyu's figure seemed to flicker behind the young boy's silhouette. Students who saw the commotion also craned their necks to look. Seizing the opportunity, Luo Chi Shi added fuel to the fire. He said, look, there are quite a few people watching in the hallway. Pointing to the school's security camera, Chi Shi continued, and there's a camera right around the corner. At this point, Luo Chi Shi stood up straight, frowning as he threatened, if the police are really called, there will be plenty of evidence against you. Have you ever been to a police station? Hearing this, Wang Ji flinched slightly, then shouted out of shame and anger, I'd like to see you dare to call the police. Seeing this, Luo Chi Shi immediately retorted, even if he doesn't dare, I can take him. All he has to do is give a statement anyway. Wang Ji was suddenly speechless. Wang Ji's lackeys stepped forward fearfully to remind him, boss, if this really gets to the police. Seeing his words were having an effect, Luo Chi Shi secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Actually, I've never been to a police station either. I've only seen statements being taken in movies, but I'll scare him first and see. Wang Ji forcefully threw a few banknotes on the ground and said menacingly, get it back to him. It's just a little money. What's all the fuss about? Seeing this, Luo Chi Shi picked it up and handed it to the classmate behind him, asking with concern, see if any is missing? No, it's all here. Hearing this, Wang Ji cursed, missing my ass. Luo Chi Shi immediately glared at Wang Ji, thinking, forget it. As long as the money is back, it's better not to get tangled up with people like this. Then, Luo Chi Shi pulled the classmate away. Let's go. Before leaving, Wang Ji didn't forget to curse, TCH, what bad luck. Watching his departing back, Wang Ji said sarcastically, is your mom dead? Is that why you came here to be a busybody? Damn it. Luo Chi Shi's steps halted, his body trembling uncontrollably with anger. Luo Chi Shi bit his lip, turned around with a dark expression, and said nothing. A moment later, a few students shouted in panic, oh no, they're fighting. A few people ran toward the commotion, discussing excitedly as they went. I heard even the homeroom teacher was alerted. The homeroom teacher is here? This is serious now. Who's fighting? Coincidentally, Xia Jishu was passing by with breakfast. Hearing them say the homeroom teacher was from the middle school division, a student suddenly said, it seems like Wang Ji and Luo Chi Shi are in a huge fight over there. Hearing this, Xia Jishu froze, thinking, Yu? Xia Jishu looked skeptical. You in a fight? You gotta be kidding me. Despite this, Xia Jishu still squeezed into the crowd to see for himself. Excuse me, let me through. The students in front were terrified. There's blood. How scary. Peeking inside, Xia Jishu was slightly stunned by the scene before him. He saw the homeroom teacher, with his hands behind his back, angrily scolding the bruised and swollen Luo Chi Shi and Wang Ji's group. Have you all lost your minds? Fighting? Do you still have any regard for the school rules? Yu Shi stood there without a word, the homeroom teacher's scolding ringing in his ears. Look at yourselves. What have you become? The bruised and swollen Yu Shi looked resilient, but his eyes had already turned glassy, and his lips were pressed tightly together, looking extremely pitiful. Seeing this, Xia Jishu was stunned, thinking, it really is Yu. How'd it come to this? The homeroom teacher's head ached with anger. He raised a hand to rub his forehead and said helplessly, all of you, come with me to the office. A second later, he turned and yelled at the gossiping students outside the door. What are you still looking at? Didn't you hear the bell? Get back to class. Hearing this, the crowd dispersed but continued to discuss animatedly. Yu Shi in a fight? I'd sooner believe he was possessed. That's right. Forget fighting. Yu Shi doesn't even dare to be late for school. I heard he stood up for Cheng Ming, and that's why he fought with Wang Ji. Nearby, Xia Jishu kept looking back anxiously, his face full of worry. Xia Jishu frowned, listening to the crowd's gossip. So Wang Ji and Cheng Ming had a problem before, and Yu Shi got caught in the middle. Between the two of them, they said, maybe neither side will admit to it in the end, and Yu Shi will end up being blamed by both sides. Hearing this, a worried expression appeared on Xia Jishu's face. At this moment, in the homeroom teacher's office, four students stood obediently in a row. The homeroom teacher stood before them, with two other teachers behind him. Well, what happened? Why were you fighting? The homeroom teacher said sternly. At this, Cheng Ming hurriedly waved his hands, denying everything. This has nothing to do with me. I didn't fight. Beside him, Wang Ji and Yu Shi watched him in silence. Suddenly, Teacher Wang walked up to Yu Shi and gently comforted him. Yu Shi, tell me, what exactly happened? How did you get into a fight with a classmate? This isn't like you. Yu Shi looked up at Teacher Wang, his face expressionless, but his eyes betrayed a hint of sadness. He replied coolly, Teacher Wang, I broke the school rules. Just punish me directly. In the teacher's office, as the teachers were investigating the incident, Jiang Yufan ran in with a panicked look, saying anxiously, reporting, Teacher, it's because Yu Shi saw Cheng Ming being bullied by Wang Ji that he went to the restroom. He wasn't the one who started it. Hearing him say this, Yu Shi quickly spoke up, Teacher, Jiang Yufan wasn't there at the time. He hurriedly said, I wasn't there, but someone saw it. A lot of classmates saw it. Hearing this, Wang Ji angrily threw the blood-soaked towel on the ground and said furiously, Saw what? What did I do? He continued, it was none of his business in the first place, but he had to interfere. I was already letting them go, and he suddenly turned back and punched me. He's clearly crazy. A lackey beside him added, Yu Shi definitely threw the first punch. We were even trying to break up the fight, but we don't know why he suddenly went crazy and started hitting people. If you don't believe us, Teacher, you can ask the classmates who were trying to break up the fight in the restroom. Hearing everyone say this, he didn't argue, but lowered his head and said, Yes, it was me. What happened before flashed through his mind. Wang Ji said, Is it because your mom died early that you have to be a busybody? Huh, damn it. And he said, I just wanted to hit him. Hearing him say this, the teacher, the dean, and Jiang Yufan all looked at him in surprise. Everyone in the room turned to look at him, bewildered. Then the dean said, I don't want to waste time arguing with you about who is right or wrong. Wang Ji led people to bully Cheng Ming. Yu Shi came out to help Cheng Ming, which led to a brawl. Both Yu Shi and Wang Ji have committed a serious offense. One major demerit each. The rest will be handled by your homeroom teachers. Call the parents who need to be called and write the self-criticisms that need to be written. Hearing the teacher say this, Wang Ji's face darkened as he thought angrily, Yu Shi, you just wait. In Song Yu's class, a classmate holding a book walked up to him and said, Song Yu, did you hear? I was passing by the middle school teacher's office when I was handing in homework and heard their dean yelling. I heard there was a fight, and it seems like it was a big one. He was writing and didn't pay attention, but Xin Yuan was listening with great interest. Then he said, It's normal for those lively middle schoolers to fight. Besides, our Song Yu never cares about these trivial matters. Then another friend continued, The point is, the one who fought this time was Yu Shi. Song Yu, who was writing, had to stop. He looked up, his eyes filled with confusion. Have a sip of water. The homeroom teacher handed him a cup and said, To push a little rabbit to this point, it must not be that simple. There's no one else here now. Tell me, what exactly happened? Taking the cup, he said, Teacher, I don't want to talk about it, but I promise you, I will never fight with a classmate again. You can punish me however you want. Then I'll call your parents, he said. He He immediately replied, okay, but my parents are out of town these few days. We'll have to wait until they get back. He thought to himself, Annie Rome, I'm sorry. I just promised you I'd be good. The teacher put a hand on his shoulder and said, all right, as your homeroom teacher, I respect that you have reasons you don't want to share. But you must understand that violence is not a good way to solve problems. Anytime, if the other party acts aggressively toward you, you can tell teacher. If you don't trust your homeroom teacher, you can ask someone else for help. Understand? I understand, he replied obediently. Then, the teacher took him to the infirmary to treat his wounds. The nurse said, this will sting a bit while I clean the wound. Please bear with it. The teacher then took him back to the classroom to read a self-criticism letter in front of the whole class. After he returned to his seat, the teacher said, this fight is also a reminder to the other students. You shouldn't rashly stick your necks out. If you encounter school violence, you must report it to a teacher immediately. Do not meet violence with violence. Under the desk, Jiang Yufan was now turning to him, asking with concern, does your eyes still hurt? They were really vicious. Why didn't you wait for me to go with you? He just smiled and said, it's nothing. He clenched his fist and said, I hit him too and made him bleed. Hearing him say this, he said, he must have provoked you. What exactly happened? You tell me, and I'll find a chance to get revenge for you. He clenched his fist, a determined look on his face. Seeing Jiang Yufan like this, he just smiled and took out a jar of candy, saying it's nothing. Here, this jar of osmanthus candy is for you. As soon as he received the candy jar, his eyes lit up and he exclaimed, wow, this looks delicious. That's right, Brother Song Yu, and I knocked these down from the tree, he replied. Because he spoke too quickly, he touched his wound. Hiss. Seeing this, Jiang Yufan turned and said, Yu Shi, speak slower. He continued, speaking of your brother, the news of your fight has spread all over the school. Your brother probably already knows. As he spoke, he opened the lid of the candy jar. He turned and said, no way. Do I look really bad right now? He replied, not at all. Very manly. Why do you suddenly have an idol's burden? You don't know. Everyone worships you this time. You were so cool when you fought. He continued, I just saw a post on the Bayou forum. A lot of people are posting, mostly cursing out Wang Ji. Hearing this, he thought to himself, I don't care about any of this. I just don't want Song Yu to know I fought, and I don't want to face him with this face. When it was time for lunch, Jiang Yufan stood up and said, let's go eat. He turned and replied, I'm not going. You guys go ahead. Then I'll bring you back some food, he replied. No, I really don't want to eat. Despite saying that, he immediately thought, I should use this time to do more homework so I can go home earlier after school. Then I can take a shower and lie down in my room. That way, I can minimize my encounters with Song Yu. After thinking it through, he thought smugly, a perfect plan. As he was doing a math problem, does point E exist such that it is similar? How to prove it? Suddenly, a voice said, assume it doesn't exist. He paused, not knowing where the voice came from. Then he looked up, and facing him was Song Yu. The voice came from the classroom doorway. It was none other than Song Yu. When Yu Zhishir saw him, he still couldn't believe his eyes. I suspect my eyes are playing tricks on me. The Song Yu in front of me can't be real. He slowly walked toward Yu Zhishir's desk. Proof by contradiction. First, assume the opposite, and after obtaining an equivalent condition, derive a contradiction. Oh, he finally understood. He really came. What did you get here? Just now. Stop doing that. Let's go eat first. At home, not the cafeteria. We're going home. After leaving the school, one person walked in front and the other followed behind. He thought again, Song Yu must know I got into a fight. Looking at Song Yu's expression, he doesn't seem very unhappy. Then he lowered his head and accidentally saw his hand. A scene of him and Song Yu as children flashed in his mind. Oh right, when I was little, I was bullied by a classmate and Song Yu fought for me too. He was 9 then, and I was 6. Come, hold my hand. Sobi. We walked just like this back then, one in front of the other. I'm the one who fought. What are you crying for? Song Yu, it's all my fault. I held Song Yu's hand and went home with him. Why can't I hold his hand now? As he thought this, his hand gradually moved towards Song Yu's. Coincidentally, Song Yu's phone rang. He reached into his pocket to get it. His movement made Yu Zhishir quite disappointed and embarrassed, thinking he was trying to avoid him. Song Yu looked at his phone as he walked. It was a message from Xia Jishu. You're not planning to go home and teach him a lesson, are you? Don't make Luo angry. Wait, isn't your mom not home today? Who's going to cook when you get home? Are you trying to starve our Luo? On the other side, Xiaojia was eating and looking at the message. When he saw Song Yu's reply, Xia Jishu spat out his food. It's an injustice for me to cook? Then I must eat well. After reading it, Xia Jishu leaned back in shock. Song Yu, you punk. You can cook? Back home. Cotton Candy jumped into his arms. All right, Cotton Candy, I'm fine. What do you want to eat? He asked. Song Yu, you're cooking? Is that strange? Not strange. Not strange. Then he switched to foodie mode. I want to eat spicy hot pot and cake. He turned his head to look at the cut on Yu Jishi's lip and asked again, spicy hot pot? Are you sure? He subconsciously touched his mouth, looking very pitiful. But I want to eat it. He smiled at him and started preparing the ingredients for the hot pot. He didn't stay idle either, but ran to the kitchen to help. Songyu, can I help you wash the vegetables? Then the two of them worked together, one cooking and one helping. He accidentally turned his head, and what caught his eye was the cut on Yu Jishi's hand from the fight that morning. He was adjusting the fire on the gas stove and suddenly turned to look at him. He was washing vegetables, turned to look at him, and walked over wearing an apron, saying, "You didn't wash it clean." He handed him a handkerchief. He exclaimed. Then, before he could finish, he interrupted, "It's enough for you to just stand here and watch me." Then he chopped the vegetables. He thought to himself, it's been a long time since I've had Brother Songyu's cooking. In the past, Uncle Song and Auntie Roan were very busy and often not at home. They hired a nanny, but one time she was careless with her cooking, and I had an allergic reaction and was hospitalized. From then on, whenever Auntie Roan wasn't available, Songyu would cook. Gradually, he became very skilled at it. He remembered being cooked for by him as a child. Time to eat. Back to reality, it was still the same words. Still the same words. He said, time to eat. He replied, I didn't have time to make a cake, so I made blueberry muffins. He said, muffins are a type of cake too. Then he ate with great relish. All the bad emotions were released in the chili oil and honey. There's nothing a good meal can't solve. He turned his head to watch him eat so heartily. He got up to get something. When he came back, he was holding an ice pack. He said to him, "Here, put this on your eye." He paused, looking at him, thinking as expected he still brought it up. He took it and put it on his eye, saying, "Is it ugly?" He replied, "It's good that you know." His eyes filled with sadness. I should have dodged it then. Then he thought to himself, in front of others, I don't care at all about my face being injured, but I'm so afraid of Songyu seeing it. I don't know why. He put down his chopsticks and said, Yuji, sure. Looking in his direction, he continued, shouldn't you regret fighting with someone today? He lowered the ice pack slightly and said, I don't regret it. Then he put it down completely on the table. I didn't do anything wrong. He said with a sad face, brother, I didn't mean to cause trouble and fight. Actually, I didn't want to get involved in this at all at first. He interrupted him, I know. He was stunned, looking at him silently with a questioning gaze. He continued, what did the person you fought with say? He clenched the ice pack, thinking, when Teacher Wong asked, I didn't want to say. When Jiang Yufan asked, I didn't want to say either. After thinking it through, he answered him, he said my mom was dead, and that's why I was being a busybody. I couldn't hold it in at that moment, so I hit him. After speaking, he thought, it seems I can only show my weakness in front of Brother Songyu. He turned to look at him, his eyes filled with pity. He asked him, so, did you win or did he win? He was surprised, huh? He hadn't expected Songyu to ask that at all. Then he remembered the scene of him fighting 4 people alone and said to him, I won. I fought 4 of them by myself. He said with a look of annoyance, because he was still hung up on that one punch. It's a pity I didn't dodge that last punch. Because someone shouted that the teacher was coming, I panicked a little. Otherwise, my eye wouldn't have been hit. He continued, his voice trembling. I'm not crying, my eye is just irritated. Seeing him take a towel to wipe his tears. He said that, but when he wiped his mouth, he blushed because he knew he had misunderstood. So he was just wiping my mouth for me. He said, eat quickly. You still have to take a nap after eating. On the sofa, Juin and Cotton Candy were sleeping soundly. He had already gone to bed for a nap for a few minutes. When he called him, Brother Songyu. He replied, what is it? He gently opened the door, poked his head into the room, and replied with a red face, I want to sleep with you, Songyu. Songyu silently opened his eyes, then gently moved over, leaving space for him to lie down. Seeing this, he cheered internally with joy. Brother Songyu didn't refuse today. He climbed onto the bed and put on an eye mask. What are you doing? Songyu asked. I want to wear it. That's my business. Hurry up and sleep. Saying that, Songyu turned over. He recalled his childhood. Whenever it rained heavily, he would climb into Songyu's bed and press himself tightly against him. At times like that, he no longer felt afraid. He rested his head on Songyu's back, feeling his heartbeat through skin, flesh, and bone, released like a tranquilizer quickly and without hindrance, letting him fall into a deep sleep. He inevitably had an illusion. If things could stay like this forever, that would be great. He wouldn't need anything else. Just like that, he fell into a deep sleep. Nightmare. Painful memories surfaced from the moment his parents left him. Luo, my child, mom and dad can't be with you anymore. Then there were the whispers about him as a child. So young and living under someone else's roof. How pitiful. An orphan living under someone else's roof. How pitiful. Then came the taunts from his friends. Orphan. How pitiful. Living under someone else's roof. A child with no mom or dad. He's an orphan. You little bastard with no mom or dad. They pointed at him, shaming him just because he had no parents. The criticisms pierced his chest endlessly like arrows. He clutched his head in pain. Get out. All of you get out. Stay away from me. Don't follow me. Why can't I make a sound? He touched his neck, gasping for air. At this moment, he could only call his name in his heart. Brother Songyu. Back in reality, he was still lying on the bed, trembling and whimpering his name like a small puppy. Wake up. You sure? You sure? You sure? Songyu tried to shake him awake. He finally woke up from the nightmare. You had a nightmare. You dreamed that bad guys were chasing you. Huh? It's nothing. I want to keep sleeping, he said, turning over. Songyu had no choice but to lie down and comfort him. You were really clingy when you were little and a huge crybaby. Every time you cried, you gave me a headache and I wanted to throw you out. You don't cry as much now that you're older. He silently pressed his lips together as tears streamed down his cheeks. Then he turned back to face Songyu. Songyu gently took off his eye mask, looked at his teary eyes for a moment, and then pulled him tightly into his arms. Are you only satisfied when you've dirted my bed? Have I ever told you that your clothes get dirty when you cry? So I'll wash them if they get dirty. He continued to cry, his eyes swelling up, thinking teenagers are always ashamed to cry their hearts out, as if their troubles aren't worthy of being called troubles. Only in front of Songyu can I be free and unburdened. Finally, his sobs turned into audible cries, which gradually subsided in Songyu's arms. Can I pat your back? He said. A pat isn't just a number, it's also a feeling, right? As he said this, Songyu gently patted his back. Wang Ji really had it coming. Maybe he didn't understand why he got hit. But bullying classmates deserves a beating. Don't get involved in this kind of thing again, okay? He promised. He confided. Actually, I can barely remember what my parents looked like. Songyu asked, don't you have a photo of them on your bedside table? He replied, photos don't move. Real people are different from photos. Then, thinking of the photo, he asked, Songyu, have you met them? Songyu replied, yes. Thinking of them, the first scene that came to his memory was their wedding. His father, Luo Chi, was holding a 2-year-old Songyu, while his mother, Olivia, a foreigner from the UK, stood beside him, smiling brightly. His father said, look at the little boy who scattered flowers for us today. He's so handsome. An image of a 2-year-old Songyu holding a flower basket appeared. He shouldn't have remembered anything at that age, but it left a deep impression. That was the first time he felt the beauty of a marriage. But beautiful things are so fragile. He held him and said, they were both very good people. Your mother was very beautiful. Her pasta was delicious, and her voice was very gentle. She could speak a little Chinese. Your father was very interesting and humorous. The birthday present he gave me was the most special gift I've ever received. Lying in his arms, he asked, what was it? He replied. He drew on it himself, marking the places he had been. He told me I should explore the world more. As he spoke, he gently patted his back. He gently closed his eyes. Dad never drew one for me. He gently stroked him. Maybe he was planning to draw one for you after you achieve something new, or right after crossing the Alps. Seeing him asleep, he let go of his hand, but he clung to him tightly again. He gently hugged him back. Then he pulled away, but he moved closer again. After 2 or 3 repetitions, he gave up and just let him hold on. Holding him, he thought, he's so old now, and it's still so much effort to coax him to sleep. The next day, he waited for him to go to school. Just as he parked his bike, he opened his bag of chestnuts. It smells so good. Hot roasted chestnuts, just bought on the way. A red-haired friend walked by and said, oh, let me see our Luo's glorious deeds. He continued to eat his chestnuts as usual. Seeing his silence, the redhead continued, TSK, truly amazing. When I first heard people talking about it, I didn't believe it at all. He replied shyly, it's not something to be proud of. The red-haired guy patted Yuni's shoulder and said, Puffed, your little brother is so smart. He even knows that fighting isn't a good thing. He ignored him and said to him, you go in first. After evening self-study, absolutely do not stay in the classroom alone. If you want to do homework or learn new words, come to our activity room on the 5th floor. Note, each floor of the high school section has an activity room specifically for students who want to study during self-study periods. He replied, really? I can come? Then he thought happily to himself, after evening self-study, I can go to the 5th floor opposite. I'll never have to secretly sit in the hallway waiting for Brother Songyu again. He stuffed the bag of chestnuts into his hand. I don't want to eat them anymore. Then he skipped away, singing happily. The other two were left with question marks over their heads. What's going on? Why is he suddenly so happy? He noticed the bag of chestnuts in his hand, and when he looked inside, he couldn't help but smile because they were all already peeled. Redhead teased, yo, they're all peeled. Having a younger brother is... He snapped, shut up. The sky had already darkened. The bell rang, signaling the end of the middle school's evening self-study session. He happily hugged his school bag and ran, finally done with school for the day. Arriving at his activity room, he pushed the door open and went inside, thinking, I've been looking forward to this all day. I'm so happy, so happy. The moment he entered, he froze, completely bewildered. A high school student spoke up, Hey, isn't that Songyu's younger brother? He thought, crap, I've been recognized. The way I look right now is an embarrassment to Brother Songyu. Then he found a seat and covered his face with his hands. A female classmate walked over and said to him, Hi, are you Luo Chi Shi? He was full of questions, not recognizing her. The girl continued, This morning, you stood up for Chung Mingming from our class. That was really cool. He replied shyly, Wasn't really. Before he could finish, the girl covered her mouth and continued, No need to be modest. You're famous now. A lot of girls in our class are smitten with you. He felt embarrassed and changed his subject. What are you doing here? Not going home. Hearing his question, the girl replied, Me? I'm here to study and also to wait for my boyfriend to finish school. Then we'll go home together. Hearing the word boyfriend, he exclaimed in surprise, Boyfriend? Then he acted as if he was gossiping about something major. The girl asked back, What about you? He answered, Me? I'm waiting for Songyu. She seized the opportunity to ask further, Are you two really brothers? Do you live together too? He placed a finger on his lips to signal for quiet, saying, Let's get to studying. The girl also lowered her voice, Oh, right. I won't disturb you. He sat down seriously to do his homework, feeling that studying here was different from usual. Whether it was studying in the activity room or reciting texts in the hallway, it had always been just as unilateral action, not even qualifying as waiting. After all, the one who waits and the one being waited for should be mutual. But this time was different. It wasn't an unpermitted wait. He was just like them. Following his train of thought, Chi sure realized, no, that's not right. It seems he wasn't quite like them either. Was it? He consciously focused on his studies. Stop letting your mind wander. Songyu is getting out of school soon. Hurry up and do your homework. Finally, the bell rang, and Chi sure ran swiftly to Songyu's classroom. He stood outside, peering into the classroom. School was over, but no one was standing up. It seemed the teacher was holding them late. Chi sure stared at him intently. Songyu didn't usually wear glasses, but he was a bit nearsighted and needed them to see things. After watching for a long time, Songyu suddenly looked up and glanced outside. Chi sure, as if he'd been caught doing something wrong, quickly hid behind the wall. The girl from before saw Chi sure's action and asked, Why do you look even guiltier than I do? Chi sure felt awkward. Yeah, what do I have to feel guilty about? Songyu was the one who told me to come. Inside the classroom, the teacher finally announced the end of class, and students poured out. At this moment, Songyu and Shun Ran, who had just finished class, encountered a situation. Female classmates were surrounding Chi sure. Are you Songyu's younger brother? Chi sure was flustered by the crowd. I.S.E. mixed race. He's so cute, like a doll. I'm at it again. Are those eyelashes for real? Yes, those lashes are real. Shun Ran stood beside him, nudged him with his shoulder, and teased Songyu, Your brother's charm is no less than yours. The senior and junior girls are all captivated by him. Songyu remained indifferent, turned, and walked away without a word. Seeing this, Chi sure followed him. Brother Songyu, I'm sorry, the senior girls. I'm going home. On the way back, Songyu and Chi sure were walking behind the other students when suddenly he felt their hands clasped together. Chi sure couldn't help but blush and looked at Songyu. Seeing him look over, Songyu asked, What's wrong? Chi sure felt shy and didn't dare to look him in the eye. It's nothing. When they reached the bike parking area, something unexpected happened. Chi sure was inspecting his bicycle. My tire is flat. It seems like someone did it on purpose. Although the suspicion is dark, I have reason to suspect it was Wang Ji and his gang. Songyu didn't seem surprised. Songyu got on his bike and called out to him, Get on. He asked, What about my bike? Songyu said, We'll deal with it tomorrow morning. Chi sure happily climbed onto his bike. I'll hold your bag for you. Songyu handed him the school bag. He took it and then said, It's so heavy. On the way back, He spoke first. Brother Songyu, did you finish all those little millet snacks? Songyu just grunted. Chi Shi chattered on from behind Songyu. Actually, if you couldn't finish them, you could have given them to Brother Shunran. He often gives me snacks too. But Songyu said nothing, his face impassive. Chi Shi poked his back and shouted, "Stop, stop." He pointed excitedly at a sign. "Ding Ding Cake is Ding Ding Cake." Chi Shi happily jumped off the bike and ran to the Ding Ding Cake stall. "I want to buy steamed rice cakes." The vendor said, "3 yuan for 2? They're very sweet." "I'll have 2. Can you add extra brown sugar for me?" he said. The vendor replied cheerfully, "Of course, why not?" Songyu also walked over and recalled, "The first time you ate this, you almost got burned." Chi Shi paused. "Really? I don't remember." Songyu teased him. "What do you remember? Dad was holding you, and you kept saying this thing was fun. Then you reached out to touch it and ended up wailing because the steam burned you." Chi Shi asked, "Then what were you doing?" A story from Songyu and Chi Shi's childhood. Chi Shi, with tears streaming down his face, cried to Songyu's dad. Songyu watched him cry and felt his heart ache. Songyu reached out, took his hand, and blew on his burned finger. But Songyu deliberately misstated it to tease him. "I was laughing at you." Chi Shi declared, "If he got burned and cried, I wouldn't laugh at you." Songyu turned to look at him. "You?" "I would cry." Chi Shi paused, then said sheepishly, "I don't cry anymore now, unless you make me." Chi Shi brought the cake to his mouth, just as Songyu leaned slightly closer to him and said, "I'm not that interested in making you cry." This left Chi Shi too shy to speak. He instructed, "Eat slowly, don't get burned again." Chi Shi tried to shift the blame to Songyu, "But if I always cried when I was little, there must have been a reason." "I don't care. It's all Brother Songyu's fault anyway." After buying the cakes, the two headed back. Songyu asked carefully, "Is it good?" Chi Shi replied, "It's delicious, you try some." Songyu said, "It's too sweet." The scene of the two riding the bike through the crowd shows a pure emotion, looking incredibly serene. For the next 2 weeks, my mode of transport was the back seat of Songyu's bicycle. On the way to school, Chi Shi was very happy. "Can I go to your group's activity room to study tonight?" Songyu didn't refuse. "Come if you want." While eating, Chi Shi said, "Just now, a girl from the class next door is dating a guy from your grade. They're in a puppy-love relationship. Will the teachers come to the activity room to check?" Songyu wanted to say, "What's it to you?" In Chi Shi's mind, "My bike is already fixed, but it's still no use, parked at the entrance. I feel that there are reasons why Brother Songyu gives me a ride to school and lets me study on the 5th floor, but I never overthink it, no matter what happens." The next morning, in Chi Shi's class, the teacher stood at the podium and announced, "Exams are coming up. The school requires the second-year middle schoolers to have half a day of makeup classes during this March break." Everyone in the class was unhappy, as that was their time to go out and have fun. No one wanted to go to school. In no way. Isn't Boya famous for not having makeup classes? The teacher explained, "This is all for your own good." The third-year students have to attend a full day of makeup classes. Chi Shi sat below, resting his chin on his hand, thinking, "The third years have a full day, then I'll just wait until evening to go home with Brother Songyu." Teacher Wang instructed, "It's flu season now, so the school has decided to disinfect the premises. Except for the classrooms currently in use, all other areas will be disinfected. Don't linger at school after class. Go home early." Chi Shi was a bit disappointed, as he wanted to wait for Songyu to go home together, but his plan was ruined by school matters. Okay, on Saturday at noon, he texted Songyu, "Brother, I'm done with my makeup class. I'm heading home first. I'm going home with Jiang Yufan. I asked him to have a meal together." Songyu replied with only one word, "Okay." After texting Songyu, Chi Shi turned to Yufan, "All right, let's go." Yufan happily put an arm around his shoulder. "Let's go. I heard this restaurant is extremely hard to book. I'm really benefiting from your connection this time." "All right, I need to tell my parents I didn't bring my phone." Chi Shi offered enthusiastically, "Use mine. Good thing I brought it today." On the way home, Chi Shi and he walked through a secluded street, making Yufan a bit uneasy. "Lele, how come this road to your house is so deserted? It's like an expedition." He explained, "It's a shortcut, much faster than the main road." Chi Shi reassured Yufan, "Don't worry, I walk this way alone all the time. I'm very familiar with it." Just as they passed a trash can, a powerful impact knocked it over into Chi Shi's path, startling him and making him stop his bike. He looked back and saw a group of thugs with Wang Ji. He said arrogantly, "I finally got you, Luo Chi Shi." Chi Shi looked at him seriously. Yufan beside him shouted, Wang Ji, what do you think you're doing at school? Tang Yin excitedly brought food for Song Yu. The fried chicken is here. The delivery guy couldn't find the way and made me wait for so long. I almost froze to death. Can't be helped. Who asked the school to ban deliveries? We can only trade through the fence. Tang Yin chattered on, even grabbing a can of Coke and sitting next to Song Yu to continue. While I was waiting, I also saw a couple arguing. It was a really bad fight. Good thing I'm single. Song Yu sat beside him, expressionless and silent, with only Tang Yin talking to. I also saw some young guys who looked like punks, not in school uniform, and they were smoking. It was like something out of a movie. At this, Song Yu finally paused, reacting to Tang Yin's story. He asked, near the middle school. Tang Yin, while chewing, said, "How did you know?" Tang Yin described the scene. There was a guy with a buzz cut, wearing a middle school uniform, tall and skinny, and a few other guys who could have been outsiders or thugs. Anyway, they didn't look like good people. Song Yu angrily slammed his chopsticks down. Tang Yin was startled by his action. "Where are you going? Aren't you eating?" Song Yu left in a hurry. Saying only something came up, Song Yu ran out. He tried to call Chi Shi, but the call wouldn't connect. "Sorry, the number you have dialed is busy. Please try again later." Song Yu was frantic, running and calling nonstop, but the message was still, "Sorry, the number you have dialed is busy. Please try again later." Song Yu stopped at a red light, but still didn't put down his phone, continuing to call Chi Shi. "Sorry, the number you have dialed is powered off." Song Yu's heart sank completely. He was extremely worried and ran at top speed to protect Chi Shi. After running for a while, Song Yu noticed a strange atmosphere from distance. To his right, it was gloomy and deserted. That direction was the shortcut home. At this moment, Yufan and Chi Shi were being cornered by Wang Ji and a group of thugs. Yufan said loudly, "So what if there are more of you? If you have the guts, let's have a one-on-one fight at school." Wang Ji looked down on Yufan's words, "A one-on-one? Are you worthy?" The leader then postured, putting an arm around Wang Ji's shoulder. "Brothers, leave it to me." The leader stood opposite Chi Shi, deliberately blowing smoke in his face, and said in a thuggish tone, "So you're the one who's been messing with our brother at school, huh? Such a pretty little face, and you love the spotlight so much." Chi Shi remained silent, showing no fear in front of them. The leader got angry and shoved Chi Shi hard. "I'm talking to you." Yufan was startled and shouted, "What are you doing? Don't get physical." Luckily, Chi Shi stood his ground, determined not to yield to these guys. Chi Shi handed his school bag to Yufan and finally spoke. "This has nothing to do with him. Let him go." The leader laughed out loud. This kid's got some loyalty. Chi Shi reminded Yufan about his backpack. "Hold this. Don't get it dirty." Yufan was in no better state. "I'm not leaving. How can you worry about this at a time like this?" Chi Shi replied naively, "If it gets dirty, how will I explain it to brother Song Yu when I get home?" Wang Ji provoked him. "All right, Luo Chi Shi, come here. Let's settle the score." The leader stopped him. "Brothers, no need for you to get involved. I'll handle this." Chi Shi asked sternly, "How do you want to settle it?" Chi Shi casually stretched his arms and said, "I still have to go home for dinner. Can you guys hurry it up?" Yufan cheered from his side. "Ooh, whose heroic declaration is this?" At this moment, many thoughts were running through Chi Shi's mind. After the last fight, I spent a whole night at home watching fight videos, and the more I watched, the more dissatisfied I was with my performance. This time, I must dodge and not let them hit my face. Just then, the sound of a bike stopping there caught their attention. Chi Shi turned his head and saw it was brother Song Yu. Seeing the scene before him, he tossed his bike aside without a second thought, took off his school uniform jacket, and walked towards them. Chi Shi was shocked. How did brother Song Yu know I was here? Wang Ji stood to the side, watching with concern. The leader was annoyed. Who the hell is this now? Song Yu stepped forward and took Chi Shi's hand. He said firmly, "I'm his brother." Song Yu instructed, "Stand back a bit." He took off all his valuables and handed them to Chi Shi to hold. The leader and his cronies found the situation increasingly amusing and laughed loudly. "You want to take the beating for him?" When his gaze met the thugs, his eyes changed, and he said coldly, "I'll take it for him." Yufan worriedly pulled Chi Shi behind him. "Bro, can you win this fight?" Chi Shi remembered that the last time he saw Song Yu fight was when he was in elementary school. Back in elementary school, Chi Shi was being bullied by a group of other kids. "Stop, you blondie," because he had eaten a few cookies given out by the school and developed a red rash on his face. Some other boys came to make fun of him. Look at him, the blondie turned into an ugly monster. "So eating cookies makes you ugly." "Huh." One of the kids spoke up, ordering the bullying, "I have a lot more cookies for you to eat." They surrounded Chi Shi, grabbed him, and forced him to eat. Chi Shi resisted. I don't want to eat them. They tried to shove the cookies into his mouth, forcing him to eat whether he wanted to or not. Eat it. Chi Shi stubbornly kept his mouth shut, struggling in pain. Ugh, it's been so long. I don't remember how I was saved. Song Yu ran over from a distance. Let him go. Chi Shi only remembered Song Yu rushing in like a hero from a comic book. Now that Song Yu was older, his punches were more powerful, and with one punch, he sent the leaders stumbling backward. The leader's cronies were worried. Song Yu's chillingly cold expression made their teeth chatter in fear. The group surrounded him, seemingly afraid to make a move. Yofan's mouth hung open as he said in admiration, No way, your brother is too awesome. Chi Shi said, he used to learn Taekwondo. Me too. Yufan admired the two brothers. No wonder you could take on 4 guys by yourself last time. One of the thugs shouted, What are you afraid of? Let's all go at him together. The guy lunged forward, grabbing Song Yu by the neck, which finally gave the others the courage to rush in. Get him! Go! Song Yu angrily broke free from the one choking him, and with just one uppercut, the rest were mercilessly beaten by Song Yu. Ouch! Yufan witnessed the scene and couldn't stop praising Song Yu. Wow, your brother is so cool. Our brother is so cool. Chi Shi laughed. When did he become our brother? The leader backed away in fear. Fuck, what bad luck. I can't believe I fell for your bullshit. Song Yu mercilessly kicked the leader in the chest. He asked expressionlessly, Still want to fight? He warned, Don't ever touch him again. If I find out, it won't be as simple as today. They scrambled to their feet and fled. We won't dare to do it again. Chi Shi said happily. In stories, the less competent villains all say that. Finally, Song Yu glanced at Wang Ji, making him flinch. Nothing had gone according to plan. Song Yu picked up his jacket. Don't get any ideas. I'm not interested in fighting with kids. Wang Ji felt extremely belittled and retorted, Don't look down on me. He was so angry that he disregarded the current situation and provoked, It's Chi Shi, so you fight me. Chi Shi's face darkened as he stared straight at him. Good. I wanted to return a punch too. Song Yu said gently to Chi Shi, If they want to bully you, you can fight back and let them know you're not to be trifled with. Chi Shi affirmed resolutely, Okay, this time I definitely won't let him hit my face again. Song Yu put his watch back on and explained to him, But his punch and your kick, emotions can't be offset. The rules aren't that simple. Chi Shi looked at him blankly. Song Yu said, You have to learn how to resolve and handle problems. On your own. Chi Shi was lost in his own thoughts, his expression growing more solemn. I understand what Brother Song Yu means. This can't go on. It's like they always say in the movies, an eye for an eye will only make the whole world blind. Chi Shi strode towards Wang Ji, who trembled with fear. Don't think I'll be afraid of you just because your brother is here. Chi Shi interjected. Do you remember the last thing you cursed at me in the bathroom that day? Wang Ji shouted dismissively. If you want to fight, then fight. Cut the crap. Chi Shi wanted to explain. It's because you hit a nerve that I got so angry that day. Wang Ji had said, Your mom died early. That's why you're so nosy, right? Damn it. He sneered. Chi Shi was somewhat surprised. Wang Ji slumped down, extremely embarrassed. Chi Shi looked remorseful. It was my fault for hitting you. I'm sorry. Wang Ji was surprised by Chi Shi's attitude at this moment. Not knowing what to do, don't put on that pitiful act. I've already hit you, so we're even. He turned his face away, his hand on the back of his neck, as he didn't dare to face Chi Shi, ashamed of his actions. Okay, I didn't mean to say that dirty word. I'm not that vicious. Yufan asked curiously, So you really did bully a classmate? Wang Ji explained loudly and angrily. It's because Chung Mingming slandered me behind my back. He spread rumors about my family and said I was a thief, making teacher Lu search my desk and school bag. I don't have money, but I never stole his. If he's going to say that, I might as well just rob him. It's Chung Mingming who owes me. Everyone was stunned by what they heard. Luo Chi Shi stood there blankly as a thought flashed through his mind. I suddenly realized that this world is much more complicated than I thought. The bullies, they're not like in the comics, and even. I am not some hero of justice, just a person whose inner wound was poked, who is the victim of school violence, and who is the perpetrator. Perhaps both, as conflict and humiliation coexist, and the cycle of violence continues. Maybe this is what Song Yu meant by things that cannot be reconciled. Chi Shi said, Even so, You shouldn't bully your classmates. That's wrong, just like I shouldn't have hit people. Wang Ji turned his face away, his expression extremely ugly. I can't be bothered to argue with you. You're a good kid, a good student, but I'm not. I was also in the wrong today. At this, Wang Ji took out a few crumpled bills from his pocket. I just wanted to scare you. I didn't intend for them to actually do it. He handed the money to Chi Shi to fix the tire. Take it. I said it was stupid to do that, but they kept egging me on, and in the end, I'm the one who has to pay. Wang Ji turned to leave. We're even now. Let's just pretend we don't know each other at school and keep our distance. He left. Only then did Chi Shi speak. If I had another chance, I would still be angry about what he said, but I wouldn't fight. He looked back at him. I would explain the situation to him, and I would also make him apologize to my mom. I believe he would definitely apologize. Song Yu smiled with satisfaction, looking at him gently. Let's go home and eat. Chi Shi blushed and followed behind him. You go home too. Song Yu returned to his usual self, saying expressionlessly, okay. Ignoring Yu Fan, who was catching up, these two. Chi Shi looked happy. It seems he doesn't blame me. Yu Fan happily returned the backpack to him. What happened was different from what I expected. I thought you guys were going to fight. Chi Shi smiled mischievously. No fighting. Fighting is not good. Yu Fan patted his shoulder approvingly. Not bad. You've grown up. After arriving home, Song Yu's mother greeted them very warmly. Oh, it's rare to see Lele bring a friend home for dinner. I don't have any specialty dishes, so don't mind. Just eat whatever. Yu Fan was stunned by the delicious food on the table, his eyes sparkling as he looked at everything. And you call this not having any specialty dishes? Chi Shi beamed, extremely happy. There are still more dishes to come. That's enough. Auntie, don't scare him. Song Yu's mother was even happier than Chi Shi, as if welcoming her own friend. No, you must try this yam stewed with beef tendon. This is the last batch of yams for the fall. After this season, you'll have to wait another year. Annie Rong served Yu Fan in his bowl. Eat up. I stewed this for 3 hours. Yu Fan accepted enthusiastically, not shy at all. Thank you. He ate with gusto. Annie is so nice and so warm. So the words came out without thinking, not at all like the older brother. At this moment, 6 eyes met and no one spoke. Yu Fan anxiously covered his talkative mouth. Did I say something wrong? No, he's not like Annie Rong, nor like Uncle Song. My brother has atavistic traits. He's like Grandpa. Kishi explained, epily. Hearing this, Yu Fan said, that makes sense. Song Yu, who was beside them, suddenly asked, why was your phone turned off? Luo Chi Shi was still chewing and didn't understand what was going on. At this moment, Jiang Yu Fan took the phone out of his pocket and said, the phone is with me. Sorry, I played on it until the battery died. My mom is a nag, and I was on the phone for too long. Luo Chi Shi reached for the phone, and Song Yu continued, it's fine, let's eat. Jiang Yu Fan then invited them to eat. Annie Lin Rong, don't be so busy. Come sit and eat with us. Annie, listen to me. Lele said he learned Taekwondo when he was a kid. Lin Rong served Jiang Yu Fan some food and replied with a smile. He learned for a while. His brother learned for much longer. The boy immediately exclaimed, that's so cool. Why didn't I sign up when I was a kid? My mom is so useless. Annie Rong laughed happily. This child really knows how to talk. On the other side, Luo Chi Shi was eating and thinking. Will Song Yu be jealous? His gaze suddenly fell on the glistening plate of meat, and he couldn't help but feel that the texture of the meat looked delicious. He picked up a piece of meat with his chopsticks, placed it in Song Yu's bowl, and said, for you. But before he could finish, the person next to him had already put more food in his bowl, saying, eat more vegetables. Luo Chi Shi nodded happily, implying that what his brother gave him tasted the best. Opposite them, Lin Rong was still chatting with Jiang Yu Fan, learning that is very hard. The basic practice is to run 10 laps around the training ground. The boy repeated in surprise, 10 laps. At this, Song Yu suddenly laughed, making everyone at the table look at him. Auntie Rong asked Xiao Yu, what are you laughing at? Nothing, he replied, then put down his hand. I just remembered someone who couldn't run and was punished by the coach. Hearing this, Luo Chi Shi also recalled the past. Memories of the Taekwondo dojang surfaced, along with the blonde boy sitting on the ground, tears streaming down his face, sobbing, I don't want to run anymore. Luo Chi Shi recalled, at that time I was the youngest in the class and sat on the ground after just 1 lap. The coach tried everything to persuade me, but nothing worked. Finally, he came up with an idea. What happened next was that Luo Chi Shi and Song Yu were tied together with a rope, with him running in front and him panting behind. The coach even said, "It seems having an older brother is good. With an older brother, you can keep going." Jiang Yu fan asked curiously, "What happened then? What was your punishment?" "Let's change the subject. It's too embarrassing," Luo Chi Shi mumbled. He shrank back, then turned to huff at Song Yu, but he just drank his water calmly. The meal was very pleasant, and finally, it was time for Jiang Yu fan to leave. He stood at the shop entrance, waving. "That was delicious. Thank you for your hospitality, Auntie." Annie Lin Rong replied, "Don't be so formal with me. Come and visit often when you have time." Annie Rong also packed him various snacks to take back. Zhang Yufan also shouted, Luo, no need to see us out. Just stay put." Luo Jishir plopped down and replied, "Okay, be careful on the road. I'm too stuffed to even move." Although he said that, he had a very happy smile on his face, while Lin Rong had already turned and gone back inside. Just then, Song Yu came out and sat down beside Luo Jishir. Looking at the two brothers sitting shoulder to shoulder like this, he was reminded of how familiar this scene was from that time they came home after a fight when they were little. Annie Rong had punished them both by making them sit in a row outside the restaurant, like beckoning cats. Little Song Yu was black and blue from the fight, and little Luo Jishir's face was swollen beyond recognition from an allergic reaction. He thought about how unwilling the Song Yu of back then had been, yet he had promised never to fight again. But today, he had broken his word. Luo Jishir was curious, so he leaned over, nudged him with his shoulder, and asked, "Song Yu Ji, why did you come today? How did you know I was there?" Song Yu didn't answer right away, but instead recalled. When Luo Jishir drove alone, he liked to take shortcuts, and cutting through that alley saved a lot of time. He knew all this, even though he didn't often go home with him. He knew he would definitely ask this. And of course, he also knew how to divert his attention. Thinking this, Song Yu pretended to lift his hand, revealing a reddish bruise. The moment Luo Jishir saw it, he exclaimed, "How is it so red? Did you sprain your hand?" He carefully held his hand to examine it. "Does it hurt a lot?" Seeing Song Yu remain silent, Luo Jishir looked up sadly that "You're not talking, so it must hurt a lot." Hearing this, Song Yu finally spoke, "It doesn't hurt." But Luo Jishir still stood up, unconvinced, and said, "If you say it doesn't hurt, then it definitely hurts. I'll go get you some ice." But Song Yu suddenly grabbed his hand. He stumbled and fell back into his original spot, leaning slightly into his arms. Song Yu tilted his head and said, "Be good, sit for a while." Seeing this, Luo Jishir could only mumble a few words under his breath. Fine, fine." The two brothers just sat there nestled together as a gentle breeze blew past, sending flower petals dancing through the air. Luo Jishir turned his head and said, "Song Yu Ji, don't you have tutoring this afternoon? You're going to be late." But Song Yu casually said, "I'm not going." Hearing this, Luo Jishir asked in surprise, "Not going? You're going to skip class this afternoon?" Song Yu replied, just as casually, "I already got into a fight. What's skipping one class?" Luo Jishir anxiously tugged at his hand. Didn't you just tell me fighting is bad and doesn't solve problems? How can you both fight and skip class?" On the other side, Song Yu just propped his chin on his hand and watched him, then smiled slightly and said, "Our family is a good kid, Luo." Luo Jishir said, "But a bad kid will be a bad influence on a good kid." Song Yu asked with a smile, "So you're afraid I'll be a bad influence on you?" He said happily, "I'm not afraid. You're not bad either. How could you be a bad influence on me? Everyone hopes I can become just like you." The two chatted for a while longer, and Song Yu said, "It's cold outside. Let's go home." That afternoon, in the quiet room, Song Yu didn't go to school for tutoring, but sat at his desk studying on his own. Knock, knock, knock. The door opened, and Luo Jishir poked his head in to ask, "Song Yu Ji, can I do my homework with you?" Song Yu asked why. Luo Jishir, hugging his school bag, answered hesitantly, "There's a problem I can't solve." Hearing this, Song Yu agreed, saying, "Get a chair yourself." Having gotten his permission, Luo Jishir quickly replied, "Okay," and then sat down at the desk. Halfway through his homework, he turned his head and asked, "We didn't go to class this afternoon. Did your teacher look for you?" Song Yu said, "I called in sick." Hearing this, Luo Jishir exclaimed, "Isn't that lying?" Song Yu tilted his head and said, "Yeah, fighting, skipping class, lying. Am I bad enough?" But Luo Jishir didn't answer, just stared at him blankly, leaving Song Yu wondering what was going on. Then he smiled, thinking with a laugh, "Song Yu Ji looks so good in glasses, I want a pair too." This made his brother even more confused. Seeing Luo Jishir's mind was elsewhere, Song Yu adjusted his glasses and said, "Didn't you say there was a problem you couldn't solve?" "Which one?" I'll give you 15 minutes, then I'm going to sleep. Hearing this, Luo Chi Shi stammered, huh? Oh, and randomly pointed to a problem in his notebook. This one, I can't do it. Suddenly, Song Yu said, you went out just now. This startled Luo Chi Shi, who immediately retorted, how did you know? Song Yu replied, you have a very cold smell on you. Luo Chi Shi awkwardly clutched the school bag beside him, thinking, I've been found out. After Song Yu finished explaining the problem to him, he asked, did you get it? Luo Chi Shi nodded, pretending he had mastered it. He took off his glasses, placed them on the table, and said, no more problems, right? Go to your homework. I'm going to sleep. Luo Chi Shi quickly grabbed his chair and shouted, don't sleep. I have another problem. Wait a second. But in the blink of an eye, he had already climbed into bed. In the end, he could only say to himself, forget it. I can't keep up the act. Luo Chi Shi turned around and emptied the contents of his school bag, saying, Song Yuji, actually, I went out to buy medicine just now. He walked over holding the medicine, sat on the cushion, and said earnestly, let me see your hand. But Song Yu didn't move, and no need, I'm fine. Luo Chi Shi shouted anxiously, how can you not need it? Before he could finish, Song Yu raised a hand to stop him, saying, go to sleep. Seizing the opportunity, he grabbed his hand and examined it carefully. His wrist had turned a purplish blue and was swollen. Does it hurt? I'll put a pain relief patch on it for you. Then it won't hurt. Luo Chi Shi, like a medicine promotion ambassador, took out a patch and said, your wrist has a soft tissue contusion. This pain relief patch is very effective. But Song Yu was still lying in bed, not even opening his eyes, just mumbling, no need, the patch is too ugly. So he took out a bottle of medicine and said, then use this gel. This can invigorate blood circulation and reduce swelling. Song Yu said, I just want to sleep right now. Hearing this, Luo Chi Shi comforted him. It's okay. You sleep. I'll apply the medicine for you. I promise I'll be very gentle. You won't feel a thing. It might be a little cool. I read the instructions. It contains menthol. As he spoke, he applied the blue medicine to the throbbing wound on Song Yu's wrist. Rub it in. Rubbing it in helps it absorb better. I'll be very gentle. Song Yu watched Luo Chi Shi intently, thinking, how interesting, someone who is frail and sickly since childhood has now become someone who knows how to take care of others. Suddenly, he pulled his hand back. Seeing this, Luo Chi Shi panicked and asked, does it hurt? Was I too rough? Lying on the bed, Song Yu said, are you sure this medicine is okay? He panicked even more. In a way, are you having an allergic reaction? Where are you uncomfortable? Is it itchy? Song Yu also sat up halfway and asked, aren't there any precautions? Luo Chi Shi quickly took out the instructions and read the precautions aloud. This product is contraindicated for those with allergies. Use with caution for those with allergic constitutions. Please keep this product out of the reach of children. Children must use under adult supervision. Reading up to this point, Song Yu suddenly burst out laughing, making the still anxious Luo Chi Shi ask in confusion, what are you laughing at? The corners of his mouth still turned up, he said, so it doesn't say on there that adults require supervision by children. Luo Chi Shi pouted. Am I being made fun of? I'm not a child anymore. Honestly, Song Yu shook his wrist and said, all right, I was just teasing you. Really? Luo Chi Shi smiled happily again, his anger vanishing in an instant. As long as he was just being teased, it meant Song Yuji wasn't really uncomfortable, and that was what mattered to him. In the afternoon, Song Jin, holding a plate of strawberries, stood next to Lin Rong and asked with concern. Song Yu just went down to the kitchen. Little Yu, I heard you took yesterday afternoon off. It's good to get more rest. Studying is important, but your health is more important. He walked closer to Song Yu, who was making coffee, and asked, how did the TOEFL go? Are you confident? He said it was okay. He picked up the black coffee, looked at it, and smiled slightly. Lin Rong walked over with a plate of cake and asked, Little Yu, didn't you say you wanted to buy a carpet yesterday? I picked out a lamb's wool one at my little sister's shop. I'll lay it out for you later. Hearing this, Song Yu replied, oh, any time is fine. Lin Rong asked curiously, didn't you used to dislike carpets? Why the sudden urge to put one in your room? He coughed a few times and answered evasively, cough, cough. It's getting cold. A carpet will be warmer. Hearing this, she didn't press further but changed the subject. Luo hasn't come down to play today. What's he hiding in his room for? Take this up to your brother. She poured a glass of hot milk and gave Song Yu a plate of gluten-free chocolate lava cookies. He took the items and said, he needs yogurt. Yogurt is good for the stomach. Lin Rong replied happily, okay. Good. Little Yu is still the most considerate. Song Yu took the food to his brother's room and called out from outside the door, Luo Chi Shi. After a moment, Luo Chi Shi's voice came from inside. What is it? He said, Mom asked me to bring you cookies. Luo Chi Shi hesitated for a moment before replying. Then just leave them at the door. I'll get them later. Song Yu said nothing and placed the cookies at the door. 10 minutes later, the door opened a crack, and Luo Chi Shi carefully peeked his head out, as if checking if anyone was outside. Song Yu, who had been waiting all along, saw him and asked, What are you up to in there? Luo Chi Shi jumped, covering his face, not expecting his brother to still be there. He could only run back into his room without a word and slam the door shut. This was the first time in Song Yu's life that he had been shut out by Luo Chi Shi. Watching this scene from outside the door, he felt an indescribable complexity in his heart. On Monday, the two brothers walked to school together. Luo Chi Shi saw a small eatery by the road and pointed, saying, Song Yu Ji, I'm so hungry. It's still early. Let's sit down and eat something. The two walked into the shop and ordered soup dumplings, dried tofu, 3 delicacy noodles, and beef noodles. Luo Chi Shi praised happily, wow, so much good food. Song Yu handed him chopsticks and said, Weren't you hungry? Eat up. He said shyly, I also want to drink red bean soup, but they don't have it here. Song Yu was silent, as if thinking. Luo Chi Shi thought to himself, My brother must think I'm being difficult. Song Yu sighed, stood up, and said, I'll go buy it from next door. Hearing this, he said happily, Okay. Luo Chi Shi watched him leave and giggled to himself. Everything was going according to plan. He quickly took a white box out of his school bag. Then he stuffed the box in his Song Yu's school bag and praised himself smugly. Mission accomplished. His brother returned with the drink. Luo Chi Shi pretended nothing had happened and said with a smile, You got it. He drank the red bean soup and sighed, so sweet and smooth. He was in such a good mood, it was as if flower petals were floating around him. Song Yu sat beside him. Hurry up and eat. Luo Chi Shi picked up a dumpling, slurped it, and praised, The soup in these soup dumplings is so savory. His brother had just picked up a soup dumpling when the soup was gone, and said, Aren't you afraid of burning yourself to death? You eat the filling, give me the skin. In the kitchen, the old couple preparing the food watched the two brothers and said to each other, Those two young men are so strange. One only eats the filling of the soup dumplings, and the other only eats the skin. Kids these days are all special. After a while, the bell for morning self-study rang throughout the campus. Song Yu pulled out his chair. The class monitor's announcement could be faintly heard. Today is English self-study. Everyone settled down quickly. As he took out his notebook, he suddenly found a strange white box inside. On the box was a drawing of a crying Luo Chi Shi and Song Yu reaching out a hand, with a medicated plaster on his hand drawn conspicuously beside it. Song Yu followed the direction of the arrow to open the lid, wondering unexpectedly, what could be in this box with such a cute drawing on it? Song Yu opened the box. It was filled with band-aids, on which were redrawn scenes of him and Luo Chi Shi playing together, such as the two brothers flying a kite and Song Yu walking Luo Chi Shi to school. There was also the scene of them being punished by sitting at the front door after their childhood fight. Seeing these, Song Yu finally understood that he had been hiding in his room just to make this. Imagine Luo Chi Shi sitting at his desk from childhood to now, drawing and painting, cutting and pasting. Every surprise from Luo Chi Shi was always so sneaky. Before they knew it, their third-year self-study class was over, and they pulled each other downstairs to the courtyard, shouting, Hurry, let's go to PE class. On the stairs, Qin Yuan slung an arm over Song Yu's shoulder and asked, Hey, what's that on your wrist? He grabbed Song Yu's hand and exclaimed, Holy crap, it's a tattoo. You really are a little punk, daring to get a tattoo behind my back. But before he could finish, the bandage on Song Yu's wrist came loose. Qin Yuan squinted and asked, A medicated plaster. Seeing his reaction, he insisted, Where did you get such a cute plaster? Is this a plaster a man should be using? Which girl gave it to you? But Song Yu said, What nonsense are you talking about? Qin Yuan joked, Quick. I hurt my shoulder playing basketball a few days ago. Give me one to put on. Seeing Song Yu's silence, he could only say, Why are you so stingy? Can I just buy one? Song Yu pulled down his sleeve to cover the plaster and said, In your dreams. In the blink of an eye, winter break arrived. Luo Chi Shi, wearing a yellow fluffy hooded jacket, walked on the sidewalk, thinking, Time definitely doesn't pass at normal speed, at least not according to how my body feels. I don't know how a semester passed by so quickly. Luo Chi Shi, holding his white dog on a leash, said, Marshmallow hasn't had a checkup in a long time. Let's give it a spa treatment too. Your fur has been too long lately. He sighed to himself. It's a pity Song Yu has to go to his cram school. and can't come along. But as soon as he entered the shop, Luo Chi Shi's eyes widened. So many cats, dogs, and teddy bears, I really want to pet them. His eyes lit up looking at all the animals. Suddenly, a loud woof woof rang out, and a staff member was struggling with 2 dogs in her hands, shouting, "Don't run around, be good." She turned awkwardly to Luo Chi Shi, who was standing nearby, and said, "I'm so sorry. Could you help me hold the leash? Maybe it's scared of me holding it." Hearing this, he agreed. "Oh, okay." Luo Chi Shi put Marshmallow down, even instructing, "Be good, little doggy." The little dog even yipped as if it understood. Then he turned to help hold the leash, and that dog started jumping around frantically, barking nonstop, super excited. He screamed internally, "This dog is so strong. It feels like it's walking me." 10 minutes later, with the joint effort of Luo Chi Shi and the staff member, the dog's mood stabilized. The staff sister gently petted and comforted it. There, I promise I absolutely won't give you a shot this time. Don't make a fuss anymore." Luo Chi Shi reached up to wipe the sweat from his forehead and breathed a sigh of relief, thinking, "It seems Marshmallow is still the best behaved. I have to reward you with your favorite snack." But when he turned around, he saw that his little white dog was gone, and he shouted in panic, "Marshmallow!" Luo Chi Shi ran out in a fluster, calling its name Marshmallow. There were many people with pets around, but only his leash was empty. His fluffy white dog was gone. After a while, Songyu drove up to the shop entrance. Luo Chi Shi hurriedly shouted to him, "Songyu, I've searched the whole shop and all the alleys around here." He continued as he ran towards his brother. "It's gone. I'm sorry, I didn't watch it properly." Luo Chi Shi held the leash in his hand, blaming himself with tears in his eyes. Marshmallow was brought back by Songyu, so strictly speaking, it was his dog. He must be very worried, which is why he rushed over from cram school as soon as he got my call. Seeing this, Songyu reached out, pulled Luo Chi Shi's hood over his head, and said, "The problem is with the leash. The last time I walked it, it broke free then too." He ruffled his hair to comfort him. "Don't worry, we'll find it." Luo Chi Shi thought, "He's not mad at me." Songyu very calmly took his hand and said, "Yanghe Shiji is very close to here. Maybe it ran over there. Come on, let's go take a look." In front of the closed restaurant, a woman with graying hair and a red coat stood motionless, peering inside. The moment Luo Chi Shi saw the little dog in the woman's arms, he ran over, shouting, "Marshmallow." The white fur ball jumped down and yipped, looking very happy and at ease. Luo Chi Shi hugged Marshmallow and said happily, "How did you run all the way here? You scared me to death." This feeling of loss and recovery was like a roller coaster. The woman smiled and asked, "So this is your little dog? Are you here to eat too?" Hearing this, Songyu said, "You might be mistaken. We're not open today." She said, "Really? But I can't be wrong. My husband made a reservation for today." Luo Chi Shi approached, holding Marshmallow, and said, "We're really not open today, and the owner isn't here. Annie Rome went to buy ingredients today." "Ma'am, are you sure you're not mistaken?" The woman frowned and muttered, No, it's today." Hearing this, Songyu and Luo Chi Shi exchanged confused glances. Luo Chi Shi placed a cup of tea on the table and said politely, "Grandma, please have some hot tea first. We'll help you check the schedule." The old lady smiled happily. "Thank you, child." In the kitchen, Songyu stood by the computer and asked, "Did you find it?" Luo Chi Shi flipped through the list and shook his head. "There really are no reservations for today." He called out, "Grandma, can you tell us your husband's name or his phone number?" The old lady replied warmly, "Oh, okay. My husband's name is..." She stopped mid-sentence, then repeated my husband's name several times with a sad expression. Songyu glanced at Luo Chi Shi and asked the old lady, "Grandma, do you remember what date is today?" Then she replied, "November 21st. It's my husband's 25th wedding anniversary. We're celebrating here today." Luo Chi Shi tilted his head and asked softly, "November? But it's almost New Year's." He asked Songyu, could it be that she's... Songyu replied, "MHM." Luo Chi Shi said, "Trouble, this is a problem. An elderly person is lost. Her family must be very worried. Let's call the police." The old lady overheard these words and immediately stood up anxiously, asking, "Call the police? Why call the police? I just want to have a meal." Luo Chi Shi immediately went forward to soothe her. No, don't be nervous." The old lady pleaded. "Can I order first? I think my husband might be a little late, but he'll be here soon." Luo Chi Shi couldn't bear to see this and asked, "Then what would you like to eat?" The old lady smiled and replied, "My husband loves the pearl meatballs from your shop the most." He turned and went back to the kitchen, saying, "Song-yu, we happen to have glutinous rice and meat in the kitchen." Song-yu asked suspiciously, "Why are you looking at me?" Luo Chi Shi quickly took out an apron and put it on his brother, saying, "You're the best cook. Making pearl meatballs must be a piece of cake for you. Please, please." Seeing Song-yu agree and go into the kitchen, Luo Chi Shi went out and told the old lady, "My brother is making it for you now. Please wait a moment." The old lady suddenly praised, "You've become more beautiful than when you were little, and so has your brother. You used to look like dolls." Hearing this, he was a little surprised. He thought, she clearly didn't recognize us at the door, but now she can remember what we looked like as children. It seems her memory is indeed a bit confused, but that doesn't mean it's completely wrong. Luo Chi Shi returned to the kitchen with a cup of tea, thinking, maybe she really has been here before, and it's very likely she came here to celebrate her 25th wedding anniversary. He took out a stack of notebooks and began to flip through them. These were the records of all reservations since Yanghe Shurji opened, wanting to see if he could find her husband's contact information from every November 21st. Luo Chi Shi started making calls one by one. "Hello, is this Mr. Wang? I'm sorry to bother you. I wanted to ask if you have a missing relative in your family." But this wasn't the right person, so he could only say, "Then I'm sorry. I might have dialed the wrong number. My apologies for bothering you." Luo Chi Shi turned to the next person and called, "Excuse me, is this Mr. Li?" "Hello, sir." After multiple failures, only one last person was left on the list, but a mechanical female voice came from the other end of the line. "The number you have dialed is busy. Please try again later." This couldn't help but make Luo Chi Shi feel dejected. Just then, Song-yu came out, taking off his apron. He turned and asked, "Is it done?" He replied, "MHM." Both brothers stared at the old lady sitting by the window, gazing out with Marshmallow by her side. Luo Chi Shi said, "She ordered her husband's favorite dish. If he doesn't come, she'll definitely be very sad." He rested his forehead on Song-yu's shoulder in frustration and whispered, "But I made so many calls, and not a single one was right. Was my method useless from the start?" Song-yu looked at his brother's dejected state and reached out to pat his head. Just then, the landline phone rang incessantly. Luo Chi Shi hurriedly picked up the phone. "Hello? Hello? Yes, I'm the one who called you just now. I have an elderly lady here looking for her family." A sentence came from the other end of the line, and upon hearing it, Luo Chi Shi's eyes widened in an instant. A man with graying hair appeared at the restaurant door, panting, and said, "I'm sorry I'm late." It was Professor Zhang, who said awkwardly, Luo, little you, I've really troubled you." Luo Chi Shi and Song-yu ran out happily and asked Professor Zhang, "It's you?" He remembered that Professor Zhang used to be a regular at their restaurant, often coming here to eat and taking food home for his wife. But they rarely saw his wife, so that's how it was. Luo Chi Shi didn't finish his thought. Then he tilted his head and said to Song-yu beside him, "Anyway, old Zhang is here. She must be very happy now." Professor Zhang approached the old lady, knelt down, held her hand, and called out twice, "My Ren." Seeing him, the old lady exclaimed, "You're Professor Zhang?" Professor Zhang said worriedly, "You came out wearing so little at your age. What if you get sick?" But My Ren blurted out, "Who are you? I don't know you." Luo Chi Shi stepped forward to mediate. "Grandma, he's your husband. Don't you remember him?" But Professor Zhang said, "It's okay, Luo. I'm used to it." Song-yu placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "Leave it to old Zhang." Professor Zhang took out a photo album and pointed to each photo, narrating, "My Ren, look, this is our photo. You were unhappy about not having a wedding dress, so you wore a white dress yourself." The old lady's eyes sparkled as she watched Professor Zhang tell the story. "This photo was taken at school, remember? How happy you were when I first started working at the school." He pointed patiently for her. "This photo is at the botanical garden. It was spring then. The cherry blossoms were in full bloom. You love flowers the most." Myron looked up and asked softly, "Old Zhang, is that you?" She rested her head on him and chided, "Old man, why did you take so long to come? I've been waiting for you for a long time." Professor Zhang held her hand and comforted her. "I'm sorry, Myron. I promise I won't be late next time." I am sorry. The two just nestled against each other, making Luo Chi Shi, who was watching from the side, smile. He said happily, she finally remembered. After everything was settled, the old couple prepared to go home. Myrin said, "I bought pearl meatballs, your favorite. Let's eat them before we go." Professor Zhang helped her put on her shawl and scarf, replying, "Let's pack them up and eat at home. The restaurant is about to close." In the middle of it, when the old man wanted to put a brown coat on her, she said, I don't want this one. It's too ugly. Professor Zhang stood at the restaurant entrance and said to the two brothers, thank you for today. I usually put my contact information in her pocket in case something like this happens. I don't know what happened today. My wife changed into another set of clothes on her own. Luo Chi Shi looked at my run with understanding, thinking she had probably dressed up carefully to celebrate the anniversary with her most beloved person. She held the paper bag and said to him, old man, let's go quickly. The pearl meatballs are getting cold. You're late every time we meet, and you never bring the flowers you promised me. Hearing this, Professor Zhang scratched the back of his head in embarrassment. Oh. Hearing about the flowers, Luo Chi Shi had an idea. He ran to the garden, picked a narcissus flower, and generously handed it to Professor Zhang. They're flowers, they're flowers. Old Zhang brought flowers. He immediately handed the narcissus to his wife, saying, my run, this is for you. She took the flower and praised. It's so beautiful. In the end, the couple walked side by side in the sunset. Watching them were the two brothers, Song Yu and Luo Chi Shi. Suddenly, he said, I don't want to forget you. This made Song Yu tilt his head with a confused look. Luo Chi Shi rubbed his hands because of the cold, but still smiled and turned to his brother, saying, Little Yu Ji, I don't want to forget you. Song Yu looked at him. His lips moved slightly. Then he reached out, took off his own scarf, and said, what nonsense are you talking about? Luo Chi Shi stood perfectly still, letting his brother wrap the scarf around his neck. He thought to himself that he had never been in love, so he didn't know what it felt like to forget a loved one. But he tried to empathize, imagining what it would be like to forget Uncle Song, to forget Annie Rong, or even to forget his brother, Song Yu. Suddenly, a sharp pain seized his chest, as if something was squeezing his heart tightly and wouldn't let go. At this thought, Luo Chi Shi looked up again at the person in front of him. As if to reaffirm his own sincerity, Luo Chi Shi repeated, I won't forget you. Song Yu remained silent, seemingly lost in his own thoughts. But he said, you've forgotten almost everything about our childhood. Hearing this, Luo Chi Shi grew flustered at, oh, I actually remember a lot. I remember all the important things. Song Yu turned and said, are you hungry? Let's go inside and eat. He immediately ran after him, asking, is there something to eat? He replied, pearl meatballs. I steamed another batch. At this, Luo Chi Shi cheered with delight. Really? Dozens of bowls were likely filled with the delicate pearl meatballs. Luo Chi Shi exclaimed in amazement. Wow, brother, your cooking is amazing. It's just as good as Annie Rong's. As he ate, he reached out to pet Mayan Huiting, saying, my little darling, even though you're usually naughty, you were a big hero today. You helped us find a lost old lady, so you're off the hook for today. The little dog yapped happily a couple of times. As if remembering something, Luo Chi Shi turned to his brother and asked, oh, right, brother, when you couldn't find Mayan Huiting, how did you know he might be here? Song Yu replied, I found him at the entrance of the shop. Hearing this, he tilted his head in confusion. How come I don't remember that at all? Beside him, Mayan Huiting also tilted his head, as if imitating him. Song Yu smiled, a hint of a challenge in his voice. And you said you remember everything. His words made the boy feel like he'd been found out. Song Yu had to give him a little hint. When you were in the 3rd grade, you went to a winter camp in Hainan. Luo Chi Shi slapped his forehead and exclaimed, that's it, that's it. That was when I came home and found Mayan Huiting there. The little white fur ball beside him also jumped up and nodded as if in agreement. Recalling the old memory, he continued to ask, but I remember you don't really like dogs. So why did you decide to take him in back then?